app.
All right, here we go on a Friday. It is Cody and Gold minus Cody. He'll be back with us on Monday. Alex Gold, Drew Nixon with you. Just two of us for the first hour. Then I got Pete Sweeney stopping by from 11 to noon, our Chiefs insider from Arrowhead Pride. We'll talk all things Chiefs with him. And then Josh Vernier. Royals baseball is on the air today. How good is that? Royals baseball, 2 o'clock this afternoon. Spring training gets underway.
It's a good feeling.
The lineup is out. Make all the jokes you want. Bobby Wood Jr. not in the lineup today. Gets that big contract. No. Vinnie Pasquantino, though, is in the lineup. So at 2 o'clock today, when we get off the air, we'll hand things off to the Royals Radio Network. Looking forward to that. But Vern will actually join me prior to that from noon to 2. We'll talk a ton of Royals, but we'll also talk Chiefs and everything else. Plus, I'll get his perspective on the trash of the day. Looking forward to that conversation. You guys can, of course, hit us up on the Jay's Southland Tow Service text line, 913-586-7610. And we are streaming, as always, on Facebook, Twitch, YouTube. Looks like everything's good to go on that end. So looking forward to hanging out with you guys for the next 4 hours or so. I wanted to start, though, with something I've seen come up a lot when we've discussed Chris Jones and what a deal looks like, and what are you as a fan right now as it sits in 2024 going to be okay with in 2025 and 2026? Because that does matter based off of, if you're telling me you want Chris Jones here long term, and I don't know who really doesn't, what are you willing to accept as potential performance down the road if he is making the kind of money it is likely to take? And the example that we get asked a lot about, and that's why I wanted to start the show with it on the text line, is Aaron Donald. We know over the last couple of years, it has always been, hey, Chris Jones thinks he should get Aaron Donald money. He thinks his play has been at the Aaron Donald level. And at least for one full season, it was. You'll hear from Mitchell Schwartz, who was on with Carrington yesterday, talk about whether or not he thinks Jones is worth a Chris Jones deal. But here are where the comparisons and similarities lie. So Aaron Donald, we all know, after the Rams Super Bowl win against Drew's Cincinnati Bengals. Sorry, buddy. We know he got an extension. 3 years, $95 million. That happened when he was 31 years old. The difference here on Chris Jones, we know he won't be 30 until the start of the season. So he'll be a year younger when he's trying to get a similar type of deal. Aaron Donald, at this point, is in the final year of the extension. There's dead years at the end of it, right? Where, even though the void years, I should say, so when he's 34, $16 million on a cap hit, and then when he's 35, it's a void year of $8 million when he'll be 35 years old, and I'm guessing this could be the final year for Aaron Donald in the NFL. But are you okay with when he's 33 years old making $33 million, $34 million based on production? And I think a lot of you would do the trade-off here. So we know what Chris Jones has been. This particular season, he ends up with 10.5 sacks. The prior season, 15.5. We know Kansas City was not willing to meet his price this past offseason. Now he's coming off a season in which he helped to win a Super Bowl. Didn't have as many sacks. Still was dominant at times, to say the least. Played in a few less games, or one less game, I should say, with week one. But he's a year older. So if I told you that next year, on a brand new deal that is going to average out to be close to $30 million, a number, by the way, the Chiefs weren't willing to go to a year ago, and next year, when he's only 30, he has another double-digit sack season, but the next 2 years, so when he's 31 and 32, what if I told you they were the same as Aaron Donald, production-wise? Because the last 2 years of Aaron Donald, when he was 31, he only played in 11 games, 5 sacks. Last year, when he's 32, played in 16 games, had 8 sacks. I think that is the conversation you have to have, obviously, internally as an organization, but also as a fan. Are you good with Chris Jones in 2 years making like $32 million, but maybe as an 8-sack guy?
I feel like the fact that Brett Veach has proven himself to be a very good drafter, particularly on the defensive side, I think would ease your mind a little bit with even if his production was single-digit sacks for one of, if not both, of the last two years on the deal, I think that's reasonable for people to take because they know while his production level may be a little bit lower, you know that you can draft a guy that could be his eventual replacement that he can come in and groom, and it's not going to be that bad of a transition period, I guess, in terms of him getting more PT, the rookie, and then Chris Jones finishing out his contract. I think that gives you a little bit more ease as opposed to if you were saying you were going all in and you needed to have him get double-digit sacks the final year of the contract, and you just know he's not going to be able to do it because Father Time catches up to him or whatever the case may be.
913-586-7610. My assumption is that most fans, if I gave them the trade-off of, hey, Chris Jones is locked up for 3 more years, that means he's here next season, and there's this path where maybe his cap hit isn't much like you were alluding to, Drew. Next year, it gives you the opportunity to even franchise tag L'Jarius Sneed still for 1 more year. And so basically, I'm giving you 1 more season of Chris Jones and Sneed together. I think most people would sign up for that, even if it means the 2 years after, when he's 32, 33, that perhaps, whether it's injury or just performance, he's no longer the guy that you're paying to be $33 million a year. Like, that's the hang up for me. Like, I want Chris Jones back. This team doesn't win the Super Bowl this past year if it wasn't for Chris Jones. I mean, he was part of the reason why this defense, of course, was as good as it was. And I think it's hard to argue that Chris Jones is not more valuable than L'Jarius Sneed is to this defense. And that's not a shot at L'Jarius. He was incredible this season, but just positional value. Mm-hmm. And the Chiefs have shown they've actually had a lot of success developing at the cornerback position. And so I feel that's the balance, and you have to be okay with that. If you're a Chiefs fan right now and say you got to find a way to bring him back, then in 2 years you almost have to be good then with the possibility, not a guarantee, but the possibility that he is suddenly like a 7 or 8 sack guy. Again, I gave you the numbers what Aaron Donald has been since the contract extension. Chris is a year younger, but at the time of signing it, if it gets signed, but 5 sacks and 8 sacks and only played 11 games one of those years.
It's easy to say, well, if they win if they three-peat, then it's totally worth the money. I think that there's, for lack of a better phrase, if they signed him to this 3-year deal, not that you're going all in, but you're wanting to get, you need to get a Super Bowl out of those 3 years that Chris Jones is there. I think otherwise you could say, well, the contract wasn't necessarily well spent because it didn't, the trade-off wasn't a ring. I guess you could say the same thing with Aaron Donald, where he wins the Super Bowl, gets the deal, and the Rams, if they don't win it this year, they won't have won one in his contract here. But I feel like having the trade-off is good, but I think you need to, having the payoff of a Super Bowl obviously ends the question of whether or not it was a good signing or not, because if you get if you get the Super Bowl, then it paid off.
Yeah, I'm not even looking at Aaron Donald and how it's turned out the last few years that, they haven't won a ring since. We all know that the Rams sold out and won the ring, and they always knew they were going to have major cap issues. The Chiefs, fortunately, are not in that spot, even at the time of a potential signing. Like, the Rams already knew when they were talking to Aaron Donald about the extension that they had already, prior to that even discussion occurring, they had already mortgaged their future to win that one ring, and they won it. The Chiefs potentially could be impacted in 3 years by what could be viewed as a bad deal, but this upcoming season, they're actually in pretty decent shape in the cap spot. They're not anywhere near where the Rams were at, and they're just a better team than what the Rams were roster-wise after winning their Super Bowl against Cincinnati. Go ahead. Which
is why, to your point of tagging L'Jarius Sneed, why not do it for this 1 year? You know you're going to lose Sneed after this upcoming season, but you tag him. You keep everybody around who has basically been around that you can. You make sure that the defense is as good as it was, as good as it could be compared to last year going into the season. The offense obviously is going to upgrade itself. I think that also is the other thing too, that even if you re-sign Chris Jones and the amount of impact that he has goes down a little bit, you know that an offense that had nobody other than Rashee Rice and Kelsey as a receiving core is going to get upgraded. So while his production may dissipate a little bit, you know that the offense is going to hopefully pick back up where they were and what we're used to seeing from the past couple of years with, the output of production at the wide receiver position.
Former Chiefs offensive lineman Mitchell Schwartz, he talked with CDOT yesterday on the drive, and Carrington asked him, is Chris Jones worth this Aaron Donald type of deal?
Is Aaron Donald the true top of the market, and then does he want inflation increases on top of that? Because 2 years ago was his best season. That was his first season when you kind of dive into like the stats and the advanced stuff that he played more similar to an Aaron Donald level. Chris plays a lot. He's on the field a lot. So some of the stats look really good in terms of the total volume of it. But when you look at kind of a snap-by-snap basis and the impact, he's had a lot of really good seasons where he's the second best guy in the league or in that top 5. He's really only had that one season where he was truly at Donald's level in terms of some of the advanced data. So that's probably the Chiefs' perspective, saying you've only done this once. We're not going to pay you when Aaron Donald did this 8 straight years in a row. So it's interesting. You don't really know what's going on unless you're in those rooms, and we're not in that room.
So that's Mitchell Schwartz yesterday on the drive. I still think the one hurdle that's tough for me to get over is just what has changed in the Chiefs' mind that would prompt them to now give him the deal they weren't willing to give him a year ago. And you may just say simply, duh, man, they're going for a three-peat. That's what's changed. Maybe so. I don't know if you can operate that way when this front office has done such a good job of having this, broader approach to extending this window out. Because a year ago, they weren't willing to give him the Aaron Donald type of deal. They weren't willing to do that. Now he's a year older, and not that he was still phenomenal this season, but he had less sacks. Why would you now be willing to get to that dollar amount? And if you're Chris Jones, I don't doubt that he wants to be in Kansas City, but are you now so close to tasting the open market? If you don't get tagged by, March 5th, if you don't get tagged there, you get quote-unquote freedom, right? You get the open market, you get to really get maybe the deal. Somebody will give you the money you're actually looking for, and you were looking for a year ago. So that's what's tricky, I think, about my mind to get to where I think the Chiefs actually are going to get this thing done. But it sounds like in reading text, a lot of people also are factoring in, hey, it's not just that even in 2 years, if you think Chris Jones dips to a 7.5, 8 sack guy, but what is the impact it has on, as you were alluding to, Drew, Karlaftis, and for that matter, Felix Anudike-Uzomah, who's a complete wild card right now. Mm-hmm. We just don't know what he's going to be. I don't think it's fair to say for sure that he's not going to be productive or he is going to be productive. It's going to be a massive season, obviously, for Felix Anudike-Uzomah. But are you confident that if Chris Jones is not part of the picture on the defensive line, that Karlaftis can go from being a 10.5 sack guy? Does he have the next step, the next gear to be a 12-plus sack guy and be that productive without Chris Jones? Remember, Charles Omenihu going to miss a chunk of next year if they choose to not cut him. Mm. So I want Chris Jones back, but I just struggle to find why the Chiefs now would be willing to do something they weren't willing to do a year ago. Yeah, and to that point, I guess, and that reason, if ultimately it comes back to age and how old he would be when it ends up, and he's been great, but if they do move on, not to say that this would actually happen, but the second guy in terms of free agent D-tackle is Justin Matabuke from Baltimore. Projected contract-wise, he's projected to have $7 million less a year for a 4-year deal. He's also 26. Chris Jones is 29. Not to say that there's not a lack of options outside of Chris Jones, which I think allows the Chiefs to really think about it a little bit more and not just if the market was bad and this upcoming draft is okay at that defensive tackle position, maybe you're more inclined to pay that money and just deal with it as it comes. But the fact that the market, I think, is a little bit stronger from a free agent perspective, and I think it allows the Chiefs to really weigh their options and think to themselves, if we move on from Chris Jones, maybe we can get a guy who's not as good but is still a very good defensive tackle who can create pressure, get sacks, that isn't going to cost as much, and we still have a solid defense around whoever that may be. We'll talk more about this with Pete Sweeney, our Chiefs insider. He's going to co-host with me in the 11 o'clock hour today, as we'll have multiple people stopping by throughout the show. Vern will stop by in the noon hour. I do want to get to something that broke right after we got off the air yesterday, and that was punter news, which is not normally something we talked about. I think this is interesting, though. If you were listening on Wednesday, we were going through stay or go. I think Drew was throwing out some players to Cody and I, right? And you threw out Tommy Townsend.
We did.
And we said probably go because you're not going to be able to pay the highest paid kicker or one of the highest paid kickers and maybe the highest paid punter to go with the highest or one of the highest paid quarterbacks and et cetera, as we're talking about what they may have to do for Chris Jones. And so if there's a position that you can not pay the highest money, it's punter, as much as everybody likes Tommy Townsend. And then fast forward to yesterday afternoon, and his fate is pretty much sealed. It's pretty obvious. They're going in a different direction. As the Chiefs signed Matt Verderame, the former 6th-round pick of the Buffalo Bills, punt god, as he was called in college out of San Diego State. And by now, I'm sure a lot of you have read up a little bit on the backstory there, the controversy that surrounded him for a while. The fact that a civil suit now has been dismissed in December opened the door for somebody to sign him. It still happens it's the Chiefs, but this all stems from the suit that accused him of sexual assault and a gang rape at a party. Authorities declined to pursue criminal charges against him and determined he was not even at the party or inside the house when that rape occurred. And so that's why he is cleared to play in the NFL again. And again, somebody was going to sign him. I actually think from a football and business end, is a really, really smart move by Brett Veach in the front office. Again, we're talking about punter. I understand. But Tommy Townsend made like $2.7 million or something like that last year. You and I looked up the highest paid punter this past year made nearly $4 million. So we're not talking a ton of money. But if there's an area on your 53-man roster when you're trying to three-peat and you're trying to figure out a window that you're like, I don't need to pay the top dollar on, it's probably punter. Not to mention Matt Verderame just has a cannon for a leg.
80-yard punts in college.
Flip the field, man. Like you go 3 and out and you're inside your own 14-yard line or 15-yard line, I mean, he can kick it to the he could completely flip the field.
To the opposite 20, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's just insane. And so we'll see. Plus, reports are this morning that he signed a minimum deal with, some injury guarantees. I'm sure some other things in there as well. So you're saving. I mean, they may have signed him to like a $700,000 or $900,000 deal on the books for next year, versus paying Tommy Townsend, who will likely get $3.5 million a year somewhere, if not more. Next year, he signed Drew Rosenhaus to be his agent. I think from a football angle, this is smart. You might end up upgrading or getting the same type of punting ability, Drew, with way less money.
Yeah, no, I think that's the payoff is. It ends up being, if everything's good with Matt, which it seems to be from a football perspective, a really good move to get that transition where you don't even have to. There's not even a, hey, we might have to draft a guy, or we just got to take an undrafted punter to see if we can get somebody different. I mean, this guy was drafted. I don't know if he was the highest drafted punter in his class, but obviously if you're drafting a punter, that guy's got to be pretty legit. And then you look at his college highlights and just see how good he was. While at San Diego State, and I mean the payoff could be dramatic. And also, this being said, this is a good opportunity for the Chiefs' biggest rival and the Bengals to hop on the Tommy Townsend bandwagon and bring him in because they need a punter as badly as anybody else. But it is interesting when you look at I think this is a move that might even be forgotten by the time. It's not going to be forgotten by Chiefs fans, but this is a deal that Adam Schefter sends out that tweet yesterday, and people are probably like, oh. The main thing is coming from the allegations that all happened while he was at San Diego State. People are like, oh, it's a punter. Who cares? But come December or January, when you need to flip the field, and if Arise is back there and he bombs a 75-yard punt, people are going to freak out and say, that's a heck of a punt. And it's like, yeah, this is a great signing by Brett Veach. It could go all the way back to what Brett Veach has done in terms of adjusting the cap just a little bit, the smooth transition that the Chiefs have made from one guy to another, and it could be a great blessing for them come January and December when you need a guy who's on low money to make a big time impact in a game.
This is a financial decision only. Like I see people on the text line are saying Tommy Townsend was awesome in Kansas City. Yeah, it's not an ability thing. It's the fact that Tommy Townsend, because of that ability, signs Drew Rosenhaus. He's going to get paid by a punter standard. He's going to go get a very nice contract from somebody this offseason. And so this was about finances. And this particular season, he was good in the the Super Bowl. It was really good in the Super Bowl, but there are metrics. I can't believe I'm about to bring up punting metrics, but it was not his best season in the time he's in Kansas City. I saw somebody actually put that in the last 3 years. Tommy Townsend, when it came from net yards punt, this year he was 20th out of 32. The year prior he was first. His rookie season he was fourth. So it wasn't as good of a season for him. It just wasn't. But I think this was all a financial move for Kansas City. They can get a guy on a minimum deal at a punter. The position of punter. I mean,
you're paying the guy 25% of what you're paying, or what you would have paid Tommy Townsend to be potentially just as good as he was, if not better, last season.
Someone said, what about holding for Butker? That's one of those where, like, Dave Toub, I hired Dave Toub for a reason. I pay Dave Toub for a reason if I'm the Chiefs. Like, if there's any ounce of concern that by the time they get to the season, my guess is Winchester, Ariza, Butker, they'll get that operation figured out. Remember there was the freak out a year ago because Dustin Colquitt came on this show, I think, or this station, I'm sorry, and there was that comment about, like, Tommy Townsend couldn't hold or whatever, and then that ended within 2 weeks, and then now nobody ever complained about it. So I'm not really concerned about the Matt Ariza holding for Harrison Butker thing. They have all offseason to work together to get that figured. That is very low. Very low. Plus, Harrison Butker has been this. Something tells me Harrison Butker will get that thing figured out with him, along with Dave Toub. But yeah, it was just a really smart move, I think, financially and even maybe football-wise for the Kansas City Chiefs. Coming up in 10 minutes, though, what's the first big move you guys think the Chiefs are making this offseason? We'll tell you what one national outlet has to say are best fits for the top 50 players, which include a couple of current Chiefs and a couple of players that could wind up perhaps in Kansas City. But I did see this crazy story heading into the weekend. Drew, you're the golf guy on the show between the two of us. That is for sure. We know you went golfing. I don't know if you bet on golf very often or not.
No, not really, but sometimes.
Do you know the golfer Carl Yuan? Or Yuan? I don't know how it's pronounced.
I do not.
Carl Yuan. One bettor wagered $6,500 for him to win the Mexico Open this weekend.
Okay.
He used 4 different apps and kiosks at 2 casinos in upstate New York. He would win over $524,000 if this guy wins his first PGA Tour event. And you're probably saying, like, why $6,575? Why are you doing this? Well, because on Monday, this bettor, who must obviously have some money, said in a tweet he would bet $5 on this golfer for every like the tweet got in a 24-hour period. And a lot of times you see those that are like, they're full of crap. Like around the Mega Millions, someone will be like, oh, if you like this, I'll give everybody that likes this $1,000 or whatever. You're like, okay, whatever. Well, he ended up with 1,315 likes. And so he made the bet. And I guess he had to go to different casinos to pull it off because they were probably limiting him.
How's good old Carl doing in the tournament?
I haven't checked today, but after round 1, he was even. He was 8 shots off the lead. So he's got some work to do.
Yikes.
He's got some work to do. Could you imagine if this – because the guy said, I will bet on this golfer for every like I get. He didn't say I'm splitting with the money. So if this dude won because of all this –
he was keeping it. But
yeah, he would get $524,000.
Props to him for actually making the bet, because I think a lot of people – he probably did it as a joke originally, or you would have thought, at least, like you were saying.
I mean, it seems like a waste of money, though, right?
Yes, a complete waste of money. But – I mean, I guess he paid off what he said. It's not like he just did it and was like, no, I actually didn't do it.
I was trying to see the updated leaderboard. I don't know if he's teed off today. He's tied for 51st. He's 1 under now through 6 today. So he's better than he was last night.
He better stay there, otherwise he'll miss the cut.
Yeah.
Yikes, that's tough.
1 under. The leader is 9 under.
Can you imagine throwing 65, 75 down the drain on Carl Young? I don't think so. If I'm betting that much money, I'm betting on the favorite. I'll say that, at least.
But that was the whole point of why people...
But yes.
That was the whole tweet thing.
I've
never heard of this guy in my life.
I have not either.
I figured you would. I rely on you for the golf knowledge here.
The PGA Tour is really circling a lot of new guys in, and maybe it's because I don't pay too much attention to just like the regular tournaments, such as the Mexico Open. Some of the other ones I'll watch, especially I don't know if Tiger's playing, but there's a lot of guys cycling in with Liv taking all the high-profile names that gives other guys an opportunity.
All right, we're just getting started here on a Friday. It's Cody and Gold, Alex Gold, Drew Nixon with you. Pete Sweeney will join us in about a half hour. Up next, the first big move you think the Chiefs are going to make, and what do some of the experts think that move is? Next.
You're listening to Cody and Gold. Don't miss the Chiefs Red Half Hour every weekday starting at 11:30 on your official broadcast partner of the Chiefs, 610 Sports Radio.
Cards issued by Sutton Bank and Celtic Bank, members FDIC. Terms and conditions apply.
The needs of modern businesses are always changing.
but corporate cards haven't evolved in decades. Until now. Meet Ramp, the all-in-one finance platform that combines corporate cards with spend management software. Ramp is the only card designed to actually help your business spend less, not more. With Ramp, you can set custom controls to stop out-of-policy spend before it even happens. And Ramp software even does expense reports for you. No more manual entries, no more chasing receipts. And with best-in-class accounting integrations, you'll close your books in days, not weeks. Ramp gives you better insights and a real-time view of all company spend, so you can stay focused on the big picture and build a healthier business. Join over 15,000 businesses who have switched to Ramp and start saving an average of 5%. Modern finance runs on Ramp. And now get $250 when you join Ramp. Just go to ramp.com/sports. That's ramp.com/sports.
Do you want to skip your car payment this month? How about for 6 months? I'm Jeff Davis, owner of Volkswagen Lease Summit. We're offering payment relief.
Buy a new car at Volkswagen Lease Summit and get no payments for up to 6 months. That's right, no payments for up to 6 months. Or we have low leases starting at $239 a month and rates as low as 2.9% for 60 months.
Get payment relief today at Volkswagen Lease Summit. Visit VWLeaseSummit.com.
Financing through VCI on approved credit. Call 816-841-7383 for details.
It's easy to think all money managers are pretty much the same, but at Fisher Investments, we're clearly different.
Different? How? You sell high commission investment products, right?
No, Fisher Investments doesn't sell any commission-based investment products.
Well, you must earn commissions on trades.
Nope, never at Fisher. We're a fiduciary, obligated to act in our client's best interest. It's the highest standard of care for a financial advisor.
How do you know what's in their best interest?
We get to know our clients and then tailor a portfolio based on their goals and needs.
But you probably sneak in some hidden and layered fees.
No, we have one transparent management fee, structured so we do better when our clients do better.
Wow, you really do look out for your clients.
That's because our top priority is helping them achieve a comfortable retirement. It might be why most of our clients come from other money managers. Visit FisherInvestments.com to find out why investors like you switch to us. Fisher Investments. Clearly different money management.
Investments and securities involve the risk of loss.
When a cold comes on strong, try DayQuil's Severe Honey Flavor. The daytime, coughing, aching, stuffy head, fever, honeylicious, power through your day medicine. Powerful cold and flu symptom relief with a honeylicious taste, so a cold won't slow you down. Get back to your day feeling relieved, enjoying the delicious flavor of DayQuil Severe Honey. DayQuil Severe Honey Flavor soothes your symptoms with a delicious taste. Use as directed. Keep out of reach of children.
With your choice of select sandwich, nugs, fries, and a drink, Wendy's $5 Biggie Bag is your go-to. Your nugget wingman. Your hot and crispy fry co-pilot.
Just like us. We're like the Bag Boys.
What?
Bag Boys, Bag Boys. What you gonna do? What you gonna do when we bring your food?
For a deal you can count on, bet on Biggie and choose wisely. Choose Wendy's.
Bag Boys, Bag Boys.
U.S. price and participation may vary. Includes choice of JVC or crispy chicken sandwich with 4-piece nugs, junior fry, and small soft drink. Third-party delivery pricing may be higher.
This is a special alert to all Americans who own a vehicle with less than 200,000 miles with an auto warranty about to expire or with no warranty coverage at all. Due to a decline in the economy, CarShield is announcing a low-cost month-to-month vehicle protection plan that is now available to the public to save any driver out-of-pocket expenses on future auto repairs. Call now to find out how you can pay almost nothing for covered auto repairs. Yes, you heard that correctly. Pay almost nothing for covered auto repairs. An open phone line has been established for all drivers to call for a free quick quote. Call 800-973-7809 now. Drivers who are covered will not have to pay for covered repairs again. This protection plan is at an all-time low. Additionally, drivers who activate this vehicle protection today will also receive free roadside assistance, free towing, and car rental options at no additional cost. Call us for your free quick quote today. 800-973-7809. That's 800-973-7809. What do you have to lose? Call 800-973-7809. Again, 800-973-7809.
With your choice of select sandwich, nugs, fries, and a drink, Wendy's $5 Biggie Bag is your go-to. Your nugget wingman. Your hot and crispy fry co-pilot.
Just like us. We're like the Bag Boys.
What?
Bag Boys, Bag Boys. What you gonna do? What you gonna do when we bring your food?
For a deal you can count on, bet on Biggie and choose wisely. Choose Wendy's.
Bag boys, bag boys.
U.S. price and participation may vary. Includes choice of JVC or crispy chicken sandwich with 4-piece nugs, junior fry, and small soft drink. Third-party delivery pricing may be higher.
It's a mystery where Old Spice finds its amazing scents like Himalayan sea salt, but I'm thrilled they have because no other body wash exfoliates and moisturizes 24/7 like Old Spice Gentleman's Himalayan sea salt body wash. Now, if only there was a mountain range separating the Indian subcontinent from the Tibetan plateau where I could hide my Old Spice and keep my family from stealing it, my impossibly smooth skin will finally be safe.
Get in zone, AutoZone.
Welcome to AutoZone. What are you working on today? Brakes? We can save you 15% on that. We have OE quality Duralast brake pads and rotors in stock, ready for pickup or delivery. We also have calipers, brake fluid, tools, and anything else you'll need to do the job right. When you get Duralast pads and rotors together, you'll save 15%. It's just part of what makes us America's #1 brakes destination.
Get in zone, AutoZone.
It's that time of year. Cash the ticket. Jim Costa with Mike Valeni. We shift the focus from football to college hoops, playing that system that's not a system, but sure plays like a system, leading up to the tournament. We're looking for that value with the daily dimes. We look for the gross lines, getting us ready for the tournament where we're going to break down all the matchups and have an eye on some future plays, too. This time of year, baby. Search Cash the Ticket on the Odyssey app or wherever you get your podcasts.
The 610 Sports Radio phone line is brought to you by Onder Law Injury Lawyers. Visit getjim.com.
Back here on Cody and Gold, just getting started on a Friday. Alex Gold, Drew Nixon with you. We'll get to a move the Royals made official in the last hour or so, but reports last night and what that move could mean for the future of a few Royals players and what it tells us about this 2024 season. Again, the Royals spring training gets underway this afternoon right here on 610 Sports Radio. 2 o'clock, you'll hear the Royals take on the Rangers. And yes, Drew, at some point, and I'll wait till Vern comes in, but I'm probably going to have to put like $5 on something related to the spring training game. Just something to give me even more reason to care.
What do they have like during spring training? I mean, is it more than just money line and spread and?
Yeah. So because as you saw the lineup today, it's Bobby Witt's not even in the lineup and things like that, and the pitchers are going to pitch for one inning, and that's all you're getting right now. Yeah, just money line. Closer to first pitch sometimes and later in spring training, you'll get some opportunities to do other bets. But right now, the Royals are plus 114 on the money line, and the Rangers are the favorites to win at minus 140.
Over under 9.5 on DraftKings.
So DraftKings is giving you totals? Okay. See, in FanDuel, I can't even find the totals. So
it's 9.5.
Usually high scoring.
Yeah, I was going to say spring training is.
I don't know. I don't know if I'll do total, but I'll throw $5 on the Royals or the Rangers, something like that for the game this afternoon. I'll ask Vern for some.
Too bad we can't bet Vinny gets a home run in his third at bat like you guys are saying.
Yeah, last year we would have been in good shape if that was an opportunity. We'll see. Obviously, Vinnie Pasquantino joined us yesterday on the show. If you missed that interview, you can find it on the Odyssey app and 610sports.com. So. The big moves to come this offseason for the Chiefs, and what does that actually look like? And we've gone through the scenarios of what they may have to do financially with a couple of these positions, corner and defensive line in particular. So for a second, when I say first big move the Chiefs will make this offseason, let me take away what they decide to do with Chris Jones and Snead, because I think that's kind of obvious, right? Like one of the first biggest moves is going to be whether or not they tag Snead or whether or not they sign Chris Jones to a long-term deal. Like, those are the first big moves. But if we take that out of it, I actually think it might be signing a left tackle, going out in free agency and finding a left tackle and a long-term answer there. Now, ESPN put out their best fits for the top 50 players they perceive to be available in free agency. And so the number one player in free agency is obviously Chris Jones. And as I said, they list best team fit as the Chiefs. And if the Chiefs end up making a decision on that obviously is the first big move that they have to make a decision on. But further down, if you're taking a look at some of the names and some of the players, what caught my attention was also L'Jarius Sneed was the 11th best free agent. They have the best fit being the Philadelphia Eagles.
Yeah,
which would be, for Philadelphia, they would love to have L'Jarius Sneed. And then where I'm talking about is tackle. And I'm not sold on the name they mentioned, but I do think left tackle is somewhere that they have to address. So they list Tyron Smith, former Dallas Cowboy. But, man, the guy has missed 30-plus games in the last 4 years. Donovan Smith was injury-prone, but he really only had one injured season in Tampa prior to coming to Kansas City. And then this year, we know towards the end of the season he got hurt, but then played really good in the postseason. Smith is definitely an upgrade when he's healthy, but the dude can't stay healthy. That's what scares me quite a bit for going that particular route. But I do think the first big move, other than making a decision on Snead or Jones, might actually surprise people, and it might be an offensive lineman and not, oh man, Mike Evans or Michael Pittman.
I guess, is Chris Jones count as a big move? I guess. I mean, in this equation, I know he's played on.
Yes, I said I'm kind. It does, but I'm kind of assuming, obviously, that's going to, one way or the other, that's their first big move. Whether they sign him long term or whether he walks, that's their big move, right?
It'll be interesting to see with the. I mean, I guess based on whatever happens, whether it be a wide receiver, I think wide receiver they're going to draft no matter what. If they bring in a tackle in free agency, I don't even know if they address that position in the first couple of rounds because they've already got the answer there. They might draft a guy for depth.
Oh, you're good with Wanya Morris?
Well, I know. I'm saying if they sign a guy in free agency, then we know where they're going at in the draft.
Gotcha.
If they don't sign a guy in free agency, then I think tackle is a possibility at 32. It'll just depend on what happens here in the next couple weeks. I think they're more likely to sign a wide receiver, maybe not a big name guy, and I guess maybe that's not a big move that they make. But I mean, if you sign a guy to be the third wide receiver, I still think it's enough given how badly the wide receiver room looked this past year. I think that's the route that they go first before looking anywhere else, because I think it still opens up things on the table for them to draft a tackle in the draft or sign somebody in free agency.
Yeah.
The problem is, though, I guess it depends on who's coming off the board quickly and who, of course, is having those communications already. I mean, who do you want? I mean, Tyron Smith is 33 years old. I don't know if that's a turnoff.
I want a long-term solution, and that's why I would like them to go off and tackle, but I don't know if Tyron Smith is the guy that, even though he's listed as a top 20 free agent available, that's the route I want to go. I don't want a 1-year stopgap or a 2-year stopgap. And I know when we say long-term, it's the NFL. You're not signing a left tackle unless you drafted him. You're not signing a free agent left tackle that's probably going to be with you for 6 years. We're talking
like a 4-year guy,
a 3+ year left tackle, and I don't know if Smith's that answer either because of his injury history. I'd be intrigued, but that's also another guy. What's his injury history lately? How many games has he played in the last couple of seasons? I want someone that's going to be available. I hear you on the depth in the draft, and I know we've talked to our guy Bink about this.
I just don't know what the direction is.
The tackle is deep in the draft. However, one, are they willing to spend pick 32 on a tackle? And is Andy Reid willing to start a rookie left tackle? Because this past year when they drafted Wanya Morris, now was a mid-round pick, not a first pick.
Yeah.
But a mid-round pick, that was the debate and question we had. And they kind of answered it for us a little bit. They went and signed the veteran. And Wanya Morris only started a couple games because Donovan Smith got hurt. Once Donovan Smith was healthy, they put Donovan Smith right back in, not Wanya Morris. I think Wanya Morris has a chance to compete for the job, but what's the competition? Is it, hey, we feel good about Wanya Morris, we're going to bring in a veteran, and we're going to give Wanya every opportunity to win it, but we're going to bring in a veteran? Or is it, we're going to bring in a veteran, and he's our guy for 2 years, and we'll see where Wanya fits in? Because if they draft another tackle, then you draft a tackle in the first round, that's the guy that you want to win the job. That Wanya Morris then at that point is just depth for you.
If you're drafting a left tackle in the first round, I think he almost has to start.
Correct.
Because unlike Felix Anudike-Uzomah, you obviously had depth at that position anyways, but that was more of a best player available project type of pick. If you're drafting a left tackle, one of the premier positions in the league, I think he has to start. Has
to start. It's just Andy Reid normal, like starting rookie at left tackle.
I know the position's deep, but I guess maybe it comes down to their trust in Wanya Morris, I guess, as to whether or not they actually. I think bringing in a veteran is smart for the reason of Wanya's still young. Yes, he got some reps, but bringing in a guy like whoever it may be, Trent Brown, they got Mike Onwenu also from the Patriots, who's a little bit lower than Trent Brown in the tackle category. But if you bring in a guy that's got some experience, a little bit older, on, say, a 2 or 3 year deal, you see how it works out, and it's not like you're dedicating a ton of money to that position, and maybe you still draft a tackle in like the second round and see if he develops, or if Wanye you think can get even better than what he was. I think wide receiver is the first position because there's multiple. They need not just one or two. They need probably three of them. So they go that route, and then they might look at where the money lines up for some of these tackles, and then they go from there. I don't know if I can I guess put it in as yes, they're going to go for a tackle first.
It depends on which wide receiver you think they're getting, because if it's one of the first days of free agency, then it's going to be a Mike Evans. If T. Higgins didn't get tagged, it'd be a Mike Evans, T. Higgins, Michael Pittman Jr., Hollywood Brown type. If it's Curtis Samuel or Gabe Davis, I don't know if those are guys you have to sign on day one. That may not be the guys that are, during the legal tampering period already being reported as potential signees. Now, if they're going and getting the best left tackle available, that's the guy that's signed day one. If they're going and getting the best, defensive tackle outside of Chris Jones available, then that's a day one thing. So much of this is just going to be sorted out with how they handle Chris Jones between now and the next, 12 plus days. That's what's going to dictate how much money they can spend, but also what are their actual needs, and is there any trades in play? If you were curious, though, so ESPN Plus put out, as I said, their best fits for some of the top free agents. They listed Austin Eckler, best fit, Kansas City. L'Jarius Sneed, best fit to the Eagles. Chris Jones, best fit to Kansas City. And then, in particular, they were going through a few other positions, and the reason why we were discussing potentially who else could come to Kansas City other than Austin Eckler, I just lost track of it. I had a second ago of who they listed. Somebody else that was in their mind a best fit for Kansas City was Tyron Smith, the tackle you and I were talking about earlier.
There's I guess if Austin Eckler's signed, I know we talked about this a little bit yesterday, but I think Austin, if they bring him in, it's got to be a split carry situation, because there's no way that Austin Eckler is going to take a back seat. I don't think. He's going to want to get a role where he at least can play. Maybe, I don't know if his situation might end up like Dalvin Cook's, though, where he's just not signed by anybody, and he's like, well, I got to take, I want to play with somebody, so I'm just going to take a job and just try to play. But I think, to your point, what you said yesterday, Gold, is if you're going to get Austin Eckler and he's going to be your backup, why would you waste that money and spend it on a 6th or 7th round guy, or even a 5th round guy, whatever the case may be, who you like, who can maybe fit as the spell to Pacheco?
What was the projection yesterday? You threw it out there.
Oh, it was 2 years. I want to say
it was going to be $8 million a year.
2 years, around like $16 million total, or something along those lines.
That's crazy for the Chiefs situation. Like Isaiah Pacheco. Do you need to have other complementary backs? We learned that this year. Maybe he gets banged up. Obviously, Jerick McKinnon, when he was here, had a role. Clyde stepped in at times.
$6.75 mil per year. So it'd be a 2-year 14, essentially.
I'm not interested in doing that for a running back spot. Not in Kansas City with where they're at as a franchise and the window that they're in and the priorities in other areas. You have Isaiah Pacheco on an extremely team-friendly deal because of where he was drafted. And we know the running back value and where the market sits. None of these contracts are crazy, but do I need to bring in a guy that's going to basically kind of have a Jerick McKinnon type role, if not a slightly bit more, in Austin Eckler, and pay him $6 to $7 million a year? I just don't think that's smart allocation of your money if you're the Chiefs. Austin Eckler I would love in Kansas City. I just, like anything, right? The dollar amount has to be right. And that one, to me, you can get another receiving type of back, even though I thought Pacheco got better as a receiving option this year. You got to have another running back, but to me, you can find another, whether it's an undrafted guy or draft somebody in the 6th round. I just don't know if you need to spend, $4+ million on a backup / split back in this team. Other teams, because of where they're at offensively and limitations, sure. But when the Chiefs are paying Mahomes what they're paying, we want them to go and spend some good money on receivers. They're maybe going to be paying L'Jarius Sneed $19 million on a tag. They're maybe going to be paying Chris Jones top defensive lineman money. Nick Bolton could be getting, $15 million a year on a new deal here before we know it. Like, I just don't think running back, much like we just discussed with a punter, positional priority, not really the spot where I'm looking to spend a lot of money, especially for a guy that's not my starter. If you told me Isaiah Pacheco was out for the season or something, okay, completely different conversation. Yeah, you need to go spend some money and go get a reliable back, but they're not in that spot.
I feel like, too, if you I wonder how much they're weighing not just the Chris Jones production and all that other stuff, but also how important is getting a left tackle in there and trying to allocate the money that's necessary to get whoever it is, fill in the blank, to be there. If they think that they can draft a guy and it's okay and they don't have to bring in, Trent Brown or whoever, then that money, I think, goes to Chris Jones, and I think he's paid. If they think we can get a defensive tackle who's productive for $10 million or $7 million less a year, who's a little bit younger, and then use that money to help go after a proper left tackle, and I think a lot of it revolves around Chris Jones. In the end, is Snead, I think, is taken care of. You would think that they're just going to tag him and deal with it. Whether they keep him later or not, it doesn't matter. Tag him, get it over with. But all of it comes down to Chris Jones. I think, are you paying him top dollar? And if you are, maybe you sacrifice paying money for a top left tackle in free agency, and as a result, you need to draft a guy in that first round to try to give yourself a competition with Wanye in camp, where you have a solid option at left tackle and not just crossing your fingers hoping it works out situation.
Yeah, I mean, like, you want to have the most complete 53-man roster possible, but hearing what you're saying, look, the likelihood of them signing Chris Jones to a long-term deal and tagging Snead and going out and spending for top-dollar wide receivers seems pretty slim to me. Right?
So even a top tackle?
So
as well as
like, to me, if Chris Jones is signed to a 3-year deal, there's a chance that in year one it's only like $12 to $15 million on the books, and then it's the following year where it picks up. So so let's say it's 12. We kind of talked about this with Matt Verderame yesterday. Mm-hmm. So let's say it's 12 to 15. Then you tag Snead, that's $18.8 million. All right, that's less money, or about the same money as what the tag would be just for Chris Jones, because the tag just for Chris Jones is $32 million. Okay, so you can make that work for this particular season. Does that limit you, though, from going out and signing, I know everybody wants Mike Evans or whoever as the top wide receiver on the market?
It's a lot tougher.
Yeah, and so I don't think you can. Offering. Oh, and again, as I mentioned, Nick Bolton. You can't do everything. I think is there a scenario where they could keep Snead and Jones? Yeah, it's again.
You
Snead,
just have to know what you're sacrificing by keeping them.
And how do they feel their best path to build this team back to where they're back in the Super Bowl again?
That's right. I think that you look at Matt Abuki. If you convince him, his projected contract $7 million less per year, and the guy's 26, not 29. I mean, that might be a home run. I know Chris Jones is the better of the two of them, but in terms of saving yourself money that you can spend, whether it be to keep Nick Bolton or whether it be to get a left tackle, which again, as important as Chris Jones is, having a good left tackle is as important as having. I mean, if you got to protect, Mahomes' backside so he's not getting blindsided.
Yeah. So, if you told me that they had to start Wanye Morris at left tackle, and the trade-off is, okay, I could go out and sign what is perceived to be the best left tackle on the market,
and you keep Chris Jones?
No. It's like I don't think you can do both. So, okay. If I have a choice, I would rather, if you told me that I could have Chris Jones for 3 more seasons, but Wanye Morris is my left tackle for the next 2 of them instead of having what is perceived to be the best left tackle available, I'd probably roll the dice, actually, and say I'll go with Wanye Morris, bring in a veteran to back him up, basically, as an insurance policy, and then I would still have Chris Jones. That's probably the route I would go. I tag Snead, and I don't sign Snead to a long-term deal. I just tag him, and I just have... No, I think Nick Bolton, you're gonna pass up, obviously, on Willie Gay, and we'll talk about this with Pete Sweeney. I think Nick Bolton, you can still get a deal done with in that scenario. If you're asking me, can they sign Chris Jones, tag Snead, sign a top left tackle, and what? No, they can't do all of that. That's streaming, even though the cap is going up. So we'll keep talking about this. Pete Sweeney's going to join us in 12 minutes or so. I'll get his checklist for the offseason and how does he see the path going. Would he rather pay Nick Bolton to go with Chanel, or would he rather say, you know what? Don't pay Nick Bolton, but pay a combination of Tranquil Gay and Chanel. I don't think that's the path the Chiefs are going. I think it's more likely they'll pay Nick Bolton kind of top linebacker money, which isn't something a lot of people believe you should do. But it's hard not to believe that's the path they go when we hear Steve Spagnuolo talk about how much Nick Bolton means to this team. And it's also making sure you got guys in the right spots, and who's in charge with the green dot and all that. Do they have somebody else they think can actually step in and do that? It's not solely hey, he's not great in coverage, but is that enough to offset what they get from him? So we'll get into that more with Pete Sweeney in just a little bit. Meanwhile, the Royals, as we said, they got baseball coming up this afternoon right here on 610 Sports Radio as the spring training game will get underway. They made a move last night, now official today. Catcher Austin Nola, another catcher. So that's like 3 options now. You've got Salvi, of course, and then Freddie Fermin, and then Austin Nola. I wonder if it's a 1-year deal, by the way, according to Annie Rogers. And it's a major league deal. This is not a minor league deal, but he does have options. I don't know if they promised him anything, like that they wouldn't send him down or anything like that, but he does have options. So it's not 100% guarantee that, it's just going to be Salvi and Austin Nola on the major league roster for opening day. But I thought it was interesting because Nola was in San Diego with Michael Wacha and Seth Lugo a year ago. And so is it just, look, you can never have enough catching depth anyway, but are they really going to have 3 catchers on the opening day roster? I don't think so. So what's the change? Does something happen during spring training? I guess you're always protecting yourself due to injury, but the Brewers cut him yesterday, and then the Royals picked him up right away.
Yeah, I think that he's a good, just from me following the Padres a little bit more because my wife and I.
Oh, is that your team? People were asking on the text line if you're going to at least be a Royals guy.
I will be a Royals guy.
Okay.
But we follow the Padres. I like Manny Machado. He's one of my favorite players. My wife likes Fernando Tatis, and their broadcast crew is great. Anyways, Austin Nola is good. He's a solid veteran option that he's not a great hitter for being a catcher. Of course, not a lot of catchers are good hitters anyways. My big issue, I guess, with Austin Nola is that he allows steals.
Yeah, but if he's
so last year, I think he allowed 38 stolen bases and just caught 5 stealing. So I think that he's a good backup option. I don't know if he can be your guy.
Well, they don't need him to be your guy.
And
that's Perez.
And that's why I think that he's a good backup option to Salvi. He's a guy that can do the job, has the connection, as you mentioned, with Wacha and with Lugo. He probably is the favorite to be the backup, I guess, in my mind, for that reason. And he's been in the league for a long time and can do the job at a good enough level where you're not concerned by Salvi having an off day and needing to go to a backup catcher.
Yeah, we'll ask Fern about this when he joins us in the noon hour today to get his perspective on it. I think, he's going to be the guy that, day game after night game, and he's going to be catching on Sundays, if that actually happens.
It's a good backup option to have because he started last year, a majority of it.
Yeah, it's the very beginning of spring training, so based off of performance, injury, all that, this could all get sorted out as well. But I thought it was interesting that they brought in now a third catcher that has a chance to be on the opening day roster other than the obvious, which is Salvador Perez. So that was just a minor move. The Royals made that official today. I saw some people asking about could Salvi just play more DH. We have been talking about that for a couple years. I think it's been pretty evident, though, that hasn't necessarily been the path that they have chosen to go down 100%. But yeah, I that to me would extend his career. That to me would obviously help his bat. But that also doesn't take into account something I think that they've been cognizant of, which is the legacy aspect. If you think one day Salvador Perez is going to the Hall of Fame, some of his numbers, why are they as impressive as they are? It's because when he is as a catcher, not as a DH. And so I wonder if that doesn't play a little bit of a role in all of this as well.
I feel like with Salvi's the exception to the. A lot of times, you not necessarily move on, but you make adjustments based on what's best for the team. I think in this situation, Salvi's been so good to the Royals that not that they would allow him to make the decision, but like, hey man, like, do you want to keep catching? It literally is up to you. Like if you want to move to DH, that's something that we can figure out. If not, then it's up to you. They make him or they allow him to make the decision.
I'll have to look it up. Salvador Perez, just how many games was he behind the dish versus DHing last season? We'll get to that a little bit later on the show. Someone says, man, Drew, you have strange.
I'm all over the place.
It is true. Like you grew up in Indy. We've already talked about this. Obviously, you're a Cincinnati fan, Bengals that is, and you went to Butler, but you're really not a Butler fan. You're a Wisconsin fan, and then you're a Padres fan.
I don't.
But you
know
never
if I
lived in California, right?
I don't consider. No, correct. I don't consider myself a Padres fan necessarily. I'm the epitome of what my wife is as a sports fan is she loves players. She's a player focused person, not a city or a team person as much. That's the way I am with baseball. I like a bunch of baseball players. A few of them happen to play on the Padres. The broadcast crew is great with Don Orsillo and mud, and I think that's the reason why I love the team and I follow them a little bit. I don't have a Padres jersey. I don't have any Padres
Not yet.
here. I do have a little trash can, I guess, as a like a piece of memorabilia, I guess. But I don't like
you have a Padres trash can.
I do. If I get a jersey, I'm getting a Bobby Witt Jr. jersey first and foremost. I'm not getting a Manny Machado jersey, as much as I love Manny Machado. I'm getting a baby blue Bobby Witt Jr. jersey that does not have the Quick Trip patch on it.
You better buy one quick.
I know. I need to go and get it quickly. But now that he signed us, the perfect time to get a Bobby Witt Jr. jersey.
All right, coming up next, we'll get right back into the Chiefs. Pete Sweeney from Arrowhead Pride going to co-host with me for the 11 o'clock hour. I want to get his priority checklist for this offseason and a trash of the day that is perfect for Pete Sweeney. Next.
Cody and Gold, weekdays starting at 10 on 610 Sports Radio and the Odyssey app.
Men, this is Jeff for Heartland Men's Health. And you've heard me talk a lot about how treating low testosterone can improve your sleep, your workouts, your energy levels, and more. But today I want to talk to you about your sex drive, because low testosterone can have a significant impact on your desire for intimacy. It can even be a factor in erectile dysfunction. And if you're in a relationship or wanting to be in a relationship, a low sex drive could really be a problem. The good news is that if you're like most guys, treating your low testosterone could really change the way you feel about sex, giving you back the flame and desire that is so important when you love someone. So if you're feeling sluggish and tired, if you're not sleeping well, if your workouts aren't that great, and most of all, if your sex drive is more like a putt, make an appointment at Heartland Men's Health and have your testosterone levels checked. Your initial visit is only $99 and includes blood work and a medical consult. And if you start on testosterone the day of your appointment, your visit is free. Call 844-447-6600 or go to heartlandmenshealth.com. We have 2 offices, Overland Park, Kansas, and Independence, Missouri.
Advent Health welcomes the KC Golf Show February 23rd through 25th at the Overland Park Convention Center. See Tom Watson with Watson Links and enjoy new women's and kids programs Saturday at the show. Front door bonuses and tickets at kansascitygolfshow.com.
I'm McCall with Lee Summit Subaru. We've added even more incentives to buy from us. An exclusive lifetime warranty. Your first maintenance is free. Lee Summit Subaru just discounted up to $3,500 off MSRP or 0% financing for 63 months on the 2024 Subaru Outback. Bonus cash, 0%, free maintenance, and a lifetime warranty. That's why you'll fall in love with driving again at Lee Summit Subaru. The Subaru A Lot to Love event.
The service contract is not provided or backed by the manufacturer of the vehicle. The manufacturer of the vehicle is not responsible for the claims or repairs under this service contract.
Hey, Kansas City, it's Jeff Briggs at Victory Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram with a public service announcement. We buy cars. That's right. Even if you do not purchase a replacement from us, we still want to pay top dollar for your current vehicle. In fact, to make the transaction as easy as possible, we just opened our all-new vehicle buying center located in our freshly remodeled service lounge. Simply visit us on site or go to sell2victory.com. Within minutes, my buying center specialist will contact you with an industry-leading offer. Once again, that is sell2victory.com, where our first offer is better than their last.
Diabetes, high blood pressure, anxiety meds, everyone's on them. If you're a 50-year-old male, maybe a bit porky, and you may even have type 2 diabetes, $1 million of term insurance may only cost you about $200 a month. Call Term Provider. Speak with Big Lou at 800-555-1509. Big Lou will find a term life policy for you even if you have type 2 diabetes, are overweight, or have high blood pressure. Term Provider has helped thousands of people like you who think they can't afford term life insurance. To buy $1 million of affordable term life for you, all you need to do is call Big Lou at 800-555-1509. Lou will make sure the scales are tipped in your favor. Call 800-555-1509. Big Lou will answer your call and work to fit you into a term life policy that you can afford. Remember, Big Lou's like you. He's on meds too. Call 800-555-1509. 800-555-1509 or biglou.com.
I'm getting vaccinated with Prevnar 20, a Pfizer vaccine.
So am I, because I'm at risk for pneumococcal pneumonia.
If you're 19 or older with chronic conditions like asthma, diabetes, COPD, or heart disease, or are 65 or older, you are at increased risk for pneumococcal pneumonia. Ask your doctor or pharmacist about Prevnar 20, pneumococcal 20-valent conjugate vaccine. It can help protect you against pneumococcal pneumonia in just one dose. Even if you've already been vaccinated with other pneumonia vaccines, Prevnar 20 may help provide added protection. Prevnar 20 is approved for adults to help prevent infections from 20 strains of the bacteria that cause pneumococcal pneumonia. Continued approval may depend on a supportive study. Don't get Prevnar 20 if you've had a severe allergic reaction to the vaccine or its ingredients. Adults with weakened immune systems may have a lower response to the vaccine. Side effects include pain and swelling at the injection site, fatigue, headache, muscle, and joint pain. For full prescribing information, please call 1-855-213-2138 or visit Prevnar20.com.
Join Mark Patrick Seminars Lose the Weight or Stop Smoking. Seminar Monday, February 26th, Holiday Inn and Suites, Overland Park. Weight loss 5:30 p.m. Stop Smoking Seminar 8 p.m. Register 30 minutes before seminar. Information, markpatrickseminars.com.
Is switching your wireless service to Total by Verizon easy?
Totalmente.
And you get unlimited 5G data, $25 a line for 4 lines on the unlimited plan at an amazing price with no contracts. Should you switch to Total by Verizon? Definitely.
Totalmente.
Find a store or switch suavemente at totalbyverizon.com. Monthly rate when you activate with autopay plus taxes and fees. Discount begins the month after you enroll. Additional terms apply. See website for data management practices.
Get in zone, AutoZone.
Welcome to AutoZone. What are you working on today? Brakes? We can save you 15% on that. We have OE quality Duralast brake pads and rotors in stock, ready for pickup or delivery. We also have calipers, brake fluid, tools, and anything else you'll need to do the job right. When you get Duralast pads and rotors together, you'll save 15%. It's just part of what makes us America's #1 brakes destination.
Get in zone, AutoZone.
1 in 4 car batteries is weak and needs to be replaced. Let our professional parts people test your battery for free at O'Reilly Auto Parts.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
Wendy's new breakfast 2 for $3 Biggie Bundles let you create your own delicious combo. Choose from a sausage biscuit, egg and cheese biscuit, small seasoned potatoes, and a medium hot coffee. But it's obvious which combo's the best. Sausage biscuit and small seasoned potatoes. Well, maybe it's the fresh cracked egg and cheese biscuit with a medium hot coffee. Or 2 savory sausage biscuits. Whichever you pick, you can't go wrong. Choose wisely. Choose Wendy's new 2 for $3 Biggie Bundles.
Limited time only. U.S. price and participation may vary. Not valid in a combo. Single item at regular price.
Always find what you love at Total Wine & More. With so many bottles to choose from at the lowest price, it's easy to find your favorite Cabernet or a new single barrel bourbon to try. With the lowest prices for over 30 years, find what you love and love what you find at Total Wine & More.
Spirits not sold in Virginia and North Carolina. Drink responsibly. B21.
You're listening to 610 Sports Radio from the Mission Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling Studios. You're listening to the sounds of the dynasty.
For the first time in 6,944 days, there is a back-to-back Super Bowl champion, and it is the Kansas City Chiefs.
The official broadcast partner of the Chiefs, 610 Sports Radio, KCSP Kansas City, WDAF HD2 Liberty, always live on the free Odyssey app.
11 o'clock hour, it's Cody and Gold, Alex Gold with you. Drew Nixon, Pete Sweeney, at least for the next hour. Cody's out today. He'll be back with us on Monday. We have Pete Sweeney, our Chiefs insider from Arrowhead Pride, the editor-in-chief, in studio, fresh off a nice little trip out east. I saw you were at the, do they call it the Stadium Classic, or what do they call that hockey match?
It's called the Stadium Series.
Stadium Series, okay.
Yeah. So that was cool. One of the cooler sporting events I've ever gone to. If you're a hockey fan, I would recommend trying to get out to one of these outdoor games, and it was a great game. I happen to be a Rangers fan, and they made a comeback. They were down 2 with like 4 minutes left and then scored in overtime.
That was cool. I feel like the luster of some of the New Year's, what do they used to play on New Year's Day outdoors when they played at Tahoe and then they had the ice issue, and now they got away from that.
While saying that I thought that was fun, I liked it when it was just one game a year. It was called the Winter Classic. They still do the Winter Classic, but now there's like 4 or 5 outdoor games a year. So I went to one of those. It was cool. It was my cousin's bachelor party. He had a great time. So we really enjoyed it, and now I'm back in KC for the offseason. We got the Combine next week.
Hey, can you believe that? Like Drew and I were talking before the show. This is what happens when the Chiefs season just goes till mid-February every year, and the parade goes till mid-February every year.
I have done the math, and when people like to say, oh, look at Patrick Mahomes. He's played 18 postseason games. I've covered an extra season of football since 2018 as well, and we all have. So, it is crazy how fast the offseason goes, and that's what's so hard about repeating once and going back-to-back, let alone trying to go for this three-peat, because when you win the title, it's sort of like the season lasts even longer because this season isn't even over for the Chiefs in the sense of, they're going to have that ring night. They are getting opportunities like you've seen. Even McCole Hardman, I believe, he was on Jimmy Kimmel. I'm sure somebody will do Saturday night.
Mr. Walk-Off jersey at the NBA Celebrity All-Star game.
So, I mean, and we'll see if McCole Hardman comes back. I know he was on the one-year contract. But what I'm saying is it takes a while to even just get over that one season. Then all of a sudden you're back in the new season quicker than anybody, and you're expected to do the same thing again. So it'll be interesting to see how the Chiefs navigate. But that's what's so hard about repeating and keeping that same energy.
How do you approach this offseason if you're Brett Veach, knowing that, you have a chance to make history, be the first franchise to ever three-peat?
Yeah.
Does that creep into your mind, do you think, when you're going about making moves? Because I think they've done such a good job of not risking the future while still making sure they would probably tell you they're all in every year, but not the way I feel like some people will say all in. They're like, hey, I don't care about 2 years from now. Just win now.
Yeah, absolutely not. I mean, I think that's what has made the team sustain success each and every year and give themselves an opportunity every year. It's just not going all in on one season. You know who did that? The Los Angeles Rams. And it was cool, right? Like they won the Super Bowl. That was awesome. I think a lot of Kansas City fans are thanking God with those annoying Cincinnati fans of Joe Burrow
That's right. Drew, I mean, my goodness.
Winning.
Yeah.
How annoying are the Cincinnati Bengals fans?
Awful.
No offense to you. Drew, you're not an annoying one.
Thank
but
you.
Generally speaking, Cincinnati Bengal fans are annoying. And with their tweeting and stuff. But they went all in. They had that shirt, right? F these picks and you say F to the picks, and now you are fighting to be a playoff team on a year in, year out. So, I mean, as much as Kansas City wants it, I would think they want it better than anything. This is what Clark Hunt has wanted. He wanted to be the premier NFL franchise. It seemed unfathomable when it was 2012 and they were going through that whole season. Now they're there, and I don't think they would risk that just to be like, okay, we did something that nobody else did. And that's not to say they won't do it. I just think they're going to be smart about it.
So when you lay out, and I think you guys have done this a little bit over at Arrowhead Pride, but Pete's checklist here, the first 3 or 4 steps of the offseason,
right?
What do they look like?
Yeah, I think you got to figure out what happens with Jones and Snead first, because I think that is the first step of like how the rest of it is going to be dictated. Because let's say they choose to let Jones go and they keep Snead, then all of a sudden I think defensive tackle might be a greater need than wide receiver. I know that we're not really talking about that much. And it's like, what are you going to do at that position? Then it can be reversed where it's like, well, they're going to go all in on Jones. Now you're looking at potentially a cornerback in the first round, maybe instead of a wide receiver, right? I think either defensive need suddenly becomes your most important need entering the offseason if you go in one direction or another. So I think figuring that out is first. I think wide receiver in the free agent market is on the checklist. This is a nice free agent class. I think they're going to address that position in both free agency and the draft. I think hidden here also is left tackle. Like, is Wanye Morris good enough? Did they feel like those 4 games were good enough for them to move on there? Because left tackle is a really important position. And I also think, and shout out to Cody, who's not here today, hashtag, is Creed good? Because I think he has the yips. And
something's up there.
I wonder what you're doing as far as the interior of the offensive line. So, I think there's a lot of things that need to be addressed, but it's hard for me to be like, well, this is step 1, because I think the step 1 sort of dictates 2, 3, 4, 5.
Yeah, we could talk about the exact Chris Jones contract and the comparisons to Aaron Donald and what people are good with. We can do that here in about 20 minutes or so during the Chiefs Red Half Hour. I brought up the left tackle as well. Drew and I were talking about that in the first hour of the show, because that's interesting to me, like looking at the free agent crop of left tackles.
Yeah.
There's some guys that are injury prone, 33 years old. Like, I think they need to go find, again, another 3-year option at left tackle. And how often can you go with these 1-year stopgaps? It worked out all right, certainly, with Donovan Smith this year. Wanye Morris, do you bring in a veteran to compete with him? Or if they spend their first-round pick on a left tackle, well, then that's the guy that's playing left tackle, not Wanye Morris. So then you're kind of, he's just a backup long-term for this team?
Yeah, my understanding of, the way the draft was going last year was the initial plan was to go get wide receiver. That didn't work out. Then they were all in on the offensive lineman and ended up going to Jacksonville. Anton Harrison, I believe. Then they were like, okay, maybe we want an edge rusher. I don't think they wanted to take – I've talked to you guys about this. I don't think they wanted to take Felix in that spot. They were hoping to trade down a little bit, maybe still get him, and wasn't able to do that. So they ended up with Felix. I think we'll see on Felix. I think he had a nice few snaps in the Super Bowl. We've seen him here and there. The coaching staff is high on him. We'll see how he goes there. But I think them considering the offensive lineman who went to Jacksonville tells you that they would like a young offensive lineman of the future, especially at one of those end positions. And so for me, I think that's a need as well. I mean, they've done a really nice job of drafting offensive linemen in the middle rounds. And I think ideally what you do here is I think you got to go get one of those defensive positions that I mentioned, be it Snead or Jones's position, or if you feel like you're in a good spot and you finally feel like you have your guy, trade up and try to go get that wide receiver in a wide receiver-rich draft. Someone was asking on the text line, and Donovan Smith, is there any scenario where you could actually see them running that back? I mean, in the playoffs, he was very good, but it wasn't great during the regular season. Yeah. I mean, I think there's an angle there. I think he was, an average left tackle. They've managed with that. At a certain point, you'd want, I think, that position to be as strong as you feel about your guards. At a certain point, and so I think there's a case to be made for Smith to return. But we did the same thing with Carlos Dunlap. Was in a different place, and we always just thought he would be back in Kansas City, and it never came to fruition. So I think there is that break glass of emergency. Maybe Smith would be willing to come back on a nice team friendly type of contract, but I think ideally it's either Morris or you're going to get somebody better to compete with them, and you try to figure it out from there. We're talking to Pete Sweeney. He's joining me for the next full hour here on Cody and Gold. We'll get to the trash of the day in 10 minutes or so, and I want to get back, obviously, to Chris Jones here in a little while, but the rest of the NFL, I mean, this is the best time of the year. I mean, this is, for a lot of teams, this is their Super Bowl. The Chiefs, we get two of them. We get the fun speculation about offseason, and we get the results on the field to talk about. Well, for guys like our boy Aaron Ladd, who's an Atlanta Falcons fan, he is checking Twitter and social media constantly because he's wondering if Justin Fields is going to. That's the direction I actually wanted to head in. Let me give you the three kind of veteran quarterbacks. I'll put Fields in the veteran quarterback conversation for the sake of this. Fields, Cousins, Wilson. Where do you see them ending up? Because Kirk Cousins is the one that I think actually can take you to a little bit of another level. Like Kirk Cousins, I don't think he's staying in Minnesota. And if all of a sudden Kirk Cousins goes to Atlanta, I think all of a sudden the Falcons, not only are they the heavy favorites to win the NFC South, but they could be a little bit of the Lions team from a year ago where they go to an NFC title game. I really believe that's the kind of jump they could take with Kirk Cousins. Yeah, I wonder where these guys land. I mean, it is anyone's guess, I think, to an extent. But I think when you're talking about destinations, Atlanta is very, very attractive because of the division. I mean, you've seen in Kansas City, we can be honest here, the division has been pretty weak. And we saw that with the Brady and the Patriots dynasty where if you have a weak division, it makes the road a lot easier to get in the postseason because obviously you're playing these teams 6 times a year, and you look at the weapons that team has. I mean, it's hard to argue with Atlanta not being like a contender once they are able to address the quarterback position. At that point, you have no excuses. So I like one of those quarterbacks to go there. It seems like the tea leaves are saying that Fields would like to go there, but I mean, he's not in charge of his rights, all right? Like, they're going to end up sending him wherever they feel like they got to trade him, right? Like, there's just no way that Fields is going to be the guy over 2 straight years where they could have drafted a franchise quarterback. My feeling is, like, say you could get Justin Fields on a rookie deal starting right now, maybe they choose Fields. Yeah. But it's just the idea of, the quarterback in the draft, whoever they end up choosing, is probably in their eyes right along the same skill level as Fields, and you offer yourself an opportunity to reset the franchise. I mean, we saw it in Kansas City when Patrick Mahomes was on his rookie deal. You can really load up the roster. So I just think that in the long run is going to be too attractive to Ryan Poles and company, and so they're going to end up trading him for sure. But I wonder where it is. And like I was saying with the domino effect of, like, what's the Chiefs offseason going to look like? I feel like Fields might be the first piece to fall, and then you kind of see where Kirk Cousins and Russell Wilson end up going. I don't think either player is going to be with their current teams, and they can make an impact elsewhere. Like, I actually thought Russell Wilson was okay. It was much better. Yeah. Not for the contract he was making, but definitely was much. If he was on a better contract, you could live with it, and maybe that's what one of these other teams end up doing. You would have hoped that Eric Bieniemy had a better quarterback than Sam Howell. Like, Russell Wilson would have been better than that because he's got experience. He's won a Super Bowl so on and so forth. And then Kirk Cousins is the grand wild card. I don't know where he's going to end up going. And he is somebody that has led teams to postseasons before, and same type of thing what we're saying about Atlanta. A team that's missing a quarterback, if you don't have a quarterback, you don't have anything. So I am curious to see where Kirk lands.
The rest of the AFC West, I mean, you just made the comment a little while ago that, it's not been a good division. Yes, the Chiefs have dominated it, and so the Chiefs have played a role in that. But knowing that, okay, you got 2 new head coaches in the division heading into the season, we know, with Pierce and Harbaugh. The Raiders don't have a quarterback. The Broncos don't have a long-term answer at quarterback either. Of the potential free agent moves that could go down, which team do you think has a chance to actually go and make a difference to where not just that the random national publication crowns somebody off-season champs, but truly go out and add to what they already have?
Yeah, I hate to – you're asking me a question of like process of elimination, and I hate to mimic the national media, but it's got to be Los Angeles, right? Because they have Justin Herbert. I mean, we've seen Herbert have these flashes of being an elite quarterback, and it's been a long time since like he was able to get some consistent coaching. You got to imagine now that Harbaugh's in place, he's going to be there for at least a couple years. And like we talked about that with Alex Smith, where at the beginning of Alex Smith's career in San Francisco, it was one offensive scheme, another offensive coordinator, this coordinator, that coordinator, and it was really tough for him to find consistency. Ultimately, gets replaced by Cap, comes here, gets that consistency, and it's not like Alex was a Hall of Famer, but you can see the difference. And so, man, I think Justin Herbert has those raw traits. We have seen moments in games where, in a way, he makes these Mahomes-like plays. Nobody's Patrick Mahomes. That's not what I'm saying, but I just think you've seen flashes of greatness, and I think now that there should be some consistency there, it's got to be L.A. that has the best chance. And then until these other 2 teams figure out what they're going to do with quarterback and have a plan in place, it's really hard for me to be sold on, okay, yeah, they're going to compete with the Chiefs for the division.
Yeah, the chart, Herbert, I think in Kansas City, everybody's like, okay, this guy's just not any good because everybody's been talking him up for multiple years, and then
he's good.
Yeah, as I say, like he's good. I think the top 5 conversation stuff obviously is not there anymore and shouldn't be at this point. But he
could play his way back into that, but you have to see it.
I don't know if this year will be the fair year, but at some point, I know QB wins and losses, like that stat is ridiculous at times because Alex Smith was one of the winningest quarterbacks. By that logic, Alex Smith's a Hall of Famer. But if you're Justin Herbert, and you and I both acknowledge where he's at, and we both think he's still a very, very good quarterback, in 2 years from now, if Harbaugh's the coach and seemingly things are there, if he hasn't taken them to the postseason and won a playoff game, at some point, though, it does become a Justin Herbert thing, right?
Well, now the excuses are done, right? Like you finally have your head coach in place. He's got this grand pedigree. It has to work. I mean, this kind of feels like the Chargers Andy Reid moment where they had a lot of pretenders for years and years and years, and now they feel like they have an adult in place, so to speak. Not to say that some of the Michigan off the field stuff was exactly adult.
Drew was dressed up like Connor Stallions yesterday. He had the Michigan hoodie, the Michigan shorts. He was just needed a Michigan hat.
Yeah, and got to get the hoodie up and some sunglasses so you can steal some suns.
Yes.
Yeah. No, but I think you're right. Now it shifts to Herbert and says, okay, you've had these excuses. I believe them because I like Justin Herbert. Mm-hmm. But now you have to win a playoff game. You're right, and it'll be a defining year in the next year or two for Herbert in the course of his career. It's like, are you going to be on this franchise quarterback level, or are you going to be with someone we were just talking about, Kirk Cousins, right? Where you do just enough, and then you can't really seal the deal at the end.
Do you think in like 4 or 5 years? Is Harbaugh still there in 4 or 5 years? I mean, if you look at the track record, he does win everywhere he goes.
Right.
But it usually ends with controversy
or
with I think we kind of, and that's why the Chargers ultimately were the landing spot for him, because they were willing to let him do everything his way and let him have full control and all of this. In 5 years, it would not stun me if he's not the head coach, and not because they don't win games for a while. I could just see at some point that he gets run out again.
If you're saying that you're going to believe in these coaches that are in the rest of the AFC West, you're also simultaneously saying that you're betting against, in a way, Mahomes and Reed. And like, as great as Sean Payton is, as much as I like Antonio Pierce, like Pierce was a great player. Steve Spagnuolo loves him. I like him. Same thing with Harbaugh, where you respect it. They got to win against Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes. Like, they're expected to win a division. I don't like that bet on any of those guys, and so it'd be tough for me to be like, Well, Antonio Pierce is in place. He's going to be the head coach for the next 10 years. And same thing with names like Harbaugh and Peyton. It's a very tough ask. I mean, we're talking about divisions. I would much rather be in the NFC South than the AFC West and have to play Mahomes and Reed and whatever the Chiefs build. And so I'd like to think that these coaches will last. But if you have this, I think I've accessed it on Wikipedia where they have these charts of like AFC West coaches, and it's just 10, 11 years of Andy Reid where it's just one box, and then the rest of them are just box. And how can you expect that to change?
Coming up in 10 minutes, we'll get to the Chiefs Red half hour. I want to run the Aaron Donald, Chris Jones production/salary comparisons by him a little bit, and would you rather sign one of these linebackers or the group? We'll explain that coming up later with Pete Sweeney. But it's that time of the day where we get to the trash.
Trash of the day. This
was perfect for Pete Sweeney to be in studio for. I was actually glad that this trash of the day didn't make it on the air yesterday. I'll ask Vern the same question, and we'll talk this one out together. I don't know if you've seen you just got back from the New York area, correct? You were in New Jersey.
Right. I was at the Stadium Series. Went to my cousin's bachelor party, Atlantic City. It was fun.
I don't know if you know. Were there anybody without their shirts on next to you? It was cold, I imagine.
No. Okay. No, everyone had their clothing on, which was nice.
Okay. Well, I'll just read you the headline, and we'll go from there. This is from the New York Post. New York City men are paying plastic surgeons $5,000 for almond-shaped nipples like David Beckham. It's a growing trend that I wasn't aware of. First of all, have you ever paid to have your nipples redone?
Have you considered? It would be something that I'd be interested in. I don't think I would end up doing it. When I'm not in a pool setting and your turkeys are done. I mean, I have some big pepperonis.
They are pepperoni. Okay, yeah, I was wondering.
I would love to maybe get those fixed, but I wouldn't pay for that. No.
Mine definitely are closer to the pepperoni scale than the almond scale. If that's what we're doing, I don't know where you're at, Drew.
If it's a chilly pool, Same. I feel pretty good about the way they look. But it's that hot weather nip.
Legit question. Besides the obvious, how absurd it is to spend $5,000 on this.
No way.
How many this is where we should have had somebody from the music side come in and get a woman's perspective on this. How often are you paying attention, ladies out there, to a man's nipples? How often are you paying attention to that?
It is fascinating the disparity between male attention and female attention to nipples. Really, when you think about it, don't you think?
I think so, Pete.
Yeah, it's crazy.
I think so. $5,000? That just seems absolutely absurd to me.
Yeah.
Someone says, thanks, Pete. Setting down my pizza now that I'm having for lunch.
I also see in the text line here, since we're in trash of the day from the 816, Pete, can I get a shout out for my wife, Brittany? It's her birthday. Happy birthday. Happy birthday to Brittany.
Happy birthday.
And what I would tell you is...
thanks for listening, Patrick.
Yeah, if your nips aren't up to snuff, maybe for a birthday present, you go get them done for old Brittany. Wouldn't that be nice?
Oh my goodness! Has your girlfriend commented on your nipples? Has she seen this story? You need to show her this story.
I don't think this is one I'm going to share with my girlfriend.
No?
Hopefully, no. I mean,
Drew?
What if she wants me to get them done?
Your
I'm
wife?
not doing that.
I told her the story as soon as I saw. I was like, guess what people are spending $5,000 on? She goes, what? And I told her, and she goes, really? I was like, yeah. Apparently so. She's not. Like, you need to get this done, Drew. No.
Well, I mean, we know that Alex is the bachelor of the group, too. Your various ladies ever comment on your nips?
Nobody's ever commented on my nipples before.
Hanging out at the pool?
Yeah. I had to take an extra look at them this morning. Yeah. Knowing the story
I'm not
was
even going to
coming
look
up
at
today.
mine. I don't even want to look at it.
No?
No.
Yeah.
No, you can take care of your own
We
nipples.
have the show's video streaming, Pete. There's an opportunity for you to show the world. That doesn't apply to the FCC stuff on the video stream.
I've seen Josh Vernier. He's been walking around lately. He's got this cue ball head now. I mean, he's got so much confidence. I think Josh is going to walk in here and be ready to show not one, but maybe both of them. Yeah.
Wow. Well, I'm going to ask him the same. I'm going to bring up trash of the day to him.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
But someone says they wouldn't pay $5,000 to have their wife's done either. I'm guessing it's a little more money than that. I'm guessing it's a few more bucks. I'm not sure what the going rate is these days for that.
I think that costs $10,000 to get.
That was quick. You kind of had the number there.
Right? I've heard people.
Right? He says right? Like he's asking Drew for confirmation.
I've heard of friends, I've had friends of friends talk about this before, and if you're getting them done, I believe it costs around $10,000. Yeah.
According to, I just Googled it real quick. The average breast augmentation in Kansas is between $3,000 and $12,000.
Okay.
That's
so
a
I was
wide.
It is wide.
I was a little high.
I guess it depends on just how much work you want done.
The median there
Or
is
how
about,
well do
is
you
about
want it
7
done?
or 8.
That's true. Yeah, you want to make sure you go to the best. Otherwise, the almond. If you go to the almond size, it's a little bit different. David, you just go and you say you want the David Beckham.
I also know this about breast implants. When you get them done, you end up losing feeling in them. So it's a kind of a catch-22. If you're a lady that wants to have this operation.
Right. Who knew? I didn't know the David Beckham thing was. I didn't know that was the thing. That was something that people actually wanted to make sure. He's a good-looking guy. I didn't know the nipples though was what everybody was talking about.
Yeah, nip it like Beckham. That's the new. You bring in the.
Somebody goes in. I want the David Beckham. That's what I want.
You just want,
Forget about the haircut.
Now we're getting some good research on the text line.
Okay.
First-hand experience. I know our listeners always help us out. Wife has wanted new ones for over 2 years. $6,250, and they accept payments. You can finance that. Finance that out.
What's a down payment get you too? It's probably a nice plan. You put $2,000 down. You only got to take care of $4,250, $33 a month or something.
3 years, you'll be happy.
You're good to go. Yeah,
that's the trash of the day.
Good for you guys out there.
Pete Sweeney from Arrowhead Pride hanging out with us till noon today. Up next, we get back to the Chiefs and the comparisons that naturally are made between Chris Jones and Aaron Donald. We'll get to that here on Cody and Gold.
Cody and Gold. Watch the show on YouTube by subscribing to the @610 Sports KC channel. 610 Sports Radio.
Cards issued by Sutton Bank and Celtic Bank, members FDIC. Terms and conditions apply.
The needs of modern businesses are always changing, but corporate cards haven't evolved in decades. Until now. Meet Ramp, the all-in-one finance platform that combines corporate cards with spend management software. Ramp is the only card designed to actually help your business spend less, not more. With Ramp, you can set custom controls to stop out-of-policy spend before it even happens. And Ramp software even does expense reports for you. No more manual entries, no more chasing receipts. And with best-in-class accounting integrations, you'll close your books in days, not weeks. Ramp gives you better insights and a real-time view of all company spend, so you can stay focused on the big picture and build a healthier business. Join over 15,000 businesses who have switched to Ramp and start saving an average of 5%. Modern finance runs on Ramp. And now get $250 when you join Ramp. Just go to ramp.com/sports. That's ramp.com/sports.
Do you want to skip your car payment this month? I'm Jeff Davis, owner of Volkswagen Lease Summit. We're offering payment relief.
Buy a new car at Volkswagen Lease Summit and get no payments for up to 6 months.
Get payment relief today at Volkswagen Lease Summit. Visit VWLeaseSummit.com.
Hey, it's Kling. There are many reasons I love Hy-Vee. The great values, the selection, the service, and I love to rack up fuel savers. And you can as well. Shop Hy-Vee on Monday. Earn a fuel discount equal to the high temperature on Sunday and the amount you spend. If the high is 68 degrees on Sunday, I'll save 68 cents per gallon when I spend $68 on Monday. Heat up the savings every Monday through April 29th only at Hy-Vee.
Must look up code 80007 at checkout or promo code Heat Up when shopping online. See store for details.
The best deals at the pump happen when you shop the aisles of Hy-Vee with help from the first Warm 5 weather team.
This is KCTV5 Chief Meteorologist Luke Doris. Watch KCTV5 Sunday night at 10 for our official high temperature.
Whatever it was on Sunday means you save on Monday with your Hy-Vee Perks card. If the high was 63 degrees, you save 63 cents a gallon when you spend at least $63.
Watch First Warn 5 weather on KCTV5 this Sunday at 10.
Get buckets with your first bet on FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook app, because right now, new customers get $150 in bonus bets with any winning $5 bet. That's $150 if your bet wins. You can bet on all your favorite NBA teams, NBA players, like a quick bet, a live same-game parlay, plus exclusive player props that really make gambling on these games fun. Get buckets with your first bet on FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook app. New customers get $150 in bonus bets with any winning $5 bet. All you need to do is visit FanDuel/CDOT. Use my promo code to shoot your shot. FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the NBA, and also 610 Sports Radio. 21 and present in Kansas. First online real money wager only. $10 first deposit required. Bonus issued as non-withdrawable bonus bets that expires 7 days after receipt. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. FanDuel is offering online sports wagering in Kansas under agreement with Kansas Star Casino, LLC. Gambling problem? Getting help is your best bet. Call 1-800-522-4700 or visit ksgamblinghelp.com.
Wake up. Breakfast. And Nature Made vitamins. Whatever your morning sounds like, Nature Made fits right in. Whether you're looking for vitamin C or a multivitamin to get key nutrients, we've got you covered. Now that's a good morning. We take care of you so you can take on your day. Start your day with Nature Made, the #1 pharmacist-recommended vitamin and supplement brand. Based on a survey of pharmacists who recommend branded vitamins and supplements.
Join Mark Patrick Seminar's Lose the Weight or Stop Smoking. Seminar Monday, February 26th, Holiday Inn and Suites, Overland Park. Weight loss 5:30 p.m. Stop Smoking Seminar 8 p.m. Register 30 minutes before seminar. Information, markpatrickseminars.com.
When a cold comes on strong, try DayQuil's Severe Honey flavor. The daytime, coughing, aching, stuffy head, fever, honeylicious, power through your day medicine. Powerful cold and flu symptom relief with a honeylicious taste so a cold won't slow you down. Get back to your day feeling relieved, enjoying the delicious flavor of DayQuil Severe Honey. DayQuil Severe Honey flavor soothes your symptoms with a delicious taste. Use as directed. Keep out of reach of children.
With your choice of select sandwich, nugs, fries, and a drink, Wendy's $5 Biggie Bag is your go-to. Your nugget wingman. Your hot and crispy fry co-pilot.
Just like us. We're like the bag boys.
What?
Bag boys, what you gonna do? What you gonna do when we bring your food?
For a deal you can count on, bet on Biggie and choose wisely. Choose Wendy's.
Bag boys.
U.S. price and participation may vary. Includes choice of JVC or crispy chicken sandwich with 4-piece nugs, junior fry, and small soft drink. Third-party delivery pricing may be higher.
I'm Bob Burke, founder and chairman of Burke America Parts Group, a family of brands that includes RepairClinic.com, an appliance and HVAC parts solution company that's grown into an international brand. Before AmericanEagle.com, we partially launched a new technology platform developed by another firm. American Eagle helped take our technology to a whole new level with digital marketing, software development, and business insights into our key markets, appliances, HVAC, and outdoor power equipment, and did so both on time and on budget. AmericanEagle.com has the resources, experience, and talent needed to produce solutions. Our new technology platform, developed by AmericanEagle.com, has produced tremendous results with higher traffic, conversion, engagement, and online revenue. If you have any home repairs you need to take care of, check us out at RepairClinic.com. If you need a world-class website or technology project, then I would highly recommend AmericanEagle.com.
Call AmericanEagle.com at 773-NETWORK. That's AmericanEagle.com, 773-NETWORK.
Oh, this cold.
Honey?
Honey?
Honey, you need DayQuil Severe Honey.
DayQuil Severe Honey gives you powerful cold and flu symptom relief with a honeylicious taste. Because life doesn't stop for a cold.
Okay, I'm ready to go.
Now I'm getting a cold.
Honey.
Try DayQuil Severe Honey for powerful cold and flu relief. DayQuil Severe with honey flavor. The daytime coughing, aching, stuffy head, fever, honeylicious, power through your day medicine.
Use as directed. Keep out of reach of children.
The 610 Sports Radio phone line is brought to you by Onder Law Injury Lawyers. Visit getjim.com.
Chiefs Kingdom. This is Mitch Holtis, and welcome into the Chiefs Red Half Hour on Cody and Gold. Every day at 11:30 on your official broadcast partner of the Chiefs, 610 Sports Radio.
I promise more plastic surgery talk later on in the day. We'll get to that after the David Beckham almond-shaped nipple. Apparently in New York, people are getting their nipples surgically repaired, redone.
I love self-improvement. And good for folks to be investing in themselves.
That's right. That's exactly right. Let's get to some big-time money, though, for what is going to happen if the Chiefs do want to keep Chris Jones. We led the show today talking about, okay, when Aaron Donald got his extension, he was a year older than Chris Jones, and it was $30 million on average. Yep. And we've seen the last 2 years of production. One, Aaron Donald only played 11 games a year ago, had, I think it was 5 sacks, had 8 sacks this year. So the trade-off we were throwing out there is if I told you that the Chiefs paid Chris Jones $30 million a year on a 3-year deal, he'll be a year younger at the end of it than Aaron Donald. But next year you still get double-digit sacks, assume the same type of Chris Jones. But the final 2 years, Chris Jones either is missing 4+ games or all of a sudden he's a 7-sack guy. Would you sign up right now for that?
I don't think I would. I think I'm a little bit different in how I feel about this situation because, I remember when the sky was falling, when the Chiefs traded Tyreek Hill, and how their offense was never going to be the same again, which I guess in a way was true, but it didn't mean they couldn't win. And so the defense will be different, right, like without Chris Jones. But I don't think one player is necessarily going to define what the defense can be. Is it going to be top 2 like it was this year? Probably not. But the offense is going to improve. And so say it's top 10. I still feel pretty good about that. And like, I think the whole Chris Jones situation, I think he's playing a dangerous game, and really, his agents are. Like, they're playing this dangerous game where, they, I think, want the most money possible. But I think Chris has to realize, like, it's not going to be as fun playing for the Carolina Panthers, right? There's an angle here where you could work with the Chiefs. They could give you a fair deal. It's not going to be as much as you can make on the open market. And you could go for the three-peat that you're already talking about. I like Chris Jones, and I'd like him to stay here, but I just don't see it happening with the current situation. Like, the Chiefs are not going to just match the highest possible offer, which is, I think, to me, what he's been, for lack of better terms, like conditioned to want here.
The one thing I kind of can't get past is that a year ago, when he was a year younger, when he was coming off a 15.5 sack season, they weren't willing to get to that dollar amount. So why now? I guess, again, somebody will text in and say, well, because they're going for a three-peat. But I'm with you on this. Like, I want them, of course, to better the roster and have an all-in approach, but not to where in 2 years we're saying, man, they're paying him $33 million a year, and he's a 6-sack guy and just doesn't have the same, he's not healthy. Like, that's a big problem in the future, even with the cap going up. The only part I'll disagree with you is if Chris Jones is not on this team, then they better go all in on offense, because I do think they could slip back to being a 13th or 15th best defense in football.
Yeah, I don't disagree. I just think, like, Brett Veach will figure it out. I liken it to the Orlando Brown situation. Orlando Brown just wanted more and more money, highest paid left tackle, all this, whatever like that. Eventually, the Chiefs kind of called his bluff. And not only did they call his bluff, but they had a plan B ready. Like, I looked the other day at the top 200 free agents of Pro Football Focus. I wrote it up for our site. And Chris Jones, deservedly so, is number one. There's 20-plus interior defensive linemen on that list of 200. Like, if Chris Jones wants to Orlando Brown, Brett Veach is going to have his Jawan Taylor. And I'm not saying I'm in love with the Jawan Taylor contract. I'm not saying it was perfect. What I'm saying is there's going to be a plan B built in. And I think the thing that we've learned, and maybe Brett Veach has learned too, with the Brown situation, with Tyreek and Chris Jones, he doesn't like being handcuffed here. And I don't think he's going to let it happen again. And so I think Chris Jones is going to hit the open market. I think Snead's a more likely tag because the Chiefs can afford it. And I think once he does, there's going to be a team that's just willing to go farther than the Chiefs are willing to go. And at the end of the day, you're going to get the thank you for my time in Kansas City. Certainly a future Ring of Honor guy, Chiefs Hall of Fame, perhaps Pro Football Hall of Fame if things continue to go right. But, it's tough. We see these decisions made all the time. It was tough to see the Chiefs cut like Eric Berry. It was tough to see them move on from Tyreek because it was so fun to watch him on the football field. But what happens with this regime in particular? They make these tough calls, and then a year happens, and they're champions again, or they're playing for the championship. So
I just think a year ago, or I guess September of this past year, that to me told us what was going to happen this offseason. Right. And that is that he's going to probably become a free agent. And, I wonder the fact, I already think he's a Hall of Famer now that he has 3 rings. So I wonder, as much as, you want to be part of a three-peat, and you're right, he won't have as much fun playing in Chicago or Carolina or whatever. I wonder the fact that he's got 3 rings overall. Does that make that easier?
And you know what? It doesn't make him a bad person. Like, of course, I don't hate on Juju for getting his ring in Kansas City and then going to get paid. I mean, the Chiefs, that ended up working out for the Chiefs because he was injury-ridden and the Kansas City wanted him back, and he didn't really have an impact in New England. Like, it's a choice you make. I'm not. It's not it doesn't make you a bad guy for now. You've had all your team success. You want to get paid. This is going to be his last contract of his career. Go get paid. But there also is an alternate scenario where he can take his week 1 buddies from the suite and say, I want to be in Kansas City. I want to get a fair deal. I know it's not going to be top of the market, but I want to be in Kansas City. You know who's done that? Travis Kelce. Travis Kelce could have made a lot more money than the Chiefs were willing to give him over these years, and he's chosen to be part of something that's historic. And Chris has that opportunity, and we'll see what he ends up deciding. But I just think if he wants top dollar, he's not going to get it here.
On the flip side, franchise tag L'Jarius Sneed, that just seems kind of like the no-brainer here. I don't know if I would necessarily even give him the long-term deal, but I'm at least tagging him, kind of see how the rest of our offseason goes if you're Brett Veach. And then, honestly, he plays on the tag next year at almost $19 million. And at that point, either maybe you do draft somebody in the mid-round that you can start to develop, or you just see where things stand with your team defensively. I wouldn't let L'Jarius Sneed go, but I also am not sitting here saying, man, they got to sign him to a 3 or 4 year extension. I think a franchise tag, I'm good with him playing on that.
Yeah, he's also 27 too. And, what we've seen, Chris Jones is entering his age 30 season. 27 is an age that Brett Veach is willing to spend on. That's a huge part of this as well. Like, it's one thing for them to break their own quote-unquote unwritten rules last year for Chris Jones when he was going into his age 29 season. I don't think it's that attractive as good as he is this year, whereas it's going to be more attractive to Sneed. I tend to half agree with you. I think they'll tag him to buy time, and eventually they come to terms on a 3-year deal similar to Tyrann Mathieu or Justin Reed, that type of thing, and he's back in Kansas City. I think he really likes Kansas City. I think he's willing to work with the Chiefs, maybe more so than the Jones camp. But yeah, I think that's the way this ends up going. I think Chris Jones goes to a new team and Sneed is retained.
What's that for Sneed on a 3-year deal? 3 at 15 a year? So what is it, 3 for 45, or is it more than that?
It might be.
What did Ward sign for?
It might be more. Yeah.
Let's see, Charvarius Ward.
It might be more, just because I just think with the inside-outside and the ultimate curbing of your team's opposing number one wide receiver, you take him out of the game, essentially. I think it's worth it.
Ward this was a year ago, and Sneed obviously playing at maybe even higher level, but 3 for 40.
Sneed's projected, according to Pro Football Focus, is 3 for 17.5 per year, so 52.5.
So 2.5 more a year. So okay,
I'm okay with that. I think he's worth that, and you're keeping Sneed and McDuffie together. And I also think, with the mindset, that we have to lose Chris Jones to afford everything else, secondary is going to be even more important than maybe it was a year ago.
Coming up in about 5 minutes or so, we'll get to a scenario at the linebacker spot, whether or not you go with the one guy or you bring back 3 for the same cost. We'll explain that in a second. But Tommy Townsend, man, looks like his days are done in Kansas City. Fan favorite, played at a high level. This regular season wasn't his best, but isn't this just a smart football move? Matt Araiza, 6th-round pick of the Bills. We already are, I think by now everybody's aware of the situation around him and charges being dropped as he was accused of rape. That's why the Bills ended up cutting him. Now the Chiefs take the chance on him, even though I think Tommy was playing in the Super Bowl at as high of a level as you possibly could.
Right.
You're going to get a guy now for what, $700,000, $900,000 instead of $3.8 million a year?
If we're just being football specific, I mean, and this is, you have to do it in the league because you're always looking for edges and different things. It makes total sense. It's a shame because I think a lot of people love Tommy. He was in that Christmas trailer, willing to work with the social media. He's a great dude. I see him bopping around where I live in the Plaza area. He's a nice guy.
Yeah.
But he hired Drew Rosenhaus. You only do that if you want to make the highest possible amount of money. As we just said with Chris Jones, it's okay to do that. You're entitled to. You probably aren't going to get a ton of lucrative punter contracts. This is going to be the best punter or the best contract of his career, and it's just not going to be with KC. And Kansas City basically is paying the minimum for what could be the best punter in the NFL. And again, we're not touching on any of the off the field stuff, but that's the football reality of it. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean the impact on a punter, and when you're talking about the window the Chiefs are in, and you and I were just bringing up Chris Jones and how do you keep Jones and can you keep Sneed? You can't have the highest paid punter, the highest paid kicker, and the highest paid quarterback, and the highest paid defensive line. If there's any area that you're going to cut on, it's going to be punter. And you're right. There's a chance you end up actually getting the same production, if not better.
And I've covered a lot of these dicey situations off the field with Kansas City. Not for this specific situation, but one thing I will say, and I know this about this regime, and who knows if it happens elsewhere, but they really do their homework, their own homework. They investigate situations themselves. So, I think to an extent they deserve the benefit of the doubt when it comes to that. And it's a really, there's no other way to say it. It's a really shrewd football move.
Got a lot of text earlier though, Pete. What does this mean for the holding game? I mean, are they going to be? Is Butker gonna be just as successful now?
You know what? And I heard you want to talk about Nick Bolton and stuff and the holding. It's this is going to sound really I'm showing my age here. Sometimes there's too many microphones in Kansas City. I just think there are too many people with platforms. The fact that this regime, after 3 Super Bowls in 5 years, is getting questions about holding and you're gonna pay Nick Bolton all this money. Yes, because you know what? It's the right move because the defensive coordinator loves him.
Spags has talked.
And I don't care
highly.
if you work for this network or that network and you think you watch a lot of film. Guess what? You weren't part of the personnel staff that has seen this team build a dynasty and do one of the things that only 8 other times this has happened were back-to-back championships. So guess what? If they decide to pay Nick Bolton, it's probably the right decision because they do this for a living and they've built a championship roster. It makes me want to pull my hair out when I see things like, but what are they going to do without the hold? They're going to teach him how to hold.
Dave Tobe for a reason.
They're going to teach him how to hold.
You're paying Dave
What are we
Tobe.
doing?
You have a veteran kicker. My guess is during the offseason, Winchester, Ariza, and Butker are going to hang out a lot and get the timing figured out. I mean, remember the freak out a year or so ago when Colquitt made a comment and so everybody assumed that Tommy Townsend didn't know how to hold? That lasted for like 3 weeks. And then what has Butker done since? He's been the best kicker in the NFL, and Tommy Townsend had a great hold on the long kick in the Super Bowl.
I love me some C-Dot, and I would say this to his face. Like me and him had about 1,000 conversations about how the wide receiver group wasn't enough, and I would say yes, it was. And then after these losses that the Chiefs would have in the regular season, I would get these tweets. Still think the wide receiver room's okay, Pete? Yeah, you know why? Because Brett Veach and his team do, and they know better than me. And so the fact that, and I understand, this is talk radio, we have to talk about it, but the amount of people that question the decisions and the major decisions that this group has made now, after 10 years and watching what they have done, is outrageous. They don't always get it right, and I get that. We just talked about Jawan Taylor before. I think that contract to be a little bit better. You'd like maybe a way, but they needed a tackle at the time, and they thought the risk was worth the reward. And guess what the reward was? Back-to-back Super Bowl championships. So enough questioning the choices of Brett Veach.
You brought up Nick Bolton because I did want to ask you about that, and I obviously know your answer now too. But the freak out was because there was some rumblings that maybe it was going to be $15 or $16 million a year, and everybody hears that for a linebacker and freaked out. But what you said about Steve Spagnuolo, I think, is crucial. It's not that Nick Bolton is this great coverage guy. He's not. That's his biggest flaw, probably, right? He's not a great coverage guy.
Yeah.
But when it comes to run game and when it comes to setting up the defense, wearing the green dot, in their mind, I'm going to guess they're going to say that $15 or $16 million a year is likely worth it for that. I don't know, what was the Anthony Hitchens contract? My guess is he'll get something similar to Anthony Hitchens, but he's a younger player and it's a different spot in this franchise versus there's some people I think would say, could you not just bring back Willie Gay, Drew Tranquill, and roll with Chanel and not pay Nick Bolton long term?
Tranquill's going to be back. I mean, I know he loves Kansas City too much, and he'll take a team-friendly deal. And I think Willie Gay, he knows the writing's on the wall. For a long time, this particular plan was to take care of Snead and Bolton because I think there are key parts of your defense. And also on the offensive side, take care of your interior offensive linemen, make sure they're back, and then you're flexible from there. And so he's part of the plan. I mean, that's what it is. I think just this idea that they're suddenly going to change their path and go a different direction, I think they want Bolton here, and I think he's a key cog to everything that Steve Spagnuolo wants to do. These guys' relationship is just off the charts as far as Steve thinks something up and Bolton adjusts. And here's the other thing too. Andy Reid and Steve Spagnuolo are just very, very good of altering their scheme to the players they have. So the defense may not be the exact same thing with or without Chris Jones. Same thing with figuring out the offense this year. Yeah, I agree. The wide receiver room wasn't that strong. They found a way to go heavier, and then they started to feature Rashee Rice more, and suddenly it was enough. So, I think we freak out sometimes just because we're looking at one isolated thing, but the Chiefs do a really good job of painting the whole picture. And I always say this, that's the toughest part of the offseason. You only get one piece of the blueprint at a time. But then, when it comes down to it, you're looking at the AFC West champs. Yeah,
plan comes together. Yeah. We also know they differ from plan A to plan B and all that. We all know that a couple years ago, they wanted Trent Williams, right? And that thing fell apart at the last minute. The Niners ended up retaining Trent Williams, and Orlando Brown Jr. Was not plan A when they traded for him, but it worked out. Despite how everybody felt him at the end, it still ended up being a pretty good trade for them.
They do a really nice job. I've always been impressed with how the personnel staff going into the draft always seems to have a reasonable starter at every position going into the draft. And so that's how I think, by the time we get to next month, 2 months, whatever it is for the NFL draft, they're going to use free agency and these crafty veteran minimum type of deals to make sure that they have a reasonable starter at each position. So you can kind of go into the draft with an open mind and go a lot of different directions. And The key word is always flexible. I mean, no matter what contract, and that's where I think Snead is more apt to work with the Chiefs. I think Bolton is more apt to work with the Chiefs. I don't think the Jones camp is going to work with the Chiefs, and so that's where I think that's why I think that's the most likely outcome. They always want to remain flexible to make sure that they can continue to surround Patrick Mahomes with this title roster.
A lot of times when we bring up officiating, it's because people are bitching and moaning about calls. You were just at a hockey game. Would you have loved if the referee would have done this? I don't know if you saw this from the Blues and Islanders game last night.
You're not going to like it, but the call on the ice was correct. No goal.
No, that's some good description there from.
You're not going to like it.
I love that. That was from Bally, I think Midwest or St. Louis with the Blues and Islanders game. That's phenomenal.
Right.
Give me more of that.
Yeah, I'm all for referees having personalities. I also think that every NFL game should be mic'd up to the point of the Super Bowl. I mean, I think the NFL makes enough money because there will be so many moments I think that we would have on a week-to-week basis. Like the videos that are coming out from the Chiefs are fascinating from the Super Bowl. And in my mind, I'm like, the NFL has enough money to do this for every single game. Imagine if we had this type of show each and every week, and I would love to see more of that. And yeah, I like the referee conversations. There was one conversation with the referees during the Super Bowl. I don't know if you saw this, where they were talking amongst themselves, and they're like,
yes,
they're giving the ball back to Mahomes. Like, good luck.
Yeah, the mic'd up is like
referees have personalities too.
Yeah, Vinovich was like, this you got to have your best play right here. Like hearing them talk about during the Super Bowl how things were playing out was kind of cool. But this ref, some people were actually upset with this ref that was having fun. I'm sure there's somebody like in the NHL officiating world that's probably just losing their mind over this. Thinks it's so like you said, so unprofessional. But that's great. Could you imagine just in general? Especially this was also a blowout. I think it was 4-0. So it's like the Blues or the Islanders were getting their ass kicked. You're at a Chiefs game. And it's like, or even the Super Bowl, Bradbury holding call. Like Eagles fans, you're not gonna like this holding.
Like a villain role? Well, as long as Carl Sheffers is not doing it, I think that's where fans would draw the line. As long as he is not the one injecting his personality.
Yeah, give me more of that. Sometimes, especially in the, this is the NHL, so maybe that's the issue. But if you're talking about some of the lower levels of hockey or whatever, why not? Why not have some fun if you're an official?
Yeah, you got to be careful with that too. I remember, Nick Patrick, this great referee. He was secretly in the NWO during the WCW days, and he turned on a lot of the good wrestlers mid-match.
You're a big wrestling guy. You're a big wrestling guy.
Gotta watch out for those referees with personality.
That's never been my thing. I know people love it.
What was the NBA referee?
Yes, Tim Donahue.
I've thought about this before, and as we're approaching conspiracy theories, and everyone loves a good conspiracy theory.
Keep going, because I got to bring one up again now that
don't you think? So, what if a referee just used alternate lines, right? And just built it to -200 and only fixed it for himself like every other game? How would anyone ever figure that out? I just think I think now more than ever, referees need to be paid like players. That's my new wild and out theory, because I just think it's too easy to fix games and make money in an offshore account.
Yeah,
is that a crazy theory? Don't you think?
So there are
the alternate line changes it. They're available everywhere.
But if all of a sudden you had somebody betting, they still have markers. So like, let's say consistently hockey game alt line, there was someone always betting a very high dollar amount or whatever on. Eventually, it might be not on a one-off. No, on a one-off, you would have no way of knowing.
You randomly build yourself losses too. I mean, this would have to be.
Pete's mapping this out. Someone's on the text line is very upset we're not mentioning the name of the official, which, by the way, the official you keep texting in is wrong. It's not the same official. So you said, someone's like, say his name.
Wes McCauley.
No, it's not Wes McCauley. The guy that in the audio we just played is Garrett Rank.
Garrett Rank.
So it's not even right.
As long as it's
very
not
upset.
Nick Patrick.
Very upset.
Nick Patrick would fix that.
Yeah.
I kind of like Pete's idea of paying the refs, because then at that point, they have to be required. Forget the pool report. After you're done, you have to appear and do a press conference afterwards. If you're getting paid
the
proper amount of money.
Yeah, there are certain calls, like I think back to this NFL season, that non-call against Marquez Valdes-Scantling in the Packers game.
Oh, yeah,
was
really bad.
Bananas. Like that ref should have to go to the podium after the game.
Yeah,
be like, what were you looking at? Like, what are you doing?
I still think that call was the reason why after the Bills, the Bills game was the one where Mahomes had the blow up. That to me was still the carryover from the horrific call the week before against Green Bay.
Yeah, and that was the only time really in Mahomes' career he's been like that.
Yeah,
and I think he regretted it. But yeah, I agree. I think it was more of a build-up than one particular call or non-call.
Think about that moment. Sitting at Lambeau, it's freezing cold in that game, and then fast forward, and at that point in time.
Were you at Lambeau?
I was.
Oh, I didn't realize
it
that.
was incredible. But at that moment.
Did you complain to the ref?
I went right up to him, yeah. After the game, I went right up to him, and I said, man, Pete had an alternate line on this game, and what the hell were you doing? That's, by the way, in all seriousness,
so did that ref.
That's why you can't have the post-game podium. As much as I think they got to be held more accountable, you can't because there's too many crazy people out there. Because can you imagine if Wes McCauley, as the text line wanted us to think
Garrett
it was,
Rank.
and Garrett Rank, could you imagine if they had a press conference and you just would have, whether it's a media member or otherwise, I think you would. I mean, John Higgins got death threats in Nebraska from Kentucky fans many years ago.
I don't disagree. But, to Drew's point, you just shouldn't have the pool report because they must teach the referees to just double down no matter what. 'Cause all it always is, I believe Adam Teicher is our pool reporter that goes in and does it. He goes in there, he talks to the ref, they just double down no matter what in the pool report, and it almost makes you madder.
I agree with that.
No one is ever you're right, I blew it. I should call that pass interference against Marquez on the player against Marquez. They never say that.
They even have the network, the network rules official people. Dean Blandino, I think, does a great job of it. But the ESPN guy after that game was defending the call that was made, and I was like, well, there's circumstances and everything. It's no, you can. It's okay to admit when one of the referees makes a bad call and it's egregiously bad, they just wouldn't admit it.
Yeah, they never admit it. I think they're taught to do that. It's just keep doubling down. Yeah.
Pete Sweeney from Arrowhead Pride, appreciate it, man. Good stuff as always. Go get some bets in. I know you got to go bet.
I loved every minute, but mostly the minutes we were talking about the nipples.
Yeah, you got to go do some research on that.
Yeah.
Yeah, Pete's going to go
a long
home
off season. I got to do something with my body here.
I think by the time you get to training camp, the nipples will be fine if you have the surgery now.
I'm doing my yearly off-season plan where I lose weight, so I think that'll also help I'm going to try to lose weight. So
you think the pepperonis will shrink?
I think we can get these dollar-sized pepperonis down to dime size by the end.
There you go. Pete Sweeney from Arrowhead Pride. Coming up next, we'll get to what's trending. We'll talk some baseball with our guy Josh Fernier, who will join me for the next 2 hours right here on Cody and Gold.
You're listening to Cody and Gold. Don't miss the Chiefs Red Half Hour every weekday starting at 11:30 on your official broadcast partner of the Chiefs, 610 Sports Radio.
We're talking with Dr. David Bach, board-certified urologist at Kansas City Urology Care. Doctor, when it comes to prostate cancer, what makes KCUC the best?
KCUC treats more prostate cancer than anyone else in the metro, and for that matter, in this part of the country.
What does that mean for the patient?
As part of cancer care, a patient will need a urologist, a pathologist, a medical oncologist, and a radiation oncologist. We offer specialists, board-certified specialists, in all those areas on site. It's important to a patient because they want the best possible care with the best possible outcomes with the fewest chances of side effects. Without a doubt, Kansas City Urology Care is the expert in prostate cancer therapy.
See the prostate cancer experts, Kansas City Urology Care. At KCUC, you see the best in KC. To make an appointment, visit appointments.kcurology.com.
Do you have 3 ex-wives and your current trophy wife wants a life insurance policy 3 times the size of the policies you had to purchase for your previous mistakes? If so, you need to call Big Lou at Term Provider, 800-555-1509. Big Lou is intimately familiar with your problems, and if you're 50 or 60 years old and in reasonably good health, a $1 million policy should only cost about $100 to $200 per month. Big Lou may have a solution for your previous policies as well. You may even save enough money to lighten the load on your new $1 million policy. Remember, call Big Lou. He's like you, except he's only on number 2. Call Term Provider at 800-555-1509. That's 800-555-1509. For $1 million in term life insurance that you can live with. Call Big Lou at 800-555-1509. 800-555-1509.
I'm McCall with Lee Summit Subaru. We've added even more incentives to buy from us. An exclusive lifetime warranty. Your first maintenance is free. Lee Summit Subaru just discounted up to $3,000 off MSRP or 0% financing for 63 months on the 2024 Subaru Forester. Bonus cash, 0%, free maintenance, and a lifetime warranty. That's why you'll fall in love with driving again at Lee Summit Subaru. The Subaru A Lot to Love event.
The service contract is not provided or backed by the manufacturer of the vehicle. The manufacturer of the vehicle is not responsible for the claims or repairs under the service contract.
Hey Kansas City, it's Jeff Briggs with Victory Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram. I want to tell you about an exciting opportunity. We just received a special shipment of pre-owned trucks, a quality mix of GMC, Chevy, Ford, and of course Ram products. These are half tons, heavy duties, some fully loaded, some nicely equipped. These units were purchased well back of current market value, and here's the exciting part, we are passing the savings on to you. If new truck prices have you feeling discouraged, then visit us at the Legends Auto Plaza in KCK or online at victorymotorskc.com, where our first price is better than their last.
GiveMeTheVin.com, we pride ourselves in being America's best car buyer, bringing top dollar for your car with an online process that's fast and easy. But you might not know that we've got a special interest in buying your truck. Luxury haulers, workhorse diesels, or just your favorite pickup truck, we've specialized in putting the right money on your truck for longer than anybody. Go to GiveMeTheVin.com today and get your check on the spot from America's best car and truck buyer.
Sell us your car. GiveMeTheVin.com. So easy you can do it in your underwear.
1 in 4 car batteries is weak and needs to be replaced. Let our professional parts people test your battery for free at O'Reilly Auto Parts.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
Wendy's new breakfast 2 for $3 Biggie Bundles let you create your own delicious combo. Choose from a sausage biscuit, egg and cheese biscuit, small seasoned potatoes, and a medium hot coffee. But it's obvious which combo's the best. Sausage biscuit and small seasoned potatoes. Well, maybe it's the fresh cracked egg and cheese biscuit with a medium hot coffee. Or 2 savory sausage biscuits. Whichever you pick, you can't go wrong. Choose wisely. Choose Wendy's new 2 for $3 Biggie Bundles.
Limited time only. U.S. price and participation may vary. Not valid in a combo. Single item at regular price.
Always find what you love at Total Wine & More. With so many bottles to choose from at the lowest price, it's easy to find your favorite Cabernet or a new single barrel bourbon to try. With the lowest prices for over 30 years, find what you love and love what you find at Total Wine & More.
Spirits not sold in Virginia and North Carolina. Drink responsibly. B21.
Tax Talk with Straight Talk.
You give and you give. This tax season, you get with Straight Talk Wireless. You get a reliable 5G network and unlimited data and a new Samsung Galaxy A15 for just $99. So you can give your janky phone to your kid. Yeah! Good talk.
Switch to Straight Talk for plans starting as low as $25 a line per month for 4 lines. Find us at Walmart and StraightTalk.com. For network management practices, visit StraightTalk.com. Device offer ends 4/14/24. In-store activation on single Silver Unlimited plan or higher required. Family plan discount with 4 lines all on the Silver Unlimited plan. Taxes and fees apply.
Pizza's here. Oh, great. I'd love some, but I'm worried about my stomach issues.
If you're worried about having diarrhea, gas, bloating, stomach pain, or loose, oily stools, it may not just be stomach issues. It could be a condition called exocrine pancreatic insufficiency, or EPI. With EPI, the pancreas doesn't release enough enzymes to break down food, but EPI is manageable. Use the symptom checker on identifyepi.com and talk to your doctor. That's identifyepi.com. Sponsored by AbbVie.
When you need auto parts, O'ReillyAuto.com is just a click away. Order online and pick up at your local store. Visit O'ReillyAuto.com.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
For more than half a century, contractors and trade professionals have relied on WeatherGuard for heavy-duty truck and van storage equipment, not just to protect their valuable tools, but to protect their professional reputations. For pros, the WeatherGuard badge makes a statement about what drives them. It says, "Bring it on. Been there. Done that. We've got your back," without saying a word. And the folks at WeatherGuard, they're just as driven as the hardworking pros they serve. See what it means to be driven at WeatherGuard.com.
When you need auto parts, O'ReillyAuto.com is just a click away. Order online and pick up at your local store. Visit O'ReillyAuto.com.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
You're listening to 610 Sports Radio from the Mission Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling Studios.
Coach Reed called the play. Pat made a hell of a play, man. I kind of blacked out when I called it.
610 Sports Radio, KCSB Kansas City, WDAF HD2 Liberty. Always live on the free Odyssey app. What's trending?
All right, let's check in on the hot topics trending.
Number one on what's trending. It'll be good to have Royals baseball back on the air this afternoon, 2 hours from now. Spring training game number one. Royals taking on the Texas Rangers. Daniel Lynch scheduled to start. But again, that just means one inning. But he is scheduled to start for the Royals. We'll talk more about that. Josh Vernier, our Royals insider, he's joining me in studio for the next 2 hours. One minor move made. The Royals made that official this morning. Initially reported by Annie Rogers, though, with some details on Austin Nola, the veteran catcher, signing a one-year contract. It is a major league deal. Nola does have some options, and I'll ask Vern his thoughts on what maybe that move means, if anything. Next up on what's trending, local college basketball, all three schools in action. KU hosting the Texas Longhorns at Allen Fieldhouse at 5 o'clock. Also, Missouri basketball in action as their rough year continues. Unfortunately, they will be on the road at Arkansas, noon tip-off, and then Kansas State hoops also in action as the regular season for conference play starts to wind down a little bit. They host BYU. And lastly on what's trending, Derek Carr, who certainly didn't live up to the expectations the Saints thought they were going to get from him, trying to work out some more room cap-wise for an organization that's been in a bit of trouble there. They found around $23 million in salary cap relief. According to Adam Schefter, they have reworked that deal. So remember, they're adding on an extra year there, but he was due $30 million in base salary for this season. They convert a large portion of that, and the Saints trying to free up roughly $80 million via multiple restructures. That's what's trending here on Cody and Gold. Alex Gold, Drew Nixon with you. Thanks again to Pete Sweeney for joining us. And in studio for the next 2 hours, we got Josh Vernier, our Royals insider. I don't know if you and I, we've had you in studio for an hour before. I don't know if you and I have just kind of co-hosted for 2 hours because I don't think so. We'll talk a lot of Royals, but we'll talk some Chiefs and whatever, nipples and all kinds of things. You know?
Good. That's why I showed up, was the nipple
I didn't know
talk.
if we scared you off. Yeah.
No. As I confided in you during the break to let you know that I do have unique nipples.
Yes. Yeah. We're on video too, Vern. So, I mean, feel free.
No one wants to see that.
Feel free to let everybody.
They don't even want to see the face, let alone the nipples.
So we are on video as well. I have to ask, you got the Michigan gear. Obviously, I know you're a big Michigan fan. Drew was wearing Michigan gear yesterday.
I was decked out.
Go blue.
The basketball program, though.
Rough.
My goodness. Juwan, is he done after this year, Juwan Howard? Or
I don't follow the banter among fans and the athletic department enough to say something like that. But Juwan Howard, I feel the same way about him as I did with Jim Harbaugh. I just want it to work so bad because the story's so beautiful that I'm willing to stick it out with Juwan just like I was with Jim.
Okay, that's fair. I think that's fair. Yeah, now Harbaugh. I think for Harbaugh and the Chargers fit in the AFC West, that was the perfect fit based off of what he wants to be able to do and control, and he typically has success. I just want to know, 5 years from now, I asked Pete, I'm like, he may not be the head coach in LA in 5 years, only because seemingly he always has some controversy around him when it's over. Do you, as a Michigan fan, real quick, when he got you a national championship, but maybe you don't care, just he's leaving you guys with maybe potential issues down the road?
No, because those issues are, I thought, already addressed by their self-imposed 3-game suspension last season. Yes, he won the title, so of course you're going to give him a free pass on most things. It still hurts just because it was such a perfect story, the quarterback coming home. I wanted him to retire the Michigan football coach, but I understand he checked that box, and now it's on to win a Super Bowl, possibly. Not likely.
Yeah, he got you guys a natty, though. I'm excited, though, as I said, Royals baseball back on the air here on 610. You started Hot Stove last night, every Thursday night, right? It's going to be good to hear you again every week here and soon to be every night just about once baseball season gets underway. The question that we've got a lot of recently is, hey, have you guys looked at April? Have you guys looked at the start of the season, how brutal the schedule is? We know this has not been a franchise that has gotten off to good starts in April. How important is that, even more than maybe in the past, based off of all the moves they made, based off of the sentiment that's been around this organization for the last 7+ years?
That was really the theme of last night's debut edition of Vern's Hot Stove, is not so much the importance of April, because of course it's important, especially in Kansas City, because so often this fan base has seen the season implode before May arrives. So it's always important. Coming off the heels of another Super Bowl championship, look, the NFL doesn't relinquish much when it comes to the entertainment landscape for sports fans. So the Royals need to do something to grab that attention. So certainly April is important. What I'm interested in is, I talked with Drew Waters last night, and he says, we're all excited after the lessons that we learned last year. We're 0-0. We can't wait to attack the season, blah, blah, blah. I want to know what they do when they're 0-2 or 1-4, because that's, in my opinion, at the crux of the issue for this team this season, just like it was last year and the year before. That feeling of we don't have enough pitching, so now Bobby or Singer or Vinny and Salvi, they start to press in April, things go south, and all of a sudden you're out of it by mid-May. Drew Waters, Michael Massey, MJ Melendez, Cole Reagans, all of the young players that we still have questions about. How do they handle being 1-4? Waters is telling me last night, we all learned last year we don't need to do too much. Early on in the season last year, we're all trying to prove that we belong. We're trying to stay in the big leagues. And once we got comfortable, once we knew we belonged, that's when you saw us play our best baseball in August and September. So I asked him, that's all great. How do we skip that first step this season? How, when you're 1-4, 2-8, how do you avoid pressing? Does Bobby try to play the superhero? Does Salvi? Does Reagans? Does Singer? Or do they just do what they're asked to do, pass the baton, trust the guy behind them? That's the hope. But there are a lot of young players on this team, Gold. You need Garcia, Bobby, MJ, Vinny, Freddie Fermin, Kyle Isbell, Michael Massey. You need all of those guys, Drew Waters, to not do too much. So when you're 1-4, if that happens, because again, you start off with Minnesota and then Baltimore. I think 6 of your first 8 series are against 10 of your first 12 series are against teams that were in the postseason last year. When that rough patch comes in the first 2 months of the season, are all those young bats and young arms able to take a deep breath and remember the lessons from 2023?
Last year, we know the organization consistently said it was an evaluation year. Obviously can't go through that again. Their moves this offseason said that's not obviously something they're willing to accept again. But what you were just saying with so many young pieces, can't you argue though, well, fans shouldn't judge them in this way, but there's still plenty of evaluating to be done, right? I mean, how many players do you look at and say, Bobby Witt, of course, is first and foremost, but how many players do you say, I know what I'm getting? There's still questions with a lot of these guys, even though I'm optimistic.
Outside of Bobby, I think Bobby, Waka, maybe a Will Smith. That's really it. Everyone else, to me, is a different sized question mark. I went over this last night. Okay, for as much as we want to beat up this division, and what the Royals are saying right now, if we believe we have a real chance, that's what they're saying in Detroit. You can listen to A.J. Hinch and his players. That's what Pedro Gaffal's saying in Arizona right now with the White Sox. Everybody in this division believes they have a chance to win it, and that's fine. But you still have to play other teams, right? You're going to face every other team in Major League Baseball, and for the Royals, Texas and Houston and Baltimore and Milwaukee and Minnesota and other playoff teams, you're going to face them in the first 5 weeks of the season. So I look at starting lineup, bullpen, rotation. When we're getting ready for those series, how do the Royals line up? What can they match? Well, for the first time in our life, I think the Royals can now match superstar for superstar. And no longer is it, they have Adley Rutschman, they have Mike Trout, they have Shohei Ohtani, and we have a collection of good players. No, now you have Bobby. So, okay, we can go mano-a-mano, superstar for superstar. What else? And that's what brings us to the X, Y, and Z of the season. Cole Reagans has a chance to match your Corbin Burns or match your Pablo Lopez. You have a chance that he could be mano-a-mano, ace for ace. I think if Brady Singer can meet or exceed expectations, you have a chance to match other teams as far as the depth of your rotation or the quality of your rotation. If you get the good Singer that many people were hoping for going into last year, that Singer with a good Reagans, a solid Waka, and a good Lugo, man, that's very 2013-esque, where your rotation gave you a chance. Every time they took the ball, they're giving you 5 innings and a chance to win. So Reagan, Singer, and then MJ Melendez. Melendez, to me, can make this lineup about 6 deep. And if you could trot out a lineup 6 deep of guys that can beat you, you can go mano-a-mano with most offenses in the American League. So when I look at expectations, when I talk about this early season, there are a lot of questions. But Reagan, Singer, and Melendez, to me, those are the 3 guys that can make all Royals fans have some confidence when you're going into Baltimore, Toronto, New York, because then you can go mano-a-mano with the best in the American League.
I would guess then when I ask you, what does a 70-win season look like and what does an 80-plus win season and really in the hunt for the AL Central look like? I would guess it's kind of somewhat what you're saying. Some of those individuals, does Reagan's turn out to be anywhere near what he was in the back half of last season? Does Vinnie Pasquantino make it through 140-plus games this year? Is that kind of the difference of them improving from 56 and getting to 70-plus? But how do they actually get to where you're starting to really get excited and we're in August and this team is actually in the mix?
Health is, of course, number one. You know that. If they can stay healthy, then I'm going to go back to the X, Y, and Z. If X, Y, and Z meet or exceed expectations, the Royals will compete, should compete. And I'll go one by one. If one of those 3, Reagan, Singer, Melendez, if one of them meet or exceed expectations, I think you're a 70-win team. 2 of them, I think you're around a 500 team. If all 3 of them meet or exceed expectations, I think in August, in early September, you and Cody are still looking at the standings, and how nice would that be? Now, again, that's also my assumption that Waka's going to be who he's been for a majority of his career. That's under the assumption that last year was real, Seth Lugo. That's under the assumption that the bullpen is as improved as it appears on paper. That's also with the assumption that Bobby's a superstar. Vinny's about a 300 hitter. Salvy's running into 25, and Hunter Renfroe's running into 25. So, yes, there's a lot of assuming, but at least the names that we're talking about, the X, Y, and Z, it's guys that have done it before. I've seen Brady Singer really good. I've seen Cole Reagan's great. I've seen MJ Melendez really good. Most times over the past half decade, when I'm talking X, Y, and Z, it's Jackson Kowar, it's Chris Bubich, it's Daniel Lynch, it's guys that haven't earned that type of pressure. Going into this season, Reagan's, Melendez, and Singer have earned it, and I think that's a reflection of why so many fans are excited.
Vern hanging out with us in the studio, talking some Royals baseball. We'll also get to some Chiefs football, too. But today, and now official, it was initially reported last night, but Austin Nola signs, veteran catcher, major league deal, does have options. What do you think that is? Is it just, hey, it's early in spring training, let's just see how this plays out, injury insurance and all that, or does this tell us something else? How do you read into it?
Only had 2 catchers on the 40-man roster. You have to carry 3 because just injury-wise. I think Nola ends up down in Omaha. Freddie Fermin is playing a lot. Freddie earned it. You look at what he did after the All-Star break, made 30 starts and OPS near 800. Salvy's not catching 100 games anymore, hasn't done that in years, won't ever do that again. Salvy's focus right now is, of course, winning. Everyone knows that. We know about the work that he puts in. We know it's team first. But Salvy also has another motivating factor, and that is, of course, making it to Cooperstown, fulfilling the dream that him and Pedro Grifol have had for years. Being a baseball Hall of Famer, the only way he's going to do that is by putting up big offensive numbers for the next 5 seasons. I think the only way he does that is if he plays even less catcher, more first base, more DH, and I think that's coming down the pike this season. Furthermore, Salvy gets some sort of weird injury twice a year, seemingly every year, since he tripped over that suitcase before opening day almost a decade ago.
Is that 10 years ago?
Feels like it. Everything feels like good baseball feels like it was about 10 years ago.
That's fair.
So I think he's insurance when and if Salvy goes down. And whenever Salvy does go down, don't worry about it because when he returns, he's normally better than ever.
What the health you were just mentioning to me right as we were hopping on the air, health-wise, this team, good shape so far. It's very early, but there's some news maybe on Carlos Hernandez.
Yeah, Annie Rogers of MLB.com doing a great job as always. Out in surprise, she tweets out that Carlos Hernandez is dealing with shoulder soreness, according to J.J. Piccolo. She writes, Hernandez hasn't thrown off a mound in 2 weeks, but he's close to his first bullpen and should be able to get 6-7 live outings before the season. Not as concerning if he breaks camp as a one-inning guy, which is his role. But, and you mentioned this during the break, and we're kind of alluding to it a moment ago, the guys that you're relying on this year earned it. Will Smith and Chris Stratton and John Schreiber and James MacArthur. Hey, I hope Carlos Hernandez pitches well, but it's not one of those situations that you and I and Cody have been talking about for years where, man, if Daniel Lynch and Carlos Hernandez can click and if Adalberto Mondesi can stay healthy, this is the year. Those guys didn't earn that pressure. The guys in the bullpen right now that are going to start the season at the back end, those guys have earned that pressure. They've won. They've thrived under that pressure. Another reason why you should be excited, because that bullpen, if Singer struggles early, if Cole Reagans isn't that ace early, you can build their confidence. You can pull them after 5 because you now have arms, or you hope to have arms that you can bank on. But like you're saying, we're still 5 weeks away from opening day. A long way to go, a long way to stay healthy.
Fifth starter, I mean, what you're saying about, guys that were forced to do things essentially because of where the rest of the roster was at. Fifth starter this year, maybe it is going to be Jordan Lyles based on finances and all that, but it's not like last year where it's like, well, we know for sure he's going to be your 4th or 5th starter. How do you see that playing out? What do you think the 5th starter spot's going to look like?
This is how a 5th starter is supposed to be treated in spring. It should be up in the air. I would say that the number 5 spot is up in the air in 28 of 30 big league camps right now. You just mentioned injury. I think injury is going to say a lot. If Daniel Lynch is mowing them down all spring and the Royals stay healthy and maybe one of those young arms, the Chandler Champlain or the Mason Barnett start to flash and you think, hey, they might be able to contribute at some point this season. Injury happens elsewhere in the Cactus League, on another team in the Grapefruit League, and they're desperate for innings. All of a sudden they call for Jordan Lyles. Maybe you dump that salary, just get rid of him. So I think injury is going to play a big factor into that number 5 spot, to be quite honest with you.
The uniform controversy, man. Everybody's talking about these. What the heck is going on? So it's Nike uniforms, but Fanatics is like producing them. Is that my understanding?
Right.
And they were already complaining about them, the numbers maybe and lettering being cheap. And now the new thing, all these photos of players, see-through, man. There's
you see Scott Barlow's crotch? Yeah, right. Oh, yeah, and then that Mets player.
Mets or Giants? Was it
Giants, yeah. He was smuggling grapes.
Yeah, I mean, clear as day.
Oh, my God. I thought that was superimposed.
No. Some other outlet did a story on it, and they blurred it out. That's how obvious it was. One, it's just absolutely absurd, embarrassing for baseball.
Oh, man, and for that guy.
Yeah, this is getting fixed, though, right?
I don't know who that was. All I know is you're the balls guy now.
Yeah, I'm not sure. That has to get fixed, right?
You would think so. I don't know. They've taken pictures of Shohei Ohtani's with see-through pants. Yeah. I mean, he's the most marketable player you've ever had, and you're going to trot him out in that. Listen, I saw the Royals jerseys yesterday. The lettering didn't look bad. It wasn't as off-putting as others that I've seen. Honestly, a lot of the other jerseys look like, the jerseys they sell at the team store that they're trying to market towards women, as if women want these fake letters. No, I want a real jersey.
Yeah.
It seems like they're trying to pass that off on everyone. You would think it would get rectified before opening day, but who knows with, I just like blaming Rob Manfred for that one. That one seems like
he gave you 5-year notice. Aren't you happy? He gave us all 5-year notice of retirement.
Yeah.
Thanks for the heads up.
Well, there's a new CBA at the end of the 2026 season.
Also, he is still going to be part of that one, too.
So we'll see about 2029. They might want to run him out even before that.
Yeah, because the Las Vegas situation with the Oakland A's, that's not as done as everybody thinks it is. Like, it seems like that there's some hiccups there.
And there's a work stoppage, which would benefit the owners. I would imagine that's they can handle it more than the players can. Maybe that I'm going to retire is because you are really going to hate me by 2027. If I take baseball away from you for the second time, And you screwed the pooch when it came to COVID. You had the summer waiting for you, and you decided to pass on that. Yeah.
When I say survive, obviously it will still be there. But truly, like from a popular, can baseball survive another true strike? I mean, with where it's at in the sports world now, and I do think
so.
Credit to Manfred on one thing. I do think the pitch clock was great, and I do think the expanding of the playoffs, especially being here in Kansas City. I don't know why if you're in Kansas City you wouldn't like expansion of postseason, given where this market is situated in the grand scheme of things for baseball.
Yeah, I'm fine if you want to expand the postseason. Of course, you got to lop off a lot of games in the regular season. Listen. The CBA, it's going to come down to the salary floor and a soft salary cap, or maybe even a hardening of the current soft salary cap. So yeah, that's coming down the pike.
Are you going to get a jersey with the Quick Trip patch? There is already the freak out of that was funny to me. Now look, it's noticeable, but that's the whole point, right? For the client, for the corporate sponsor, and more revenue for the team.
Whatever.
That's
everywhere. NBA.
I didn't realize.
Past that, I thought.
Can you name? I guess to the point of, you're not going to notice it after a while anyway. What other? Can you even name a sponsor that was on any other MLB team's jersey last year? We looked it up because I'm like, if it was so noticeable, you'd think I'd be able to tell you how annoying it was on the Cleveland Guardians and these other teams.
No, I'm thinking of NBA.
Yeah, NBA definitely. You can picture some of those, right?
Which is exactly what the companies want. You become synonymous with that organization. But this is what Major League Baseball has to do. It's what the NBA has to do because they're all vying for a very, very, very distant second behind the NFL. If you compare any business, most businesses to the NFL, it's going to look like that other business is dying. Baseball's going to be fine. They just need to continue to adjust because that's what the NFL's done better than anyone is constantly tweaking, not being beholden to your past.
Man, if the Royals are winning, nobody's going to care that there's a giant red QT patch on the uniform.
That's I had QT pizza again today.
Yeah, there you go. It makes a lot of sense. And the NFL, within the next 10 or 15 years, I'm still convinced will have the same thing on their jerseys. Can you have a dollar amount for that?
Right. The NFL's so huge that as you're saying, I'm like, I don't even think they need that.
But whenever they're quote unquote tapping, right now they've new gambling money. Now Amazon's going to pay $130 million or whatever it is I saw for a wild card game next year. When those options are maxed out, and even if the international, at some point down the road, they always have in their back pocket for each team, they could sell a jersey patch easily,
and then another one on the back of the helmet.
I know fans hate hearing that, but that's the business side of it.
Yeah, I also hate calling Arrowhead anything other than just calling it Arrowhead. Yeah. But, hey, you got to keep up with the Joneses, and money needs to be made.
Josh Vernie, our Royals insider, hanging out with me till 2 o'clock. Royals baseball on the air for the first time this year, coming up at 2 o'clock as well as the Royals take on the Rangers. Up next, though, I do want to talk a little Chiefs football with Vern, some of the big moves that could come very, very soon, and Drew's got a random question of the day for us.
Cody and Gold, weekdays starting at 10 on 610 Sports Radio and the Odyssey app.
Advent Health welcomes the KC Golf Show February 23rd through the 25th at the Overland Park Convention Center. Get a dozen front door perks and bonus golf while they last. Super Saturday features Tom Watson with Watson Links and women's golf programming presented by Stretch Zone and Yingling Flight. Test big brands with Golf MD and shop till you drop at the Golf Show February 23rd through 25th at the OP Convention Center. Presented by Great Life Golf, Olathe Ford Lincoln, Orange Whip, Perfect Hands Golf, Arnold Palmer Spiked, and Edward Jones. VIP tickets and bonuses at kcgolfshow.com.
My 13-year-old acts like a puppy again. Almost overnight, she's a different dog.
Perfect poops.
When people switch their dog's food to the farmer's dog, the effects can seem like magic. But there's no magic involved. It's simply real meat and vegetables with all the nutrients dogs need, instead of highly processed pellets. No tricks, just smarter, healthier pet food delivered in packs portioned for your dog. It's amazing what real food can do.
Get 50% off your first order at thefarmersdog.com/no-magic.
Do you want to skip your car payment this month? How about for 6 months? I'm Jeff Davis, owner of Volkswagen Lease Summit. We're offering payment relief.
Buy a new car at Volkswagen Lease Summit and get no payments for up to 6 months. That's right, no payments for up to 6 months. Or we have low leases starting at $239 a month and rates as low as 2.9% for 60 months.
Get payment relief today at Volkswagen Lease Summit. Visit VWLeaseSummit.com.
Financing through VCI on approved credit. Call 816-841-7383 for details.
I'm McCall with Lee Summit Subaru. We've added even more incentives to buy from us. An exclusive lifetime warranty. Your first maintenance is free. Lee Summit Subaru just discounted up to $3,500 off MSRP or 0% financing for 63 months on the 2024 Subaru Outback. Bonus cash, 0%, free maintenance, and a lifetime warranty. That's why you'll fall in love with driving again at Lee Summit Subaru. The Subaru A Lot to Love event.
The service contract is not provided or backed by the manufacturer of the vehicle. The manufacturer of the vehicle is not responsible for the claims or repairs under this service contract.
I'm McCall with Lee Summit Subaru. We've added even more incentives to buy from us. An exclusive lifetime warranty. Your first maintenance is free. Lee Summit Subaru just discounted up to $3,000 off MSRP or 0% financing for 63 months on the 2024 Subaru Forester. Bonus cash, 0%, free maintenance, and a lifetime warranty. That's why you'll fall in love with driving again at Lee Summit Subaru. The Subaru A Lot to Love event.
The service contract is not provided or backed by the manufacturer of the vehicle. The manufacturer of the vehicle is not responsible for the claims or repairs under this service contract.
You want your lawn sprinklers to run regularly. Fire sprinklers, you hope they never run, unless there's a fire, and then they have to do what they're designed to do. Make sure your fire sprinkler system will work properly if needed. Call Keller Fire and Safety about their fire sprinkler system service, which includes inspections, maintenance, and repair. Keller will make sure it will keep you and your property safe, and it won't soak you when it shouldn't. Call Keller.
Keller Fire and Safety.
KellerFire.com.
Oh no, your little one has caught a cold and has a cough. Help them feel better fast with DayQuil Kids from Vicks. It's specifically formulated just for kids, and it helps treat their most bothersome cold symptoms. It's also available in 2 delicious flavors, honey and berry. DayQuil Kids is the daytime congestion, coughing, stuffy head, stuffy nose, just for kids medicine. Pick it up at your local pharmacy or any major retailer today. For kids 6 and up, use as directed.
With your choice of select sandwich, nugs, fries, and a drink, Wendy's $5 Biggie Bag is your go-to. Your nugget wingman. Your hot and crispy fried co-pilot.
Just like us. We're like the bag boys.
What?
Bag boys, what you gonna do? What you gonna do when we bring your food?
For a deal you can count on, bet on Biggie and choose wisely. Choose Wendy's.
Bag boys.
U.S. price and participation may vary. Includes choice of JVC or crispy chicken sandwich with 4-piece nugs, junior fry, and small soft drink. Third-party delivery pricing may be higher.
Okay, picture this. It's Friday afternoon when a thought hits you. I can spend another weekend doing the same old whatever, or I can hop into my all-new Hyundai Santa Fe and hit the road. With available H-Track all-wheel drive and 3-row seating, my whole family can head deep into the wild. Conquer the weekend in the all-new Hyundai Santa Fe. Visit HyundaiUSA.com or call 562-314-4603 for more details. Hyundai, there's joy in every journey. 2024 Santa Fe, available early 2024.
Can't sleep with this cold.
Honey.
Honey?
Honey. You need NyQuil Severe Honey.
NyQuil Severe Honey gives you powerful cold and flu symptom relief with a dreamy honey taste.
Feeling better, honey? Honey? I'll take that as a yes.
Try NyQuil Severe Honey for powerful cold and flu symptom relief. NyQuil Severe with honey flavor. The nighttime sniffling, sneezing, coughing, aching, fever. Honeylicious, best sleep with a cold. Medicine.
Use as directed. Keep out of reach of children.
I have diabetes. I'm at risk for pneumococcal pneumonia.
I have asthma. I'm at risk too.
If you're 19 or older with chronic conditions like asthma, diabetes, COPD, or heart disease, or are 65 or older, you are at increased risk for pneumococcal pneumonia. Ask your doctor or pharmacist about Prevnar 20, pneumococcal 20-valent conjugate vaccine, a Pfizer vaccine that can help protect you against pneumococcal pneumonia in just 1 dose. Even if you've already been vaccinated with other pneumonia vaccines, Prevnar 20 may help provide added protection. Prevnar 20 is approved for adults to help prevent infections from 20 strains of the bacteria that cause pneumococcal pneumonia. Continued approval may depend on a supportive study. Don't get Prevnar 20 if you've had a severe allergic reaction to the vaccine or its ingredients. Adults with weakened immune systems may have a lower response to the vaccine. Side effects include pain and swelling at the injection site, fatigue, headache, muscle, and joint pain. For full prescribing information, please call 1-855-213-2138 or visit Prevnar20.com.
Some people just know there's a better way to do things, like bundling your home and auto insurance with Allstate, or hiring someone to move your piano instead of doing it yourself. So, do things the better way. Bundle home and auto and save up to 25% with Allstate.
Bundled savings vary by state and are not available in every state. Saving up to 25% is the countrywide average of the maximum available savings off the home policy. Allstate Vehicle and Property Insurance Company and affiliates, Northbrook, Illinois.
The 610 Sports Radio phone line is brought to you by Onder Law Injury Lawyers. Visit getjim.com.
Back here, Cody and Gold, Alex Gold, Drew Nixon with you. Cody back with us on Monday. We got Josh Fernier, our Royals insider, hanging out for the rest of the show. Random question of the day coming up in about 8 minutes. I do want to pass this along. We were going to talk about some big moves that could happen for the Chiefs, maybe the first one of the offseason, but this is significant news that just happened in the NFL. It's now confirmed. There was a lot of speculation about what the salary cap could be. You know, would it be $243 million? $255.4 million is the new cap for this upcoming year. That's a $30 million increase. It's never had an increase like that in the NFL. Plus, there's an additional $70 million for performance-based incentives. But think about that $30 million increase, and we're talking so much about Chris Jones and what a contract could look like, and would you be willing to understand that in 2 years, maybe the final year of a Chris Jones deal, he's not the same type of player? Are you good with that? If it's going up $30 million, which we now know it is, which is more than they had even projected internally when they're doing their yearly, they're looking 2 years, 3 years down the road, I think there's even more push from the fan base, certainly now, probably, to get this thing done with Chris Jones. To me, you can make this happen if you're now going to have $8 to $10 million more in cap space than you thought when you were projecting out this year. That's a huge number.
And the salary cap is somewhat fungible in the way that you move money around and move it to a bonus. What does that third year look like with Chris Jones? I don't mean performance. I mean money-wise.
Yeah,
could you pay him to go away?
So we compared to the Aaron Donald deal, right? So everybody maybe remembers after the Rams won the Super Bowl against Cincinnati, they gave Aaron Donald a 3-year extension, and it was like $95 million. And so we looked at what has he been since and what's the money. There's 2 years of dead money at the end of it. So this is the final year that he's actually under contract, and then there's still 2 more years where they'll have like $16 and then $8 million against the cap. And so we were saying, are you good with that? And by the way, Aaron Donald not being a double-digit sack guy along the way, if I told you Chris Jones next year, still the same dominant player, and maybe you only have $12 to $15 million on the books in year 1, and then year 2 and 3, it gets up to $33 million, $35 million, or something like that. Pete said no. A lot of fans have said yes. I just think when we're now seeing the salary cap be even higher than anybody thought, suddenly $30 million a year from now. We know next year, Vern, it's going to go up another $20 million.
Pete and others say no because of L'Jarius?
Because of the concern of production down the road, right? That you have that money tied up, and as much as...
So where does the money go then? If you don't give it to Chris, where does it go?
Yes, well, L'Jarius Sneed, if they tag him, it's just $18.8 million. So $19 million on the books. Right. So yeah, you're good. I would just tag him and maybe not even do a long-term deal with L'Jarius Sneed. But the number Pete threw out for L'Jarius was 3 years, and it would be, what drew, $45 million or so, I think was the number. Charvarius Ward signed a 3-year, $40 million contract, and we figure that Sneed's better, and fast forward 2 years on the deal and the way the NFL has gone. But this to me is good news for the Chiefs to see where the dollar amount is at. Where are you on the priority for this football team? They're going for a three-peat, and how would you attack the offseason? Because I still want them to take a broader approach. Don't jeopardize 2 years from now just for this particular season. I think they've done a good job of putting the best possible team out there without doing what the Rams did a couple years ago, which is kind of screwing themselves for 3 or 4 years down the road.
Yeah, I'd bring Sneed or Jones back on a 1-2 year deal. Of course, I think anyone would do that. 3 years, I'd be willing to go there with Chris Jones. I don't think I feel that way about L'Jarius Sneed. Outside of that, man, I'm here are the keys to the draft. Brett Veach's track record kind of speaks for itself to where, man, you need to be not only a monster on the field, but in my opinion, a key cog in the locker room and in the huddle as well for me to pay you big. Chris Jones fits that billing. L'Jarius Sneed seems to fit that billing, but I think 22 fits that billing as well. So he can hold it down for 38 if we got to let him go.
Yeah, because the thought is in 2 years, you got to pay McDuffie maybe. And so if you did a 3-year deal for Sneed now, all right, and depending on what's guaranteed in the last year, you could set yourself up for at least 3 more years, 2 more years of having McDuffie and Sneed together. Like that's the advantage of doing that. I just look at the defense, and unless you can tell me that the money you're not going to give to Chris Jones is then going to be to go pay a Mike Evans and others, then you have to make sure you ramp up the offense that if you're going to take a step back, which you would without Chris Jones. I don't know if they go from being the number 1, number 2 defense to 20th without Chris Jones. No, they got too much talent. Spags is Spags. But if they fall back to 13th, we all know this offense can't be what it was this year. This offense has to be back to what we're used to in KC, and that requires going out and spending some money. So that's what would you rather them do, I guess? Would you rather them say, hey, we're going to make sure defensively we're in a very similar spot as we were top 5 defense. Offensively, we're going to improve, but maybe we can't make the huge leap that we would financially. I just wonder if the $30 million increase versus $20 million increase in cap actually allows them to do both.
Yeah, listen, no knowledgeable Chiefs fan, or certainly no one over there at Arrowhead, would get confused with how dominant that defense was. Can you duplicate that defense again? It's one of the 5 best defenses this century.
Absolutely. It doesn't get enough credit for that, but it is.
I don't know if you can run that back. I know Mahomes can be great again next year and will be great. I think 87 will be great. 4 is only going to get better. I know I'm taking a step back defensively. No, even if you bring Chris and L'Jarius back, I just don't. We never saw Ray Lewis's defense as good as it was in 01. I don't think you're going to see a Chiefs defense as good as it was last year. I'm bringing it back to Mahomes, and this is your team. We're forever paying you to lead us to the postseason. Defense did it last year, and of course you came up big and you're a stud. But this needs to be an offensive first team. And I think that is the direction moving forward because you're not going to be able to match what that defense was last year. It's going to take a step back, so the offense needs to come back.
Absolutely. I always had looked at what didn't happen before this past year, which was not the long-term deal for Chris Jones, and I assumed that was kind of the end of it. That if they weren't willing to do it when he was a year younger, and this year he actually had, 5 sacks less than he had, why would they now come up and meet him to the dollar amount that he wants? I'll be honest, seeing the updated number today, though, makes me wonder, that might be why, because they actually have more money than they thought based on the salary cap, as we just learned from the NFL, if you're just tuning in, that the cap is going to increase an unprecedented $30 million instead of, the 20 to 22 million that everybody thought.
Maybe this is the baseball guy in me. Love the intangibles and the importance of the clubhouse and who are the fountains and who are the drains and all of that. But I do. Don't you view Chris Jones differently today than you did 1 year ago at this time? I thought he was a Hall of Fame talent, a Hall of Famer last year at this time. This year, though, man, to me, he feels more like the Mahomes, Kelsey, Mount Rushmore, Chiefs type of player to where you lose that in the locker room. Yes, everyone else is a champion. I don't know how you replace. I don't know. You don't replace it on the field.
Yeah.
I don't know how you replace it in the locker room.
I wonder at this point in the locker room if they have enough of guys developing on defense to step up to where you can fill easier now than you could a year ago. Trent McDuffie, if L'Jarius Sneed is part of this, if Trent McDuffie, I wonder if you've got enough there. Spags, obviously. I wonder if you have enough that you can do that now. Maybe you couldn't a year or so ago. But to your point, Chris Jones Now that he's got 3 rings, to me, he could retire tomorrow. He's a Hall of Famer.
Yes.
I think he's part of a dynasty. You got 3 rings. You were an All-Pro during that stretch. You've had double-digit sack seasons. I think he's an All-Pro no matter what, which is why I wonder, from his mind, what is he thinking about this? We always approach these free agency conversations as if, what do the Chiefs have to do? Like, hey, how come you won't go to $30 million a year? You won't reach that dollar amount. What is he willing to do on top of that? And nobody should fault a player for going and getting as much money as possible, but is he willing to go get the deal that he thinks he's worth? Someone will pay him that.
No doubt.
I mean, that's
just for the press conference.
Yeah, right. So,
just to have that guy holding up that jersey, you win your fan base over.
Yeah.
Win your fan base over, and you win the offseason just by that press conference.
But is he willing to understand that, hey, if you go for the 3rd best team in the NFC South or whatever, are you good with finishing your career that way, where you're going to be fat and happy? I mean, you're getting paid, but you're not probably winning another ring in your career. I don't know that answer. He's got that. To me, will be what he has to decide. If I'm the Chiefs, I still, as I said earlier, would wonder, like, what changed now that you're willing to meet the number, unless again it is just that, hey, look, the cap went up way more than we thought. We think we can pull this off now.
Yeah, thinking of multiple-time champions on the defensive side, I can't think of many, if any, that take the hometown discount, that say, I'm chasing rings. They do at the end, Junior Seau, Rodney Harrison, they go to that team to try and get the ring. But once you have 3, to me, if you have that right old vet around you that's telling you, you got to go get, I think you got to go get that money, because how many times do we see 20 years after retirement, so-and-so's?
Look at the Adrian Peterson stuff this week.
Selling all their stuff because they don't really care about it.
Everybody handles their money differently. I'm not saying every guy that had the big deal went broke or anything. But yeah, we just saw the Adrian Peterson stuff this week, where even though he's pushed back and he claimed he didn't give him permission to sell his trophies, there are reports that maybe he's dealing with some financial issues and all that. You have a small window. Yes, it's massive amounts of money that we can't even fathom, but their earnings window is 8 years. I think the average earnings window in the NFL for average players is, like 4 years. Chris Jones is going to have a 10-plus year NFL career.
And the 4th trophy doesn't change his pocketbook, doesn't change his checking account. It really doesn't change much, other than it'll give him another ring to sell in 20 years to give his grandkids even more money.
So we'll see, but I do think it's positive news to see the salary cap go up more than we actually thought.
Random question.
For you, Vern, for you, Gold, we'll have Quentin here if he wants to talk about it too.
And we got Q over there.
The text line as well, 913-586-7610. So we talked about it a little bit yesterday to end the show. I briefly mentioned it. The Padres were doing a little mini mic thing as the players were coming out onto the field.
We got to cut out the mini mics, by the way. These things are absurd.
The topic or the question of choice is best French fry, and a majority of the players seem to go crinkle cut, actually. Who answered, but there was also shoestring, regular fries, which I would assume are like McDonald's fries, waffle fries as well. But the random question is, what fries are steak fries? What fries is your go-to fry?
Well, I'll tell you the one it definitely is not. It's not shoestring. That just reminds me of elementary school soggy fry. Those shoestring socks. Those are terrible fries. Crinkle is really good if they have to be fresh, though. Like, every fry is better fresh. But
are you thinking of specific ones at each, like shoestring? Are you thinking?
I'm thinking elementary school crap. Where have you gone outside of school that has good shoestring fries?
I feel like, doesn't Shake Shack?
Steak and Shake has them.
Steak and Shake. That's what I'm thinking.
Freddy's has them.
Those are no. Those aren't. I'm thinking shoestring is like the.
Oh, you're thinking curly
fries.
Yeah, that's curly.
That is different.
The thin ones?
Yes.
Oh, those are phenomenal.
Super thin
you can get like 18 of them.
Okay, I'm just getting confused then. I'm thinking, maybe I'm thinking of
Arby's curly?
Yeah.
Arby's curly are good.
Shout out Arby's.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, I got that confused then because I was like, no, those are terrible. But crinkle has to be fresh. Otherwise, they might be the worst.
Culver's, and I think of Culver's when I think of
like Raising Cane's has the crinkle fries too, don't they?
Yes, they do.
And those are solid.
Yeah.
You don't have waffle fries too often other than Chick-fil-A. I mean, there's not.
Back in the day, you guys remember Backyard Burgers? You guys have did they have that up in Michigan or anything like in Milwaukee?
No, I don't.
Backyard Burgers, I don't think they exist anymore, but they had pretty good waffle fries. You could even get the Kool-Aid Burst drink to go with it as a kid. That was top-notch stuff right there. Yeah, waffle fries, the only time I get them is Chick-fil-A. And usually they're always fresh there.
Yep.
Yeah, normally.
Wendy's strong.
Yeah.
Wendy's fries. I'm sorry
See,
that I'm just naming restaurants, but that's what I think
I'm
of.
out on the Wendy's fries.
Really?
Yeah, not a big
Because
fan.
Wendy's promises that they're fresh or whatever now, where McDonald's, it is a coin flip.
But if you get them right,
McDonald's fries are banging. They're good.
Oh, there's still nothing.
You better hope nobody's watching.
Yeah, I mean, if those are hot, the McDonald's fries, they're simply the best.
They're seasoned as well. There's the like garlic fries. They put the Parmesan. Man, there's
At a ballpark, you go to a Royals game, and you get the seasoned fries.
I'll be honest, anything starch is right up my alley. Potato chips, fries. I just eat like a absolute teenager. So the best fry, one fry for the rest of your life. I got to go tried and true. I got to take McDo's. Give me the McDonald's.
Yeah? I think that's...
fresh, of course. Yes.
Yeah. But I do think some fries hold up better when they're not fresh, which does that make them actually the better fry overall? You know what I mean?
I do. I do know what you mean, yes. Because my wife always has extra in her car, and if it's Wendy's, I'll horse those down.
Like, I'll be honest, so Burger King, their fries, when they are not fresh...
Rough.
Oh, yeah.
Woo. Yeah.
And
there's
then-
like three of them stuck together. and
I
you're like,
swear,
"Oh,
man, look,
this
and I
isn't work."
actually do like Burger King's hamburgers, underrated, but they will pour, and I'm on video, this Gatorade that I'm holding, Powerade, they will just pour salt and I swear they just hold it above it when they're not fresh.
Definitely.
And it just sits there, and they're just pure salt. They're not any good.
Yep.
Q, what is yours?
I don't know how much I can add to this conversation because I've actually never had a McDonald's French fry.
What?
Yeah, I know. Just
Hold
like,
on. Have you had McDonald's?
You're a spy.
I've never
He's
had.
a spy.
I've never had a McDonald's hamburger either. So
wow.
I don't know how much I can.
Have
add
you,
to this
do you-
cool,
I mean, good
actually.
for you, actually.
Yeah.
Do you not eat fast food?
Not really, and when I do,
for you,
it's
bro.
it's Wendy's. Like that's my go-to, and it's like I know what I want at Wendy's. The
Chicken nuggets, spicy?
Yeah, there
Yep.
you go. See, the only time I went to McDonald's is when I lived up in Maryville, and they had the $1 McNugget thing, the McChicken. And
the chicken's great.
Yeah, when that was on the dollar menu, me and my buddies made many midnight runs to the McDonald's to get the McChicken.
Look, you're healthier than all of us, clearly, right away.
Expect this, yes.
But I just can't get over that. To not
Has your family ever had McDonald's? Anyone in your family ever had McDonald's?
Nah, that's just not. I don't know.
Never.
Not as a
That's cool.
kid, not as
It's a flex.
I mean, the only
You've
time
never had a Happy Meal?
I mean, that's
Never had
impressive
a
on your
Happy Meal.
parents because I know my mom countless times
Yeah.
went, all right, you're driving me nuts. Here's a Happy Meal. Go run around in those disease-ridden slides.
Have you had the fries at Joe's?
at like
Barbecue,
Yeah.
like the
Oh, yeah,
unbelievable
yeah.
seasoned fries.
Oh, yeah.
I mean,
Those
those
are
are
great.
top. Those are top tier.
Yeah.
Top tier fries.
If we're talking fast food, I'm going with Five Guys.
Five Guys is but that's more like fast casual.
Yeah.
I had a bad hangover experience with Five Guys one time, and I can't get
Oh,
past
no.
it. And now, whenever I think of Five Guys, I think of that
Brings you
Monday
back.
morning. Yeah.
I'm just still stunned with it. I can't get. I mean, again, it's impressive. I just
I imagine Q and his family
Yeah.
driving by McDonald's, and they're like, over
What is that?
100 billion sold, 100 billion served, and they're like,
us.
really, 100 billion people have been there? We've never been there. Okay, all right, good for them. They must be doing well.
I mean, I kind of just want to now find out what else have you not had that I thought was just
Taco Bell?
Yeah. Have
Oh,
you had,
I love Taco Bell. Oh, don't even. Nah, Taco Bell. I'll smash that, dude. I don't even
So,
care.
yeah.
Have you had Taco Bell's fries?
Taco.
I haven't.
I have not.
I've had the nacho fry. I just don't know how if you spent your entire life in the United States of America, right?
I know, dude.
And you're in how old
Did
are
you
you
live in a jungle in your adolescence?
I'm 24.
Well, his arteries are better than ours.
Well, how about some maybe a slow day in the summer? You and Cody, and Drew, take him out to McDonald's.
I think at this point,
I mean, he's the last person alive
if
that
I-
hasn't had McDonald's. Let's see what he thinks. I bet you he loves
We
it.
just get video of him
great.
going and order his first quarter pounder and fry.
And you know how frustrating it is when you go there and someone's looking at the menu like they've never seen it before, and you're like, "It's freaking McDonald's.
Yeah, hurry
Order
up."
what you want." It'll actually make sense with him. He's never seen it before.
I feel we just got to get you a Happy Meal, like to make up for lost time. That's what you need to order is a Happy Meal and all, and make sure you get a toy and everything.
Are they still giving toys? Are you even sure about that?
I mean, I don't know.
I think they are.
I would imagine.
We'll have to
Imagine
get you
they're
a
still
McFlurry too, so you can try that.
McFlurry. You guys remember back in the day they had
As long as the
the
ice cream machine's
All-American
working.
meal? You remember the All-American meal?
No.
You don't remember.
I don't remember that.
It was basically like a burger and a fry, but it was just called like an All-American meal you could
Oh,
get
well,
there
sure.
too.
Well, I'm an American. Yeah, I can piece that together.
Bert's like, well, I'm
Burger,
American.
fries, and a Coke.
Bert's like, well, I'm an American. I've had fries.
I guess I'm not American. I guess that's what we've
I will say that it's making people question on the
It's
text
got to be
line.
a top 5 things to prove that you're an American. I've had McDonald's. Not even an American. McDonald's is everywhere.
Yeah,
There's got to be one in Antarctica.
It's a global thing. That's incredible.
Good for you, man.
In terms of the fry, I don't know.
I want to break it, though.
Like when you go to the bar and they've got those, like, they're almost like double cooked fries. They're kind of like that light brown and they're like got the crispy outside.
I'm thinking of like hot fries in the bag that you get at the gas
You know what I'm
station.
talking about, Drew?
Cheese.
The way it's like they're double fried is what you're.
Yeah. Those are the ones that I want. I want a
There's
nice.
They're so crispy that you can
like
bite right
pub
through.
fries or
yes.
you know, like,
yes.
Yeah,
Pub fries.
those are solid. I don't know if that's what they're officially called. But
I don't
that's
know
fine.
what they're called either, but
think
I
they
want
fit
a
in this
nice
category.
crispy outside and fluffy inside. So
Go to McDonald's and get back at me.
No kidding. Please, somebody drop off McDonald's
had-
fries and burgers now.
I don't know. At this
man.
point, would my system reject it?
No.
You know?
Well, everyone's system rejects it. It's not real food, but
Yeah.
it's all right sometimes.
All right, that's the
That is a random question.
which was weird because at one point today I was going to ask you, and now I know the answer is no. Would you have KFC's rolling out a sandwich, but it's called a chizza,
a chizza or whatever, chicken patty, and then pepperoni and cheese on top of
so
it. Basically,
chicken fillets, basically like the fried chicken fillets, but with cheese and then pepperonis on top.
If someone bought it for me, I'd try it, but I will never purchase that.
Yeah.
I'll try it, but and the KFC that's near me, a little suspect.
Quality control, not there, huh?
Yeah, no.
Not across the board.
No.
There you go. Thank you for entertaining us with that cue. The text line is still enjoying everything about the McDonald's aspect to
It's
the
like we were
random
watching
question
a
of the-
baseball game.
Yeah.
This is Pledge of Allegiance.
Yeah. I mean, that's an all-timer. That's something I'm now going to remember the rest of my life, that I once had somebody, an intern on the show, now not an intern, but at the time an intern of ours, Q, that never has had McDonald's. So, yeah.
What is more, is it ubiquitous than McDonald's? What is,
I mean, that's as American as it gets.
I mean, Walmart? Have you been inside of a Walmart?
Yes, I've been inside of a Walmart. Is this going to be a list now? Do I
Well,
got to go
yeah,
through what
I
are
need
the
to
most
compile a list,
stereotypical
yes,
things?
of 20 things that I thought were things everybody's done in their life in America.
Name the first president, like some things you just experience.
Have you ever
it.
shot off a firework?
Yeah, but I did as a kid, like sprinklers and stuff like that. But I'm good.
Sparklers,
I'll just
yeah,
watch.
Sparklers.
Yeah.
Sprinklers.
Have you ever ran through a sprinkler before? We're just gonna go through.
That's another. Yeah.
have you had popsicles on the 4th of July?
Do you know why the 4th of July is important?
Yeah, I think so. Is it to celebrate Ronald and his success
right.
as a businessman?
All right, coming up next, 1 o'clock hour. Vern's hanging out with us till 2 o'clock. I want to ask him if we're acknowledging and viewing, I should say, one individual with this club the same way we did last year. Plus, Vern's got to give me some Royals bets, and I'm going to run some by him next.
Cody and Gold. Watch the show on YouTube by subscribing to the @610 Sports KC channel. 610 Sports Radio.
The best deals at the pump happen when you shop the aisles of Hy-Vee with help from the first Warn 5 weather team.
This is KCTV5 Chief Meteorologist Luke Doris. Watch KCTV5 Sunday night at 10 for our official high temperature.
Whatever it was on Sunday means you save on Monday with your Hy-Vee Perks card. If the high was 63 degrees, you save 63 cents a gallon when you spend at least $63.
Watch First Warn 5 weather on KCTV5 this Sunday at 10.
Hey, it's Kling. There are many reasons I love Hy-Vee, the great values, the selection, the service, and I love to rack up fuel savers. And you can as well. Shop Hy-Vee on Monday, earn a fuel discount equal to the high temperature on Sunday and the amount you spend. If the high is 68 degrees on Sunday, I'll save 68 cents per gallon when I spend $68 on Monday. Heat up the savings every Monday through April 29th only at Hy-Vee.
Must look up code 80007 at checkout or promo code HEATUP when shopping online. See store for details.
Diabetes, high blood pressure, anxiety meds, everyone's on them. If you're a 50-year-old male, maybe a bit porky, and you may even have type 2 diabetes, $1 million of term insurance may only cost you about $200 a month. Call Term Provider. Speak with Big Lou at 800-555-1509. Big Lou will find a term life policy for you even if you have type 2 diabetes, are overweight, or have high blood pressure. Term Provider has helped thousands of people like you who think they can't afford term life insurance. To buy $1 million of affordable term life for you, all you need to do is call Big Lou at 800-555-1509. Lou will make sure the scales are tipped in your favor. Call 800-555-1509. Big Lou will answer your call and work to fit you into a term life policy that you can afford. Remember, Big Lou's like you. He's on meds too. Call 800-555-1509. 800-555-1509 or biglou.com.
Outdoor America with Tommy Bench, Saturday mornings on 610 Sports Radio at 5 a.m. and the Odyssey app. This week, Tommy answers your questions. Outdoor America, presented by Wholesale Batteries, the right battery the first time.
Hey, it's Rex here with RexBuysKC.com, your local KC home buyer. If you own a property in the Kansas City or surrounding area and want to sell it fast and at a fair price, write this number down, 816-330-6000. I'm a private real estate investor, not some hedge fund or large national chain. My family and I live right here in KC. I can pay cash and close on your timeline, even in as little as 3 days. Here at RexBuysKC.com, we are improving Kansas City one house at a time. I buy inherited houses, vacant houses, foreclosure houses, behind in payment houses, my tenant won't pay the rent houses, and properties that need complete rehabs. Do you own a house that's trashed and needs thousands of dollars in repairs? Great. If you own a house and want to sell it fast, call me at this number, 816-330-6000. That's 816-330-6000, or go to RexBuysKC.com. That's RexBuysKC.com, and I look forward to working with you.
It's O Rewards Bonus Points Month at O'Reilly Auto Parts. Shop in-store or online to earn points and get rewarded at O'Reilly Auto Parts.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
What does it feel like to file with TaxSlayer and get your guaranteed maximum refund? It feels like the last level of a video game, facing off against the final boss who stands between you and your refund.
All your refund has belonged to me.
Using the power of TaxSlayer like a secret power-up he doesn't see coming.
Only the most tax confident can defeat me.
Throwing your laptop at his video game face and watching him crumble into a giant pile of shiny coin tax refunds.
Oh, not fair. You use TaxSlayer.
Start for free and get your guaranteed maximum refund. TaxSlayer. File fearlessly.
It's O Rewards Bonus Points Month at O'Reilly Auto Parts. Shop in-store or online to earn points and get rewarded at O'Reilly Auto Parts.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
Sunny to partly cloudy, breezy, high today 62.
Weather brought to you by Robert Half.
9 out of 10 hiring managers are having difficulty hiring today. Robert Half is here to help. At Robert Half, we know talent. Visit roberthalf.com today.
This is a special alert to all Americans who own a vehicle with less than 200,000 miles with an auto warranty about to expire or with no warranty coverage at all. Due to a decline in the economy, CarShield is announcing a low-cost month-to-month vehicle protection plan that is now available to the public to save any driver out-of-pocket expenses on future auto repairs. Call now to find out how you can pay almost nothing for covered auto repairs. Yes, you heard that correctly. Pay almost nothing for covered auto repairs. An open phone line has been established for all drivers to call for a free quick quote. Call 800-973-7809 now. Drivers who are covered will not have to pay for covered repairs again. This protection plan is at an all-time low. Additionally, drivers who activate this vehicle protection today will also receive free roadside assistance, free towing, and car rental options at no additional cost. Call us for your free quick quote today. 800-973-7809. That's 800-973-7809. What do you have to lose? Call 800-973-7809. Again, 800-973-7809.
For more than half a century, contractors and trade professionals have relied on WeatherGuard for heavy-duty truck and van storage equipment, not just to protect their valuable tools, but to protect their professional reputations. For pros, the WeatherGuard badge makes a statement about what drives them. It says, "Bring it on. Been there. Done that. We've got your back," without saying a word. And the folks at WeatherGuard, they're just as driven as the hardworking pros they serve. See what it means to be driven at weatherguard.com.
Some people just know the best rate for you is a rate based on you with Allstate. Not one based on the driver who treats the highway like a racetrack and the shoulder like a passing lane. Why pay a rate based on anyone else? Get one based on you with DriveWise from Allstate.
Not available in Alaska or California, subject to terms and conditions. Rates are determined by several factors, which vary by state. In some states, participation in DriveWise allows Allstate to use your driving data for purposes of rating. While in some states, your rate could increase with high-risk driving. Generally, safer drivers will save with DriveWise. Allstate Fire and Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates, Northbrook, Illinois.
You're listening to 610 Sports Radio from the Mission Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling Studios. You're listening to the sounds of a dynasty.
Being the underdog the last 3 games in the playoffs. Maybe a lesson learned for everybody else out there in the future.
Yeah, just know that the Kansas City Chiefs are never underdogs.
The official broadcast partner of the Chiefs, 610 Sports Radio, KCSP Kansas City, WDAF HD2 Liberty, always live on the free Odyssey app.
1 o'clock hour here on a Friday. It's Cody and Gold. We'll get back to Club 610 here in a week or two. We're reorganizing some things with that. And so, I don't know. Sorry if Vern was hoping for some alcoholic beverages. Maybe there's some around here still.
I was going to bring in some beer.
Oh, you could have still.
I'm glad
Not
I
an
didn't.
official Club 610, though. No, not an official Club 610.
Because then you're just drinking at 1 o'clock. And
Hey, well, I mean, you're still. I mean, you're about to get really busy again. But by the way, did you go anywhere? Like, did you get after the long season? Did you have a chance this offseason to go anywhere?
No, nowhere fancy. Went to Michigan to see family. Went to the Michigan-Ohio State game.
Ooh, okay, I'm jealous.
So that was the highlight.
Had you been? That was at the Big House this year? Or was that the Horse? Yeah.
Yeah.
See,
I haven't been since 2005.
Oh, okay.
So it had been a long time.
Yeah, that's a bucket list. That's at some point I gotta make it out to the Big House or just that particular
or Columbus.
Yeah, I would say that particular game in rivalry.
Yep.
So we got Vern with us till 2 o'clock, and then a reminder: Royals baseball first time this year on the air at 2 as the Royals open up spring training against the Texas Rangers. Daniel Lynch.
Calling him Daniel Lynch the fourth?
No. I'm just not.
You're a real radio pro. Because if you're not doing it, I'm not doing it.
I'm not. I mean, look, I doubt that he's gonna. I don't think it's something that he's gonna get all that irritated by if I just say Daniel Lynch either.
You put it on the back of his jersey.
You have to worry about it more than I do. You're in the clubhouse on a daily basis. Maybe, but I don't know. It's not like we've been pronouncing his name wrong the whole time, and it's like, hey, obviously show some respect. Learn how to pronounce the guy's name.
Mm-hmm.
He added Daniel Lynch the third, right, or whatever. The fourth. I'm sorry. Yeah, Ivy. Daniel Lynch. There you go. to the end. I don't know. You think we need to be? I'm not going to say Daniel Lynch the fourth every single time.
If he wins the 5 spot, I'll call him Daniel Lynch the fourth.
Okay, fair enough.
A little bit more proper.
Fair enough. I did want to ask you, though, before we get to some maybe bets for this Royals season, I got a couple I ran by you a few weeks ago and kind of how you're viewing this season. We know the win total is sitting at 73.5 at multiple books, which is an interesting number. We can get to that in a second. But how do you, I guess, view Q this year? And last year, evaluation year, I mean, I don't know what people expected for him to have done differently. To me, any criticism was ridiculous for the most part last year. How do you view him now that we know they went out and spent money, that there are increased expectations? How do you approach that? I mean, you've covered multiple managers now in a Royals uniform and been covering this organization for a while.
I've always maintained that the manager's job from the beginning of spring training until the end of August is maintain a cohesive clubhouse and utilize your relievers properly. Don't overwork your bullpen. That's really it. Clubhouse and bullpen. Now, we get to September, we're playing meaningful games. Okay, X's and O's, we can start diving into that stuff. Which, by the way, I was a fan of how Q managed the team, his personnel last year, his bullpen. I'm a fan of how he goes about putting a lineup together, how he goes about executing the X's and O's. I'll go back to something we talked about last hour and my curiosity with this team and how they handle the first losing streak of the season, especially if it comes in the first few weeks of the season. How do they handle being 1-4? How do they handle being 2-7? How does Q handle it? Now, last year, he took the approach of, understandably, because he's no dummy, he knew he didn't have any talent and he knew he didn't have any pitching, so he wasn't going to get frustrated. But last year in April, he took a deferential tone to the opposition. Always giving credit. Man, hey, they're big leaguers too. And boy, that Pablo Lopez is tough. Or boy, that Shohei Ohtani really had our number. Wow, Kevin Gausman really shoved it up our tailpipes tonight. I don't want to hear that this season. So two things that I want from Q. A, how does he keep everyone in that clubhouse in a, not just a positive mindset, but a confident, aggressive mindset to where we're not genuflecting to the other Major League Baseball team. No, we're a Major League Baseball team as well. I need that attitude from the top down. I need Bobby, Vinny, Salvi. I need them exuding that. I need that from Reagans, and that begins with the manager. You know, you go back to the championship team. The reason why that team was, yes, close was because of the bond that they built as teammates, but also Ned took all the slings and arrows and only gave off a confident tone. So when they are 2-7, whenever that we've lost 8 of 10 stretch comes across, I want almost an indignant Matt Quatraro of, we're going to turn this thing around. We're too talented not to.
Because there was also the balance I saw a lot last year from fans at times, which was interesting because of how fans reacted to Mike Matheny prior, which was like, well, he's not angry enough. And then when it was Mike Matheny, of course, like, well, you're just running way too hot, man.
Right.
So what that balance, that was something I saw a lot last year from some fans at times. Like, you need to be angry, you need to be mad. Also, I don't know, what good does that necessarily do?
Especially when you can read the writing on the wall. And those people that were complaining that Q wasn't showing enough emotion, in the next breath would talk about how void of talent this team was, or how we can't develop a pitcher, or we can't develop a superstar. Well, how in the hell is Q supposed to win? Or, and listen, you're not going to see Q thrown out of games. You're not going to see a big spike this year. He's not going to turn into Ned Yost because you got to be who you are. And Q is certainly building those relationships in spring training, does it before games, after games, in the clubhouse and whatnot. So if a game starts and he starts blowing his top, everyone in that dugout looks and says, all right, now he's panicking. He's gripping it a little bit too tight. He's starting to, forget the lessons learned from 2023. And that's really what this year is going to come down to, is those first 2 months. Are you able to take a deep breath and understand there's still 4 months to play after that? Can you maintain through May? That's really what my focus is going into the season.
I mentioned the win total for this team. It's set in Vegas over under 73.5. 56-win team a year ago. And that's a heck of a climb already. But as we've discussed, I mean, there's reasons to be optimistic as well. When you see that number, does that sound right for you? Or is it too high?
Yeah, I would bet if I was betting, and I don't bet on something like that, but I would bet the under. I certainly wouldn't place that bet because then you're just rooting against the Royals all year.
Right,
that seems to me to be somewhat swayed by a big offseason. But that's a pretty hefty jump. Now, they can certainly make that jump, right? Clear that. And like we talked about in the previous hour, the only way they do that is if Reagan, Singer, and in my opinion, MJ Melendez meet or exceed expectations. I'm hoping that all three of those things happens, because if that is the case, this team's going to be competing into September.
The division, you brought them up last hour, or the rest of the division, I should say, and everybody's optimistic, and everybody should be. It's not the AL East. You don't have to get to 98 wins maybe to win this thing. Right. It might be 83 wins or something like that. Who knows? I mean, I don't think the gap between whoever you think the best team is I think the Twins are favorites maybe in this division to win it on paper. Mm-hmm. Whatever that looks like, I don't think the third place team necessarily is going to be 30 games worse or something. You know, so like, what do you make of the rest of the division, and where would you put the Royals right now in that pecking order? Just going into the season, you're not saying how they're going to finish, but just going in with what we know right now.
Well, there's still some big name free agents out there.
A lot, but this seems like more than normal? Am I wrong? Where spring training's happening, games are happening today, and there's some big names.
Yeah, all Boris names. Yeah. So it's not abnormal. Okay. This is his MO. But listen, Blake Snell or Jordan Montgomery goes to Cleveland or Minnesota.
Changes it all.
That changes it all. But when you look around the American League Central, who has the best rotation, I always lean Cleveland because they seem to draft and develop better than anyone else in the business. Bullpen is a crapshoot. I think the best offense is in Minnesota. So, yeah, it's really it comes down to pitching. You look at Detroit, can Tarek Skubal be that consistent arm? Can he be that number one that Detroit's been waiting for? Can Cole Reagans be that in Kansas City? Is Dylan Cease long for Chicago? The answers to those three questions, I think, dictates who finishes third.
When you mentioned Dylan Cease, it actually reminded me, though, of what hopefully doesn't happen. But let's say the moves that they made this offseason, we know that multiple players have option years, right? And so on the deal, so a Michael Wacha, Seth Lugo type. If this team doesn't take the step that we all looked for them to take, and it is around the trade deadline, I'm not talking about younger pieces because now that they've locked up Bobby Witt Jr., I think that changes what they would be willing to do with some of the younger pieces. But a Michael Wacha, a Seth Lugo, anybody else, certainly any of the bullpen arms for the most part, would that be a scenario where you think they would still, if they were underachieving from where they thought they would be, they would be willing to trade Wacha, or they should be willing to trade Wacha, Lugo, and any of those guys if it got to that point mid-season? Yeah.
Of course, be willing to. I think you'd be reluctant somewhat with Wacha and Lugo unless someone is ready to fill that spot for 2025. Right? The moves that they made this offseason, I think, bide some time for J.J. Piccolo to build up that farm system to get everything ready by 2026. So I think the moves made this offseason are their aggressiveness, not only for 24, but also for 25. Renfroe and the relievers, to me, would be top of mind. Those would be the first to go at a deadline deal. Wacha and Lugo, certainly. But I don't think when they traded Whit Merrifield or Carlos Santana or Jorge Soler, Scott Barlow, we knew those moves were coming. I don't know. I wasn't that interested in the return. These guys, you got to get rid of Carlos Santana. You got to get rid of Jorge Soler. You got to get rid of Whit Merrifield. Wacha, Lugo are not going to fall into the category of, all right, it's the deadline. There's no reason to hang on to these guys. No, there's a reason. Wacha's presence in that clubhouse, Wacha's presence in that rotation for 2025 completely alters what this team is in 25.
Because that's what I think is a little tricky about this year for me, and I love all the moves that they made, and I do think we're going to see a much better product on the field. But at the same time, unless it is also individuals you mentioned, Reagan, Singer, Melendez, Vinny, and these guys being a part of that, it's not long-term. Like Michael Wacha and Seth Lugo, even if they're great this year, they're not here in 26 and 27. They're not long-term pieces. So I guess when I'm viewing what's successful this year, if the team wins 78 games, I think most people would sign up for that. All day long. Would be great. Give me that. Absolutely. But if that is mainly carried by Wacha and Lugo, and not that Cole Reagans was great again, and not that Vinny played a $140, and not that MJ Melendez played across the season was consistent. If those guys aren't a huge reason, and maybe you would say, hey, they have to be for them to get to 78, but I guess it's a weird mix of, is there fool's gold perhaps with what this year could be based off of?
I don't think Wacha and Lugo are that good enough to carry. Wacha, Lugo, Renfroe, Salvi, Bobby, I don't think that's good enough to carry you to an impressive season. If those guys are good and everybody else is bad, you're bad. And Renfroe's traded, relievers are traded. Maybe Wacha or Lugo is moved, but if you're that bad, that also means that Singer and Reagans probably aren't delivering, which means the pitching woes that we've discussed for the past half decade are continuing. So no, I'm not going to part with Wacha or Lugo. The only way I don't see how or why you would part with those guys this season. It's of course possible, but man, that's a pretty dark scenario to envision.
Yeah, no, I don't want that to happen. I was just talking it out a little bit as we got Vern with us. Again, Hot Stove season, Vern's Hot Stove show underway last night. If you missed it, Odyssey app, 610sports.com, every Thursday at 6 o'clock, right?
6 to 7 last night had the hitting coach Alex Zumwalt and outfielder Drew Waters. Just subscribe to the All Things Vern podcast on the Odyssey app or wherever you get podcasts.
I wanted to run some bets that I already made.
Okay.
You can tell me if I'm already losing money on these.
Like it.
And then I'll run some other ones by you. So I texted you about this. I think it looks like I placed the bet back on January 31st, so it's not even been a full month yet. But at the time, and it's already altered, Cole Reagan's regular season strikeout leader in all of baseball, 80-1. It's already down to like 35 or 40-1. At this point. So
really?
Yeah.
Well, then you don't need my advice. That's it.
Well,
that's the book telling you good job.
Yes, I got good value.
Yes.
But it would be a special year. He pitched like a Cy Young guy on the back half. The reason why I didn't
need to be on a good team.
I didn't bet Cy Young because of that reason.
Right.
Whereas you can be the strikeout leader and be on a 70-win team.
For sure.
Cy Young, you're going to have to be on a much better team.
James Shields was up there a few years. Those were better teams, of course. Without question. He led baseball right from like the middle of August.
He was a Cy Young pitcher for 2.5 months or whatever it was. If you're wondering, some of the other names that are ahead of him in the so Strider.
People don't know Cole Reagan's outside of Kansas City and Arlington.
Yeah, and I think that's why he's 35-1 now. So some other people have caught on to this a little bit, but Spencer Strider's the favorite
for sure,
big time favorite. By the way, like, there's a huge gap.
Yeah.
He's plus 195. Kevin Gausman is 10-1, and then Garrett Cole at 12-1. So there's a big gap. The other one, stolen bases. And we know what Acuna did last year. Just absurd. Just ran away with it. But
Bobby coming one shy from 50.
Acuna, plus 160 to lead the league in stolen bases. Ruiz, plus 390. Corbin Carroll. And then Ellie De La Cruz. He lost me a lot of money. I swear I was like all in on it. Look, I still, whenever I bet on him, Vern, it seemed like he had off days. But Bobby Witt, I got him at 13-1. He's now 11-1. He's got the 6 best odds to stolen bases.
Yeah, the Ruiz kid in Oakland. I think he's still in Oakland. He's the name that scares me most. Is he going to be on base as much as Bobby? No, but he's going to be running every time he's on base. Bobby now with $300 million coming his way. Is he getting as many green lights? Are we not reckless? He was never reckless. But we got to be careful with those fingers now, right? Those thumbs are really important. We don't want anything happening to his wrists.
Oh, so that one scares you a little bit, it sounds like. Okay.
It scares me because Mike Trout stole a lot of bases early in his career, and then as he started to make millions and millions of dollars, they said, hey, you know what? How about you just focus on gap to gap? How about you just focus on OPS, and we'll have someone else steal the bases? Bobby's still going to rip 40, 50 bags. But shoot, you saw it took 70
Yeah, he's got to get to
lead
60.
the league.
He's going to have to get to 60 to have a chance, right? I mean, if we're being honest.
Yes.
He's going to have to get to 60 to be right there in the awards market for that. Someone on the text, I want to know Bobby's MVP odds. If you were curious, American League MVP odds, Bobby Wood Jr. 20-1 right now. He is behind Kyle Tucker, Julio Rodriguez, Yordan Alvarez is plus 950, Seager 850, Soto 6-1. The favorite in the AL is Aaron Judge
for sure.
at plus 550. Well, that just takes a special season, and then the team aspect too, right? Like, I mean, the Royals would have to win the AL Central.
Yeah.
And by the way, if they won the AL Central, it probably means Bobby Wood Jr. is having an MVP type season too.
And Vinny's not far behind as protection.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, it's one of those, like, if the Royals win the AL Central, you might, if you've actually thought that was going to happen, it wouldn't hurt to put, $5 on Cole Reagans to win Cy Young and Bobby Witt to win MVP, something crazy like that. I haven't heard that sound. I don't know if you know what that means, Vern. I haven't heard this sound in a long time.
Mock draft?
That's the mock draft sounder.
Mock draft season.
It's the first time this year I think we've sounded it. What do you got?
Tom Fornelli today came out with a mock draft for CBS Sports.
Fornelli?
Fornelli. And at pick number 32, he has the Kansas City Chiefs not going wide receiver, not going offensive lineman, but Byron Murphy, defensive lineman out of Texas, at pick 32.
Well, I think a lot of this has to do with what they might do with Chris Jones as far as what my opinion's going to be on Byron Murphy or any defensive tackle.
Of course,
or edge,
this also
right?
was pre-salary cap announcement as
well.
well.
I mean, yeah, there'll be 100 of these that come out. I think if they're going to take a defensive lineman in the first round, that means, in my opinion, Chris Jones is not back. They would have, and they'll obviously know this way before we get to the end of April. But I wouldn't draft a defensive tackle or end in the first round if Chris Jones is back. I think I would draft one still later in the draft. But if Chris Jones is gone, then it becomes a huge priority.
I thought Byron Murphy was a safety from Washington.
That is a safety. different.
I guess
different
two
Byron Murphys. I guess.
But yeah, he played out with the Huskies.
Mm-hmm. No, I have no idea who this guy is.
I was running through some numbers in the bullpen with Gold, and so I think that this year he had 13 solo tackles. That's it. But he did have 5 of those were sacks. He had 7.5 tackles for loss. I guess not statistically the stat line you'd like to see with a first-round pick. Drazon Newton is the guy from Illinois who's a lot better, at least in terms of on the board. Are you surprised they went D-line, though, instead of O-line? I know, obviously, the conversation is going to change 100 times by the time we get to the draft itself.
I'm not surprised because what you just said there. I mean, we're going to have 1,000 mock drafts, and there's going to be plenty that haven't taken a wide receiver, and there's going to be plenty that haven't taken an offensive lineman. And from a fan aspect, my guess is always the sexier one is the wide receiver. So everybody will get excited when wide receivers are mocked to the Chiefs. And if they end up getting mocked an offensive tackle, everybody's like, oh, that sucks. I'm waiting to pick 32 for them to draft a tackle. Like, we know how this goes. Wide receivers, way more fun and exciting. But no, I mean, Murphy or a player like that makes sense if, to me, Chris Jones is not back. Otherwise, I don't believe they got to go tackle or end in the first round. If Chris Jones is back, it's wide receiver or O-line for me. That's kind of where I'm at.
So Fornelli's mock draft also has some interesting trades. I figure I could bring those up real quick before we go to break. They have the Falcons trading up to number 2 to draft Jaden Daniels from LSU.
So then where does Justin Fields end up? So that means the Bears aren't trading Fields to Atlanta in that scenario. So the Bears are taking Caleb Williams at 1, but then what are they doing with Fields?
Maybe they trade him to Washington. We'll get to that in a second. The Patriots at 3, they have taking Marvin Harrison Jr., not a quarterback. Then at number 4, they have the Vikings trading up to 4 with the Cardinals, so the Vikings can take Drake May, 4th overall. And then the Falcons, they have Washington taking Olu Fashanu, the offensive tackle from Penn State.
Sure.
J.J. McCarthy, the Steelers, they have trading up to 9.
Hey, I don't know who a lot of these people are, Drew. I don't know.
The Steelers, Vern's guy, J.J. McCarthy, they have going number 9 overall to Pittsburgh. Which
that just seems like Katie Pickett all over again. I don't know who I'm insulting in that, but that just seems like Katie Pickett all over again.
I'd much rather, as a Bengals fan, them take J.J. McCarthy, I guess, than Jaden Daniels.
I think your Cincinnati Bengals need to take quarterback. I mean, your guy Joe Burrow can't stay healthy.
Last time he even played.
Yeah, I mean, this guy just injury prone at this point. Is Jake Browning needs a backup now just in case he gets hurt?
Oh, he's smoking. Yeah.
They have. By the way, Bo Nix going to the Patriots at 30. So they have the Patriots getting Bo Nix and Marvin Harrison Jr. in the first round, which would be interesting for the Boston area.
I can't tell you how much money I've lost on Bo Nix.
Really? That's the guy. Everybody has a player.
Every team he went to, I'm like, I think today is a good day for Bo Nix. Nope, Auburn, Oregon, all of them.
I mean, he did well at Oregon, depending on which game.
Not when I bet on him.
Depending on which game you bet on the Ducks. Yeah, I just the one I can't get over real quick in that scenario was the Fields are not trading for Fields. Atlanta goes up to 2. Okay, so they draft Drake May or you said Jane Daniels.
They must trade him to Washington then, I guess.
But if you're Washington, you have the number 2 overall pick. You can get Drake May or Jane. You're going to go then trade.
What about New England? Because Patriots are taking Marvin Harrison
at
there.
3. Yeah,
they
Bo Nix could take a quarter.
Oh, right.
But yeah, I think it'll be. I mean, if
Justin Fields in New England with Marvin Harrison Jr. Okay.
I mean, if you're the Falcons, though, would you rather have Kirk Cousins, Justin Fields, or Jaden Daniels from LSU? I think that's a question I guess you have to ask yourself.
Yeah, I just think we've seen time and time again. Like, if you have a top 5 pick and you don't have the franchise quarterback, why am I trading for the veteran option? I just don't get it. Like, the reason why the Chiefs acquired Alex Smith, they weren't picking in the top 5 at that point. Like, if you're further down, if you're picking 17th overall and your roster, this is where Atlanta comes into play. Your roster is decent. That's, to me, where you go get Kirk Cousins or Justin Fields. If I got a top 5 pick, that means my roster's not great. I'm going to get the rookie contract for 4 years that I can enjoy and build around that guy.
You guys sold on J.J. McCarthy as a pro, Vern?
No. I'm not, no. No, I wish him the best. I wish he would have come back, but no. No, give me Daniels, even Drake May. Hit the bricks, bro.
What's the we can talk more about this on the other side. I wonder, there's one thing I think is happening when all of us talk about Drake May. I want to see if you agree with me on that. Plus, something that is happening for $5,000 next.
You're listening to Cody and Gold. Don't miss the Chiefs Red Half Hour every weekday starting at 11:30 on your official broadcast partner of the Chiefs, 610 Sports Radio.
We're talking with Dr. David Bach, board-certified urologist at Kansas City Urology Care. What's the most important thing men should know about prostate cancer?
I would strongly recommend PSA testing. It's a simple blood test. It's inexpensive, and basically every male over 50 should be having this PSA once a year. Prostate cancer is the second leading cancer killer of men.
And why should they go to KCUC?
We not only treat more prostate cancer than anyone else in this part of the country, we also start with cutting-edge diagnostics to offer the most precise diagnoses of prostate cancer using ultrasounds and MRI. We can offer surgical, medical, and radiation types of treatments. And even for men who require additional therapies, we're able to offer all that at a single site.
Get your PSA level tested by the experts. Kansas City Urology Care. At KCUC, you see the best in KC. To make an appointment, visit appointments.kcurology.com.
Do you want to skip your car payment this month? How about for 6 months? I'm Jeff Davis, owner of Volkswagen Lease Summit. We're offering payment relief.
Buy a new car at Volkswagen Lease Summit and get no payments for up to 6 months. That's right, no payments for up to 6 months. Or we have low leases starting at $239 a month and rates as low as 2.9% for 60 months.
Get payment relief today at Volkswagen Lease Summit. Visit VWLeaseSummit.com.
Financing through VCI on approved credit. Call 816-841-7383 for details.
I'm McCall with Lease Summit Subaru. We've added even more incentives to buy from us. An exclusive lifetime warranty. Your first maintenance is free. Lease Summit Subaru just discounted up to $3,000 off MSRP or 0% financing for 63 months on the 2024 Subaru Forester. Bonus cash, 0%, free maintenance, and a lifetime warranty. That's why you'll fall in love with driving again at Lease Summit Subaru. The Subaru A Lot to Love event.
The service contract is not provided or backed by the manufacturer of the vehicle. The manufacturer of the vehicle is not responsible for the claims or repairs under this service contract.
Hey Kansas City, it's Jeff Briggs with Victory Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram. I want to tell you about an exciting opportunity. We just received a special shipment of pre-owned trucks, a quality mix of GMC, Chevy, Ford, and of course Ram products. These are half-tons, heavy duties, some fully loaded, some nicely equipped. These units were purchased well back of current market value, and here's the exciting part, we are passing the savings on to you. If new truck prices have you feeling discouraged, then visit us at the Legends Auto Plaza in KCK or online at victorymotorskc.com, where our first price is better than their last.
Cards issued by Sutton Bank and Celtic Bank, members of FDIC. Terms and conditions apply.
The needs of modern businesses are always changing, but corporate cards haven't evolved in decades. Until now. Meet Ramp, the all-in-one finance platform that combines corporate cards with spend management software. Ramp is the only card designed to actually help your business spend less, not more. With Ramp, you can set custom controls to stop out-of-policy spend before it even happens. And Ramp software even does expense reports for you. No more manual entries, no more chasing receipts. And with best-in-class accounting integrations, you'll close your books in days, not weeks. Ramp gives you better insights and a real-time view of all company spend, so you can stay focused on the big picture and build a healthier business. Join over 15,000 businesses who have switched to Ramp and start saving an average of 5%. Modern finance runs on Ramp. And now get $250 when you join Ramp. Just go to ramp.com/sports. That's ramp.com/sports.
Hey, Rob Bradford here. I have set out on a mission with my good friends at FanDuel to prove what I have known for some time. Baseball isn't boring. Now I have a daily podcast to prove it with some of the most notable people in the baseball world, screaming baseball isn't boring from the mountaintops, or at least agreeing to come on our show. Players, managers, GMs, and yes, even the commissioner of baseball, Rob Manfred. It has been a constant wave of baseball's most powerful voices. So join the revolution. Subscribe and soak in Baseball Isn't Boring. Listen on your Odyssey app or wherever you get your podcasts. You'll be glad you did.
What does it feel like to file with TaxSlayer and get your guaranteed maximum refund? It feels like the last level of a video game, facing off against the final boss who stands between you and your refund.
All your refund has belonged to me.
Using the power of TaxSlayer like a secret power-up he doesn't see coming.
Only the most tax-confident can defeat me.
Throwing your laptop at his video game face and watching him crumble into a giant pile of shiny coin tax refunds.
Oh, not fair. You use TaxSlayer.
Start for free and get your guaranteed maximum refund. TaxSlayer. File fearlessly.
Some people just know the best rate for you is a rate based on you with Allstate. Not one based on the driver who treats the highway like a racetrack and the shoulder like a passing lane. Why pay a rate based on anyone else? Get one based on you with DriveWise from Allstate.
Not available in Alaska or California, subject to terms and conditions. Rates are determined by several factors, which vary by state. In some states, participation in DriveWise allows Allstate to use your driving data for purposes of rating. While in some states, your rate could increase with high-risk driving. Generally, safer drivers will save with DriveWise. Allstate Fire and Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates, Northbrook, Illinois.
Get in zone, AutoZone.
Welcome to AutoZone. What are you working on today?
I need new wipers.
No problem. How about Bosch Prime Active or Envision?
Get in the zone.
I know what you're thinking. Why Bosch Prime Active or Envision? They're both designed to minimize glare for clearer, safer driving.
Get in the zone.
Okay, great. Do you have any special offers on them?
Right now, you can get a $10 bonus reward when you buy a pair.
Get in the zone. AutoZone.
Restrictions apply. Offer available to AutoZone Rewards members.
Tax Talk with Straight Talk.
You give and you give. This tax season, you get with Straight Talk Wireless. You get a reliable 5G network and unlimited data and a Samsung Galaxy A14 included when you buy an extended Silver Unlimited plan. So you can give your janky phone to your kid. Yeah!
Switch to Straight Talk for plans starting as low as $25 a line per month for 4 lines. Find us at straighttalk.com. For network management practices, visit straighttalk.com. Device offer ends 4/14/24. Online only. Family plan discount with 4 lines, all on the Silver Unlimited plan. Taxes and fees apply.
Look around. You can find cars like these on AutoTrader, like that car riding your tail. Or if you're tailgating right now, all those cars doubling as kitchens and living rooms are on AutoTrader too. Are you working out and listening to this ad at the same time? Well, multitasking pro, cars like the ones in the gym parking lot are for sale on AutoTrader. New cars, used cars, electric cars, maybe even flying cars. Okay, no flying cars, but as soon as they get invented, they'll be on AutoTrader. Just you wait. AutoTrader.
The 610 Sports Radio phone line is brought to you by Onder Law Injury Lawyers. Visit getjim.com.
Are we really doing this? Are we really playing this? Vern is in studio after all. Royals baseball coming up in less than 30 minutes. Also, Drew's...
Do you remember Trey Burke?
Yeah,
basketball
yeah,
player?
absolutely. Yeah, thank you for that.
You remember that?
Yeah.
It was a long time ago.
One of the biggest shots in NCAA tournament
Thank
history.
you. Yes, the game was in
That big
Dallas.
white
The game
guy's
was
face?
Sorry, Gold. The game was in Dallas. Yep.
Who was that guy? Who was the...
Was that would have been? Would that have been the time Withy was there?
Yes.
No.
No, it was. It was Withy.
Was
in
it?
his face. Yes.
Because Withy was there when I was in college. So I'm just trying to think if I'm off on my years here.
That was Marv Albert on the call, too, if I remember correctly.
2013.
I was just at... Okay, so yeah, I would just graduate. So
Timmy Hardaway, stuff. Oh, yeah. That
it was a great
that team was
Michigan
loaded.
team. Yeah, but... No, there are shots as a fan or moments as a fan. That'll be one. Obviously, Syracuse and... Hakeem Warwick, I guess, or in Carmelo, obviously.
But that's the life of a Kansas fan. Everyone remembers when they beat Kansas in a big way. Because they're always in big games.
And that's what's happening now with the Chiefs, right? I mean, that's when Cincinnati or Buffalo beats them in the regular season, that's exactly what's happening. And again, if you're just joining us, the NFL did announce that the salary cap going up $30 million instead of around 20. So that is a good sign for the Chiefs and the likelihood maybe they can keep both Jones and Snead. We shall see.
Hang on, Gold. You sounded... I hate to bring it on the air. Yeah. You sounded optimistic in the commercial break that, holy crap, we could run this whole thing back.
Well, yeah, for up until an hour and a half ago, I kind of didn't understand why the Chiefs would actually bring Jones back from just that they didn't do it a year ago. He's a year older. The dollar amounts. Why now? But the why might just be that, hey, we didn't even expect this projection. These are guys that are extremely talented at what they do in the front office and much smarter than you and I with math and everything like this. They project caps. Based on all the reports, this is much higher than anybody expected. $255.4 million is the salary cap per team. It's the largest increase in NFL history for an offseason.
It's a $30 million jump. You were expecting a what?
It was supposed to be at 243 to 245. So almost 10, over $10 million jump. And if you're thinking about what a deal looks like with Chris Jones or Snead, the franchise tag for Snead is 19. Chris Jones could be an average of 30 million. That 10 million is a big deal. It might mean, if you get a deal done with Nick Bolton, which could be 15 or 16 million a year. All of a sudden, we were saying, you can only keep one of these guys. Maybe they're able to keep both. Maybe they're also completely thinking it's not about keeping those guys. Now they're like, well, we'll go ahead and get Mike Evans now. I don't know. I just think it's great news for the Chiefs, for a team that already has a championship roster, and you're always worrying about losing championship pieces. This doesn't hurt.
Right.
It definitely doesn't hurt.
And it's the byproduct of nailing drafts.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right? I mean, I grew up in Michigan as a Detroit Lions fan, and because of that punishment, I was rewarded in my professional career of being around Brett Favre, Aaron Rodgers, and now being in the same city as Patrick Mahomes. Rodgers, Favre, what they weren't able to do was nail the draft consistently to allow big-name defensive, offensive linemen, wide receivers to stick around. They were always paying Rodgers, could never keep those big names around him. If Veach continues to hit 60, 70% of his draft picks, it's amazing to think that you win a Super Bowl with one of the best defenses in 20 years, the best quarterback ever, and you might not have to lose anybody that you really love, right?
There's a chance. There's definitely more of a chance right now than there was 2 hours ago. Yeah.
If Snead and Chris Jones come back, who does the Chiefs fan lose that they have grown fond of?
This offseason, pretty low on the list. I think we already were looking at Willie Gay's probably not back. I think he became more of a fan favorite, but let's be honest, no disrespect to him. He's going to get paid somewhere else. He had a hell of a season. But it's a linebacker, and he's still not your best linebacker anyway. You can live with that. I mean, Jerick McKinnon and Clyde Edwards-Helaire at the end became a little bit more of a fan favorite. And obviously, just as a person, how can you not respect Clyde with the story coming out about how he comforted children and helped them out during the shooting at Union Station? So I think there's some of that. But if we're talking from a star-level player this offseason, there's a chance that they may not lose the pieces we thought. We'll see. Again, it's more likely now than it was 2 hours ago.
And that's probably the scariest thing to every other general manager and head coach in the NFL. Probably the scariest thing they've seen come out of Kansas City since Mahomes' debut season.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. This is not what you wanted. You didn't want to. Yes, the cap goes up for everybody, but there's a difference when you're the Bills who haven't got over the hump and you're negative 50 in cap space. Yeah, it helps that you're now negative 40 in cap space, no doubt, but it's not the same. You know the window the Chiefs are currently in. Everybody's well aware that Chris Jones would be the number one free agent on the market. And does this make it less likely that he becomes a free agent? I think the answer is yes. It doesn't guarantee he's here, but the percentage of wherever you were at earlier today of, 70% chance he's gone. Whatever that is, it has to be less than 70 that he's gone now, if that's where you were at, based off of the news. I did want to ask you before we went to break just about how we view certain players in the draft real quick. I mentioned Drake May, and you were talking about him. I feel like people are down on Drake May, who could be the number one or number two. I guess he could be the number one, but number 2 overall pick. Maybe that's the Commanders. Because he played at North Carolina, the same uniform that both Sam Howell and Trubisky wore, I think people are like, oh, well, that's the same guy. It's not any good. Whereas Drake May is way more athletic than Trubisky and certainly just better. Sam Howell was a 5th-round pick. Drake May might be number 1, number 2 overall.
Yeah. I'll take your word on it as far as the athleticism. I didn't really watch much Drake May. I just saw North Carolina, white guy that looks like that. That's Mitch Trubisky.
Hey, I think a lot of people are guilty of that, including myself. I've in the last week or so, I'm wondering, and I've talked this out more, and I'm just like, is that what it is? Because I was doing the same thing. I think we're all guilty of that sometimes.
I didn't see anyone make plays like the Heisman Trophy Award winner did last year. I mean, that's a playmaker that you think works on any level. And I think the Drake May slander comes from hearing talking heads put his name in the same breath as Jaden Daniels and Caleb Williams to where you're thinking, hey, he might be good. He could be a great NFL quarterback, but don't try and tell me he's the playmaker that these two are, because I've seen these two make extraordinary plays throughout their career.
Look, if I was drafting in the top 3, the order of quarterbacks I would go Caleb Williams 1, I would then go Jaden Daniels, and then I would go Drake May. So, I mean, I'm with you on what I think will be the 3 better, and who knows, it's the NFL, and the combine, somebody's hand's going to be smaller than we think, and everybody's going to freak out for a half second. Right. That's how this stuff goes. Fern's with me for another 20 minutes. Royals baseball coming up at 2 o'clock as the Royals get set to open up Cactus League play, and you get your Cactus League gear, man. You just got to stock up on that Cactus League gear. And I still have never made it out to spring training. I need to do that at some point. That's still the one thing I haven't done, but I'm excited to hear some baseball back on the airwaves here on 610, man. It's going to be
Jake
good.
Eisenberg about to crush it.
Oh, yeah. He's great. He's fantastic.
I spoke with him at the where they announced the stadium renderings and all that, whatever that was. He was ready to go, ready to call a game weeks ago. So it's going to sound like game 1 of the World Series coming up in about 20 minutes.
I wonder if they're going to bring up the pants issue in Major League Baseball. You and I discussed that earlier, the see-through pants. The new update on this just now from The Athletic is Nike's new MLB uniform rollout has reached a new stage of frustration, a pants shortage. So now they just don't have enough of them. Yeah. It's not just the see-through pants. They don't have enough. This is Major League Baseball. This isn't minor league. Major League Baseball has crappy uniforms now that are see-through, and they don't have enough.
But they all have email addresses, and I would imagine those email addresses were sent to every team broadcaster, and they said, hey, you know what? How about you don't mention the jersey? So, no, I would not expect Jake and Rhino and Stu to go in.
Stay away from the pants,
the fact that they could probably see the scrot of Daniel Lynch.
Yeah, no kidding. Some of the photos that have been coming out from this are absolutely ridiculous for an MLB player.
Again, search out that Giants player.
Yeah, type it. Yeah, just Giants uniform or Giants player. It'll pop up.
You can see his testicles.
It's see-through. Definitely.
There they are, winking at you. Yep.
It's definitely see-through. Before I let you go, I guess this is quite the transition from that.
Good luck with that. Yep.
I was going to say we did a trash of the day earlier today when Pete Sweeney was joining me, and I thought this was perfect for both of you. Mm-hmm. Have you ever considered plastic surgery?
No.
Never?
No.
No, neither have I.
No. Maybe if I had a different career.
Oh.
You know, maybe if I was like in television and doing really well
a lot
instead
of people
floundering in radio the way I am.
A lot of people have commented on you. They don't really see you. And they're on video
You're
today.
welcome.
There's some people, some positives, Vern. Some people have been talking about the blue eyes.
Yeah, that's my mom, probably.
That's
probably my mom or my sister or
anyway,
my mother-in-law.
I bring this up because the New York City men, I guess, are paying plastic surgeons $5,000 for almond-shaped nipples like David Beckham. It is, quote, a growing trend. Who knew? $5,000. Nipples that are all. I still don't know. You're married, so maybe you can ask your wife this. How many women are paying attention to the nipples of men anyway?
Not many in my life. Mine are like historically, legendarily small.
Almond shaped, no?
But not shaped like more like shaped like a dime.
Okay.
To give you a reference. That was always the joke. But an almond.
Yeah.
Almond,
I mean, have you seen the photo? I mean, once they say it, you're like, okay, I guess.
So they're like oblong nipples.
Yeah,
right?
I mean, they're smaller, but small almond shape. Let me see if I can get the.
But an almond comes to a. An almond comes to a point.
2
ends. He's very strong. He's got a good body. Good for you, David Beckham.
By the way, that's my point. Is like if you're like,
if I had that body, I'd have those tattoos too, man. God, it'd be so different.
Do you? The weird thing is like the nipples. That's what women are attracted about David Beckham.
Right.
I don't buy it. I don't buy that. The money, like you just said, he's obviously in shape. Everything else, it doesn't make $5,000. What a waste.
Right.
What a waste of money.
You know, Vern. Sure, you're bald, a little overweight, teeth aren't great. But man, those nipples are right. No one talks like that. That's a great point. No, the reason why you're attracted to David Beckham is top to bottom.
Yeah.
Bank, right? Athlete. It's not, oh, well, you know what? It's if George Mirasan, rest in peace, had almond-shaped nipples, he wouldn't be a heartthrob in the NBA. No, it's...
Yeah, I don't think all of a sudden on the Bumble profile I should add in almond shape, which I don't have them anyway, but almond shaped nipples. I don't think that's going to get me some more likes, Drew.
You should do that for like a week and just see if
too.
You should do it for a week and just see if there's an uptick in your matches.
Are you a no shirt guy often?
No, dude, I'm just a normal guy. I don't go to the gym. Are you kidding me? Just a normal body, skinny white dude. That's it. That's me.
Well.
Yeah. That's it. No, again, if you are an athlete, if you're anybody that plays at a professional level,
I think that's fake. I think like two really rich weirdos did that. Like remember those twin guys that had like just so much plastic surgery on their faces?
I have to look it up.
They looked like the Moon Man by the end. I think they both passed away.
Well,
but that's where you just have too much money. Narcissistic tendencies. Yeah. Those are the people that are doing that. Not average.
Like there's no way.
Bill from Blue Springs. He's not getting almond-shaped nipples.
Please text in if you have had nipple surgery as a man. Please let us know.
I would imagine you're eager to tell someone about it. Eager to take your shirt off.
You should be prideful.
It's a lot of money that doesn't get showcased very often.
So if you have $5,000 to your nipples, women will definitely be into you because you're wasting $5,000. Yeah, again, that you're just rich, that you're just loaded.
Right.
That's probably fair.
If you have $5,000 to spend, by the way, it sounds like the conversation's going, you might as well spend it on trying to get like David Beckham. in terms of the
personal
muscular,
trainer and all that.
in terms of the muscle and body.
That takes a lot of work, though.
That's true.
I'm not really willing to work. I want to throw money at the issue. Can you give me a pill that will fix my body?
We were just talking earlier about McDonald's and fries and all. This is also part of, again, unless you're Q. And I realized right after we were talking to Q about the not eating McDonald's, we were talking about, I said, what do you think the expectation is for Q this year? Obviously, we're talking about the manager in that sentence. Do you think the manager Q has had McDonald's? My guess is yes.
Without question.
100% has to have. Whereas our former intern now,
he was a
producer.
Career minor league player and then manager. He wasn't raking in, minor league ball players are not making much, not making a living wage quite often.
Here we go on the text line, Vern. See if you think this was worth it. 913-586-7610 from the 816. Got my legs lengthened and nipples enhanced.
Fake.
I'm swimming in it. Sure you are. Sure.
So
I've seen the length. I talked to Pete. I talked to Pete about this though. He I don't know if he wants me to share. Sorry, Pete. He mentioned that if he could spend money, he would get his legs lengthened. That'd be taller.
What?
Plastic. You've seen the plastic surgery, right, or whatever surgery it's called, where
I've seen
It seems extremely painful.
Where do they?
They
What do
basically
they do?
extend your bones out or somehow or something. Or they add bone in or
There's
something.
like a device they wrap around your leg and they essentially pull apart or pull at your
sounds so painful.
bones
And you're like 2 inches taller, 3 inches taller.
Are we sure that someone didn't just make a very good video of a Stretch Armstrong and made it come across real? You can't stretch
Surgery
people's
to
legs up.
be-
I remember Tom Brady had that.
Sure.
You want your muscles lean. And
I love how you're saying fake.
Yeah, a mechanized rod into your leg. This place in either the femur, the tibia, or sometimes in both bones. After the procedure, you'll use a magnetic handheld device to rotate the gears of the rod from the outside of your leg each day. This causes the rod to extend slightly. You know how painful that is?
Miserable life. I don't know. Do what you want to do. I don't.
When you're describing this and all you hear is Vern say fake, that's what my wife says whenever the moon comes up. I talk about the moon fake. It's my
Does your wife think the lunar landing, you guys see that yesterday? I guess we had a lunar landing on the moon. And it was the first one.
I thought the moon landing was fake in
high school or something.
Yeah, 10th grade. My
do you believe it's real now?
Prob and statistics teacher allowed me to teach the class for the entire hour of why the moon landing was fake. I was just some 15-year-old idiot, and he let me teach the class.
Now, Drew brought it up because we had a funny conversation one day because all of a sudden we were talking random conspiracy theories or whatever, and he said his wife didn't believe in the moon landing, and then we just had some fun with that. But then I wondered if she believed the first American spacecraft to accomplish the feat yesterday since 1972, if we believe that it touched down on the moon last night.
She said, fake. So
Really?
She does
See,
not.
that to me was always one of the issues. I'm like, how come we're not going there all the time? How come we haven't been there?
Expensive.
A lot of things are expensive and they throw money.
Yeah, but there are a lot of
private nipples.
Well, it's
apparently.
happening more now because we've got these private companies that, like, NASA is separated from the funding stuff from the government. So it's its own thing. That's why, like, SpaceX last night they launched another 20 satellites up into space.
Yeah.
Would you, Vern? Would you?
SpaceX has like 60% of the satellites up there.
Would you, if money was taken care of, and they at some point in your lifetime, for the most part, what I would call perfected, there's always risk, but for the most part, perfected travel to the moon,
No.
would you go? If it was free for you and they had done 5,000 trips, let's say, and it was a 90%, 99%.
I'm not even going on the Ferris wheel downtown.
Really?
I ain't going
You
to
won't,
the
I
moon.
don't, Vern, I don't like
I
heights.
ain't getting
I
on
can't
that
stand
thing.
heights either, but you won't go on that. It
Guy,
ain't close.
they built that thing way too quick.
Oh.
I need 3 or 4 people to fall before I get on there.
Or not. So you need.
I don't want an accident to
Yeah,
happen,
yeah.
but I need them to. We got doors flying off airplanes. I don't trust.
So will you sit exit row still now after the airplane door thing?
Yeah, I'm really not afraid on planes. That
Yeah.
was just making a point of.
Okay, I didn't know where.
Planes have been around for a very long time, but we still have doors flying off. They threw that Ferris wheel up in like
sounds like
15
they just
minutes.
forgot to put the bolts on or tighten it. Like
That's
it
right.
true, it's a basic air.
Yeah.
Seems problematic.
Have you been on the Ferris wheel?
Not yet. Do you think that's a good first date after drinks thing, or is that further down the road? Where you've had a couple dates.
Yeah, not first date.
First date's
Enclosed
too much.
space,
Too much.
Just you and I.
Yeah.
We could get stuck up here. I'm not even sure I like you. Yeah, no.
I think
not on the
that's
first date.
at least second or third date before you say, "Oh, after drinks, let's go check out the Ferris wheel thing."
Right. Once she knows you're not a creep.
There you go.
Didn't we find out that the the box itself, it's more than just 2 people.
Yeah, it can
fits
hold
like
8 people.
Like 6 to 8.
The one in Vegas, it's like 30 people. It's like, those pods are huge in the one in Vegas.
I don't care for that either.
I feel like that.
That's why I don't go golfing now anymore, because you always have to play with someone you don't know. And
you and Drew can go. Drew's a big golfer. Drew's good.
But then you got to team up with these guys, and I don't want to play with these guys.
Well, I suck at golf. Vern,
I do too.
Vern can team up with me, Drew, and Dusty, and we'll just you can be with Dusty.
Dusty's
I can be with,
too good.
Well, that's the thing. You can
and
be
it
with
comes
Dusty.
too natural, and he's too confident.
He's very confident,
and as he should be. He's really good. But.
Drew,
I'm the opposite.
Drew says he's better than Dusty.
No, I didn't. I said
he's
Dusty
better
was
than
threw
me.
up a 39
he said
the other day.
He's better
threw
than
up a 39 the other day.
Better than Dusty. He said he's the best golfer at the station. That's what Drew said already.
Nice, good for you, man.
I'm talking all the cash, and yeah.
No, what about? Who's that? You giving Dusty a middle finger? Is that what?
Wow. No.
Oh.
Gold is making it seem like I am, but I've
I
already
think
said
you are,
on
man.
the show multiple times that
I think you
Dusty
said you're
is
sick of
better
hearing
than I
Dusty
am.
talk about golf and that you're better than him, and he needs to start respecting your golfing abilities.
Adam's Point.
Yeah.
May 19th.
Is that where you
I played
consistently
there
play?
once.
Oh, okay.
I was good in the front 9, then drank too many beers, and it all.
If you want to go play golf, Vern, we will go play golf.
I don't enjoy it. I don't enjoy it. I get too frustrated. You have to practice a lot to be
Yeah,
good.
A lot.
I'm not going to do that, and I don't enjoy doing something that I'm not good at.
I'll drive the golf
That's very
cart,
fair.
have a few beers, watch you guys, and I'll swing a club.
Okay,
that's all I
like
need.
that.
That's all I need.
I'll do that. I just don't want to be called a quitter because I am going to
Yeah.
quit.
Oh no, I don't even need to keep score. I don't care. I'm so bad.
Good, I like it.
I haven't swung other than Top Golf. I haven't swung a club at a golf
Then
course
how
in
could you be
2.5
good?
years.
How could you be
Not
good? You can't.
No.
Just a prerequisite Gold for you. Just because you're driving the car doesn't mean you don't have to pay. It's like $15 for you to.
That's fine.
It's fine. You think Gold's worried about $15?
We'll see. I need to win about $15 on the Royals today, baby. Got a little bet in. Royals
You
money
got
line
money
plus
line?
money.
Yes.
Let's
Hey,
go.
I'm with it. How much time we got? We're in Kansas, baby. I
You got
forgot.
time. Vern, appreciate it, man. Our Royals insider, you'll start hearing him every Thursday night for Vern's Hot Stove. And, of course, once the season starts, on-deck show, post-game show. Can't wait for that. Royals baseball. It's good to say that
Let's
again.
go.
That's coming up next right here on 610 Sports Radio.
Cody and Gold, weekdays starting at 10 on 610 Sports Radio and the Odyssey app.
Now is one of the best times to call up Dury Vision and find out if they can help you with your vision goals and needs going forward like they did